pro, mate. I've done this before. It's not my first rodeo.
Welcome back. Ding, ding, round 2 to Racing Post Live. Oh, we've had the Tuesday down. 3 Group 1, spectacular stuff everywhere. Some upsets, some trends. We're starting to work out where you want to be and who you want to be with during the week. You want to be with us, myself, Dave Orton. L5 days I'm with you, and it's going to be great fun here. With our sponsors, Betfair, of course, you'll be learning everything about the exchange. If you're new to the show, it is interactive. Let us know you're out there. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, like and subscribe. That means you can chat to us here. Our producers in the gallery. Great stuff we had yesterday, letting us know what your naps are for the rest of the week. Hard luck stories. We'll be trying to call the races for our international viewers out there. Konnichiwa, by the way, if you've turned up for Sharia. Oh, the Prince of Wales this afternoon. Doesn't that look like a stinking belter? Unleash the beast, but which one will it be? We'll find out at 3:20. Lots of strong opinions here from the panel as well. Now, Barry's still on course. Barry, all the big hitters, will be with us back tomorrow for Ladies' Day, Friday and Saturday. We have another rep today. All change on the panel. That's the beauty of these RP Live shows, isn't it, of course? Each day, something different. If you're watching on, of course, Facebook Live, say hello. Let us know you're out there. Anything Twitter, hashtag RP Live. Got a bit feisty on Twitter yesterday. Matt Williams joins us back.
Now then, Dave, you all right?
And I say joins you back. It's, of course, your debut in this. Have you ever? You've never done this yet, have you?
No, I did when I was at Canary Wharf. Did a bit of TV there. Remember that?
But you are an ex-colleague, of course.
An ex-colleague, me. Yeah, 12 years have been gone now.
And now pro punter.
Yeah.
Is that what we call you these days?
That's what.
It's a very 90s thing, that, isn't it? And Bruce Millington's back, ex-editor, of course, and my compadre.
Yeah, how you doing, Dave?
Big part of getting Matt on the show, of course. It could be fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. We had a lot of negotiations with his agent over the fee.
The big bucks.
We should say Matt's fee is going to Racing Welfare today, guys, by the way. So Matt is here, and it's great to have him. We'll get into what you're doing now, Matt, but pro punter is a bit of an old school saying.
No, not really. I think it's still very much a live term.
I don't like it, though, myself.
You have to put it on your passport.
What do you want to be?
That's Matt.
Well, yeah, but
Matty Williams.
Yeah, but what do you? All right,
There's loads of us, though, isn't there? There's like in the old days, right? You had like Barney Carey and your Jim McGraths, and even though Jim was on Channel 4 and right there, but now there's so many of us.
Yeah, but you are a pro punter, aren't you? That's how
you
you
did a
make
piece for us in the week, didn't you? Which was mind-boggling, really, and you were all termed as pro punters. So I just wondered if it was a moniker that might be changing as the game changes.
Talking of monikers, I see you've become. I looked at the caption at the start of the show. Senior Racing Post analyst.
Don't do a Rob way on me.
You promoted yourself, haven't you?
Look, everyone knows that I'm a senior analyst here, Matt. You know, this is what it is.
We'll find out.
When I was editor, you were just dog spotty, mate.
Yeah,
dog
very much
spotty.
so. But listen, absolutely, this is what Rob Way does when he's in the suit. Who gave him that? So we have a bit of fun with the titles that come up. You are ex-editor, of course, but I like to call you editor, like President Trump will
That's
always
very
be President
nice.
Trump.
I appreciate
President
that, mate.
Bush will always be President Bush. You are editor.
That's
and
very
you're going to be
kind.
commentated today for us as well, aren't you?
There's a lot of runners.
There's
one race I fancy, but the others look impossible. I mean, look at the first one. There's just a sea of purple. What chance have we got?
What are you thinking about that? What's going to happen in that race? What are you anticipating?
We'll get to that. Don't worry. We've got a long time to go yet, mate.
Don't worry, Matt.
Don't go too early.
We're going to be getting the vowels out of you today. Don't worry. It's great to have Matt with us, as it is Kate Tracey coming back, the talking form. And we're going to call you Betfair Tracey today.
We
had Betfair Millman yesterday. You are Barry today.
I love all of these new sort of titles that we're all giving ourselves today. Yeah,
You've had
great to
100
be
of them,
back.
Kate, since you've
yeah,
been
to
in
be
the
fair,
studio.
to be honest, the amount of jobs I have, that it's probably about right, to be honest. And sat next to Bruce as well, who's the whole reason I was in with the Racing Post in the first place.
If you want to know that story, ask the question, because there is a story. It's
a good story.
It's a good story.
It is a good story, actually, of course. But Kate, you're representing Betfair today. We do a trade in every race, basically, maybe one or two even. If there's an angle into it, you're going to put a lucky 15 on as well. Of course, safe gambling here at the Racing Post. That's what we back, basically, and at Betfair as well. You don't have to play in every single race. That's why Kate's going to give us lucky 15. James Millman, who was doing the honours for Barry yesterday, he was in profit. Wellchild is the charity we play for. It's all about charity here. It's all about having fun. There are other alternatives out there. If you don't want it, don't worry about it. This is the new wave, basically. Well, I'll tell you what, we had some decibels yesterday. We got excited.
Oh, really?
And look, the crowd's back at Ascot. You two were both there, weren't you? We were very excited in here. We had Natalie Green, Rosie Margerson made her debut. She was blinding, by the way. Lots of love out there for Rosie. Quite rightly so. She got a runner today. She had one yesterday in the Ascot Stakes.
Look, the biggest
Protected
food of all
guest was
time.
coming into the corner, leading. And we said, commentate. And it was like the Queen was with
you
us.
couldn't make a comment.
She went, this is all frightfully nice, she said. It was great, and everyone loved it out there, but each day, something different. And we're going to get our analytical hats on today, and we'll be going pinpointing through the form. We all really fancy one today, don't we? You've been doing some naps for us, each week that we do Cheltenham Aintree, and you've done one for this week. Won't give it away yet, but it runs today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the bet of the week's today. Been punted.
It has been
smashed.
How do you feel about it? That's good, isn't it, when it gets punted?
Yeah, it is good, yeah.
Because you're sitting on some tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Shall we get the lucky 15 out of the way
Yes,
for everyone that's
we
out
shall.
there?
Yeah, and just a few things to mention first, of course, because there are a whole host of offers with Betfair today on the sportsbook and on the exchange as well. So on the sportsbook, in the 2:30, we're going 5 places instead of 3. The 5 o'clock, we're going 7 places instead of 4. 5:35, 4 instead of 3, and in the 6:10, 5 instead of 4. But the most important bet then of which, or the most important special of which comes, it's the Betfair's money back special, which is in the 3:05. You'll get your money back if your horse fails to place, which is probably a good move because it is a wide open race in that Group 2, the Queen's Vase at 3:05. That's on the sportsbook and the exchange as well that I will be using to full advantage. So we're going to start off though with the lucky 15, starting in the 2:30, our first race up. Now the horse that I think looks a very fair price here is Maria Branwell, unbeaten from her 2 starts so far. Daughter of James Garfield, who has just been going great guns with his progeny so far. 10 runners, 3 winners, 2 of them unbeaten, one of them being Lady Bullet, the other one being Maria Branwell. So I think she's a very smart type. Then we actually go to the 3:05, the aforementioned race. And I like Haffett, seemingly the second string of the Godolphin pair there. But with the first-time cheek pieces, I think this is a pretty weak-looking Queen's Vase. So wide open, therefore. Then we skip a race because I'm not touching the 3:40 with this each way lucky 15. I'm going to side. I was between trying to side with where the prices were going in this race. I'm going to come down on the side of Bashkirova in the hope she can back up her Epsom win last time out. Didn't let me down. Really, really like that filly. I think there should be much more to come from her with doubts about the others. Then we're going to go to the 5 o'clock for our final selection. And I'm going to go for Aratus here. You know me with running my trends for these races. Aratus is the one who comes out ticking most boxes of which. So, yeah, in the horse that we saw to great effect last season, he really progressed through the ranks. I think he's run respectably in his 2 starts so far this season. Really decent price there as well. So if we scroll down, then lucky 15, £1, click on the each way, £30. That would be a nice healthy return, wouldn't it, over 10 grand there. So hopefully for World Child, that will come off in our each way lucky 15.
That is the quietest these 3 gents have ever been.
I was going to say, where you going? This is the easiest shift I've ever done.
I'm known
lucky
for
to
talk.
have Kate today, 100%.
I'm known for talking.
I told you she was an impressive operator.
She makes David Jennings sound like Lester Krieger.
Thank you, very kind.
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, so look, we're going to have loads of fun here. It's all about Raucous reaction. Real-time action, that's what it is, basically. If you want to know where your money went, this is the place, the best place to be. We'll be beaming into the track. We've got a roving top team of reporters there. We get all the quotes as they break. We give you all premium members content here, of course. Spotlight tips, all that sort of stuff. There is the lucky 15. There was a lot of nodding going on with that. There's a few humming and ahhing. I must say, Arata's caught my eye in the Hunt Cup. You're going to try and knock it out of the park then. And Sod's Law is the biggest thing in racing, isn't it? And the one day that Barry's not in, he's crossbarred it with these lucky 15s as well. Let's hope this is the day. And the big man at Betfair can watch on from afar, I think, as well. All right, great stuff. So it is the Queen Mary at 2:30. We go through, of course, to the 5:35. A lot of people, Matt, from a punting perspective, yesterday said with the 6-1 on shot winning the first, it was a really, really tricky day. First of all, how did you fare, I suppose?
I wasn't too involved. I came to London yesterday. I had a day out in London doing a couple of things, but I watched all the racing. So normally I'd have a bet in every race. Betting and running.
You do have an office, obviously, don't you?
Yeah,
you sort of shut yourself away and
shut myself away, just betting every race every day, and just go through the motions with it all. But yesterday it was just enjoyable to watch the racing. You know, I like seeing the. Funnily enough, as opposed to the jumps, I like seeing the shorties going in. You know what I mean? I like the quality. You know,
it's quite refreshing to hear that, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? I mean, Matt, you're a punter. All races are an opportunity to win money, but you're also a racing fan, aren't you? So when you've got a horse like Baid, you want to see him absolutely dot up.
Yeah, you do, and you do want to see that over the jumps as well. But you want more competition on the flat. You expect races like that.
Would you be one of these men that's jumps or flat, or just love it all?
No, I've really come on the side of the flat in recent years. I just got so.
From a betting perspective or an interest, is that?
Both.
Yeah, really.
Both, yeah.
Just we were about to go on, they were talking about a bumper, weren't they? Look,
yeah,
Philip Hobbs trained bumper.
Yeah, we talked about
Kate used to be a groom at Hobbs's, for those of you that don't know.
Well,
telescope winner, yeah.
My lad's going into national hunt racing, it looks like. You know, hopefully he doesn't get my size. But yeah, I just find it tiresome with all the Willie Mullins' favourites flying in and Gordon Elliott flying in. And
Formidable punter and formidable physically as well. You forget how tall Miles, didn't you?
Yeah.
You met me about 10 stone ago, didn't you? 2000.
It was the same, actually, believe it or not. He's the only one that's maintained it, believe it or not, but annoyingly as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, should we talk about yesterday a little bit? We could split this up a bit. Again, loads of Baid chat overnight as well, isn't there? And this morning, I'm starting to get a bit annoyed how we're comparing him to Frankel.
Well, who is? Only a maniac would do that. Who would compare Baid to Frankel? You've got to be off your rocker.
It is the question that's being asked because he's now 8 from 8. He's winning the same races.
So what?
We're not going to see another Frankel for 200 years, are we?
We might not, but it's not Baid, is it?
No.
I think you'd have definitely given him a race.
Do you?
Yeah, do over a mile, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's just
I
working.
don't know how you can't say he wouldn't.
He's working.
I agree.
He's working like he's just an absolute superstar.
Yeah,
I love him.
But how do we know he's got more to come? How do we know he's workmanlike? How do we know he's not absolutely eyeballs out, giving it everything he's
Because
got?
he's done it all his life, and when
He's a fantastic horse.
He shouldn't be
but
doing it
he's
over a
not
mile.
Frankel,
He
is
shouldn't be doing it over a mile.
That's
which is
the
most
interesting
impressive
part, isn't it? And this is Haggis, you know, he's learned from the best, isn't he? And the way he trains his horses, he gets horses to go in these crazy, you know, was it Illarab won 6 from 6 in handicap company? They all build up. Maljoom yesterday, my goodness gracious, in the coronation. We'll talk about that. 1 horses. They were never going to let him down to win by 7 or 8 in hindsight yesterday. Fast ground's not for him either, I don't think.
Do you remember
wants some
when
juice.
Frankel won his debut? Everyone was talking about it that night at Newmarket.
Nathaniel,
Everyone knew about it, right? And with Baid, he's gone to Leicester for the maiden, whatever it was. He's a 3-year-old. He's a big enough price. It was a surprise to them. But every question that they've asked him, he's just delivered. And he keeps delivering. You know, he beat an Ascot specialist easily yesterday. That was easy.
We marked up Real World the second, of course.
You're not having an eye.
Well, look, I think he's fantastic, but I just don't see why we need to have the chat about Frankel. Frankel's a completely different animal.
I think it will be annoying Haggis a little bit. I spoke to him earlier in the year and he I just want this out of the way now, you know, when he just before he was about to run in the Lockhinge. The Lockhinge, he looked, it's so easy, wasn't it? He skipped through it.
If I trained a horse that people were comparing to Frankel, it wouldn't annoy me at all because I'd mean I've got.
Well, it's a nice pressure for him, but I think William he's just kind of, I think he was a bit fed up with it. He was like, look, the horse is just winning what's in front of him. We are now, of course, we saw Caribas come out in the 420. They all finished in a heat there, the 3-year-olds.
He was disappointing.
You were underwhelmed by him. See, there's 2 tribes building now on Caribas. He's got huge following because of that 101 gubbing that happened in the Royal Lodge last year. Everyone on social media was in the Caribas camp over the Native Trail camp.
But I backed Caribas for the Guineas. I thought that run against Royal Patrons was a great run. I didn't take
because of the turn of foot.
He just idles in front. That's his style. But
yesterday
I wanted him to, he was keen and he didn't, he showed a little turn of foot. It wasn't like the Guineas.
First time on a Ben, which probably making him much of that. He raced him closer to the pace than he did in the Guineas as well, which I thought was quite a good move from Buick, Kate, didn't you? Because there wasn't much on yesterday.
No, but from stall 2, I mean, he was a bit of a hostage to fortune straight away, wasn't he, Caribas? The fact that he was drawn that low, and he's going to want to take a lead because he is a bit of a keen going type anyway. And the fact he was then pinned on the rail. We talk about Maljoom in that race, but Caribas had his own traffic troubles throughout that. They went no pace then. He was keen as a result. I think he won in spite of everything going wrong for him there, and the fact he still managed to win. I wouldn't fancy him over a mile. I think the mile is what he wants, even though they went steady and then it turned into a sprint. But I still think he only just sort of scraped home over that trip.
I think the price, you got to look at the drift as well. Do you know what I mean? They would expect him not to run to his best.
A lot of talk about Appleby's form, amazingly. You don't really talk about Charlie Appleby being out of sync, do you? No. And someone said at the track yesterday, I don't know if you saw him, Bruce or Kate, when you were there, apparently he wasn't his usual charming self, apparently, yesterday. He had the sort of world on his shoulders a little bit, I was hearing.
Probably because he was worried about Caribas.
Well,
but first day of Royal Ascot, it's like the first day of Cheltenham, isn't it?
You
All
need
those
that
trainers
winner.
get very, very irritable, don't they?
Yeah. We saw, of course, the straight track race. We saw Bradsell, of course, who was a breeze-up horse. Some bubbles burst as ever in the Coventry. Strong Coventry?
I would say no. After going into the race, I thought it was going to be a strong Coventry. And maybe I'm being a bit unfair on the winner, but...
Well, 9.5 lengths on his debut, didn't he? And the form was backed up.
That was at York, though. Some of those
Were you with him yesterday?
No, I wasn't. Because, some of those York maidens, I was impressed with them when he won, but they're rubbish.
They can be red herrings, as I call them,
But also, how many, if you go back through Coventry, last few Coventries, how many really good horses have come out of that, you know? Yeah. It's very early, isn't it? They're all primed for the Coventry, so they're not really 3-year-old types.
Do you remember Three Valleys?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Richard Hughes.
Yeah.
I remember Richard Hughes told me that was one of the best horses he's ever ridden. I met him at Cheltenham one day.
But you haven't seen him in the last
that.
few years, have you? Because he'll give you a different answer now.
He certainly will.
he'll
Roger
tell-
Charlton's, high horse.
I asked him the other morning, he's Camphor Cliffs, it's no contest. There isn't a second, it's
Camphor Cliffs, of course, came up against Frankel, of course. And
Yeah.
will it be the Sussex next to buy? Will he step up in drip? I think I personally expecting him probably to go to the Judd-Monty now. We were getting anti-post prices coming left, right, and centre. I mean, they were just trimming. We got him as running to his Lockinge form yesterday, a figure of 129. They still won't give him that 130. You're probably expecting it to come at York, like Frankel did, of course. And people like Barry Orr got a load of stick for saying right at the start of the season, before he'd even ran, I've got 50s for the Arc. His brother to Hookham, of course. As Kate says, should he be running over a mile? Look, I just think it's fascinating. I feel a bit for the horse, because people are starting to knock him. He's no Frank, he's rubbish. God.
Yeah, because he's sitting there reading the Racing Post on Twitter, isn't he? Mate, never feel sorry for horses unless they're injured, all right? They don't know.
All right, well, I feel sorry for Connection there, because I think he's a bit ludicrous.
He's an amazing horse. He's probably the second best miler I've ever seen.
There you go. Right.
Really?
Yeah, so
Happy
you got
days.
Zaphonic early doors, and then you have Frankel, and then it's this lad.
And
there's been loads of good ones in between.
He can do anything as well, can't he, as well? So I can't wait to see him back at some easy ground. Anyway, that was the Queen Anne. We marked up Real World. It looks like he might be going to have another crack at him, like St Nicholas Abbey did the whole time. If followed Frankel around these horses, it looks like it might be Judd-Monty next. So 8-1 about him for the Sussex if Biden isn't turning up. I can't see the 3-year-olds beating them anyway.
No.
They finished in a bit of a heap. Homeless Songs, maybe. Is she entered on Friday? I've been so busy to have seen the Friday decks.
Did he say that if the rain doesn't come, he's coming?
because the dam got jarred up then, so they don't.
And he's a very patient man, Dermot Weld, isn't he, as we know?
He's gone early with this shout, hasn't he? So I think he's got it in his head she ain't running.
Yeah, that's the impression I've been getting. I need to
Bruce is
double check,
hot-footing to the decks, I can tell. We're going to have some fun this afternoon. We know you're out there.
No,
Let
not
us
happening.
know. No, not in there. Yeah, so she was a big spike on Betfair at the weekend. Emily Upjohn, that was a weird one as well, wasn't it? Is she coming in? Is she not in the Ribblesdale? We've got probably the softest race in Royal Ascot history tomorrow, the Hampton Court Stakes in that Reach for the Moon. We had Oisin Murphy in this studio, and he said, you've got to be with this. This is the banker of the week. He was 11-8 against when he told us that. I looked at the decks the next day. They've all defected. It's almost like they've said this will be her Platinum Jubilee winner. I think if you're getting 2-1 on, you're probably not doing too badly, are you? So
There's actually a better one for the Queen later in the week. Just Fine, I think it's called. In the handicap.
Over the mile. We want to see him over the mile 4, don't we?
An absolute certainty.
That's what we want. Big calls. That would be in the mile 4 handicap, I'm assuming. It's a proper stouty job, that, isn't it? Very easy back at York, wasn't he? I was there that day, Matt. And he's a very good-looking horse. It's very interesting.
It's got a decent draw, actually, yeah.
No Nature Strip we're hearing as well, by the way, if that hasn't been confirmed yet.
No, they were lukewarm on that. Well, not the owners, but Chris Waller was pretty lukewarm on that.
They wanted to get Waller on the debate on Sky, and he wasn't having any of it. He said, I'm still getting my plane, I'm going off, basically. So
I'm surprised about that. I'd have run it.
Yeah,
but they've got
definitely
home
come all
affairs,
this
haven't
way.
they? Here we go. Look, Hugh Masson afternoon all opens up this Wednesday. Not even at half time yet, and we've already get some big calls. We're only just getting warmed up here. And Hugh says, afternoon all. Great to see Bruce and his wacky opinions back on the scene.
Wacky.
That was a love for Bruce.
I've always liked you, Hugh. I've always liked you.
Just sensible. Just
Loads
all I
of
do
it.
is peddle common sense.
Loads of people have been asking me when you're back on the show this week, and you're following her out there, no doubt. So Hugh's opened up the show. Shall we have a little look then at the first, because we're not too far away. What do we reckon about the race times yesterday? Something you're usually on that. Were they late in every single race yesterday?
Do you know, I didn't notice. I must admit, I was.
Why was that?
I just go as a race goer, and I took my daughter and my friend, and we got stuck into. Well, I say get stuck into. We paced ourselves, but we were enjoying.
They were
ourselves.
generous, weren't
we
they,
were having
where
too
you were?
much fun to worry about race time. So I
That's what
really
it's all
don't
about.
know.
But
honestly.
we are world leaders in not getting races off.
Oh, of course we are.
We're
Yeah.
the best in the world.
And with the gaps
We're
they've
the
got,
best in the
it is.
That's what makes me laugh about these 351s and the 357s.
Exactly,
It's like,
quite.
They're never going to be on time.
My mate's got a theory. He says that the stalls are going to open at this time. If your horse is in the stalls, you can run. If not, tough luck. And I think that's absolutely right.
I would actually love that.
Perhaps
I
someone
actually
might like
would.
to
It's
tell
my
Irad
pet
Ortiz that after yesterday. That was a
Oh,
big story,
Irad-
wasn't it? Well, look, we'll get to all this, but we've got to go to the Queen Mary. It's a 2-year-old fillies. It is the third. Have we had two 2-year-old races? So was this the second one? Have we had one yesterday?
Country.
They move them all around, don't they? This is the
Coventry.
second,
Just
isn't
a
it? Just a
Coventry,
cough
yeah.
yesterday.
We've got two today, haven't we?
High or low, where do you want to go with the draw? We're about to find out. Kate, Tracey, you told us you like Maria Bramwell. I like her too. Tell us the case again, please.
Yeah, Maria Bramwell, so she has, first and foremost, the experience of 2 starts to her name, which I like straight away. Winner of both of those, the first one of which at Thirsk, try to say that quicker, and that was really likeable then from her. But to go then into the listed national stakes, where the fillies don't have an overly convincing record in that, and Crispy Cat, who she beat into second in really gained fashion, is a horse I really like and I think has a bigger chance later on in the week for Ammo Racing then as well. And the attitude she showed, I just thought a Sandown 5 furlong contest there, winning that is just the most perfect trial then to go into the Queen Mary, again, back against her own sex here. So she just looks a really fair price with the good form, with the good experience to her name. And as I say, a daughter of James Garfield, who, for all that he himself was not exactly the most prolific of horses as a racehorse.
Yeah, he's doing well as a sire.
Unbelievable with his first crop. So what I'm going to do with our first bet then of the day is I'm just going to side with Maria Bramwell, first and foremost, in the win market on the exchange. They're going to have £25 win. And then because of the unknown variables that, of course, we have in this, and the beauty of the exchange is that we have the option of picking our places in. So the 4 places on offer as well. I'm going to go to that market here too instead of the 3. Side with Maria Bramwell there, and I'm just going to have our remaining £25 on her in that market as well.
Once again, you could have just listened, couldn't you?
Brilliant.
Well, I
Baz
was
is in trouble here, isn't
I
he?
was going to jump in. I'm not that fussed on Maria Bramwell. I think I didn't like the race at Sandown.
Did you not?
No.
Really?
just
See, I
didn't
really
it.
like that Crispy.
I don't like Crispy Cat, and she's getting the £5.
You're getting the niceties out of the way, Matt.
No.
Trust me. You jump in on this show, and it's what we do.
And I know
She doesn't miss a beat, does she?
I know an average
Walking for a
filly can
living.
win. I know an
Kate
average
could
filly
do
can
everything
win
on
the
this
national
show.
stakes.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I like her.
Sorry, just on James Garfield, did he run a really good race in the Cheshire?
It was the Gredleys, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he ran a really good race behind something ever so smart in his
Oh, he
2-year-old
did.
Royal Ascot race, and I followed him
have
after
a
that.
look. Let's
Let me
find
have
I
a
out
was
look.
what that
always
is.
a big fan
Let's
of
get him
James
up.
Garfield.
Wasn't it Royal Ascot?
He did. He ran a
I
blind
think
of
it might have been the
in-
Cheshire behind an
butchers.
Aiden winner. I
know
can't
that.
remember,
He's
but
second in the.
He ran behind Sound of Silence in the Windsor Castle.
That was a Godolphin, wasn't it?
yeah.
And then he ran up against Expert Eye.
Yeah, it's decent. It's almost going in, you know, Dave.
Are they? All right, let's go down there because we've got Wesley Wardhorse here. I quite like Maria Bramwell. I like the fact that she was green and still beat Crispy Cat, who would have been upsized pretty much, maybe Blackbeard in the commentary. I just thought a price you would like. Matt, where are we going?
I've had a good bet on Dramatised. I think she's one of the bets of the day. I think she's going to come through strong, and I love the new market run. It's brilliant.
And Tudor
She's
gets
slowly
on her,
away.
of course, because he
Yeah.
rides of
He's
good
in red off
logistics.
form.
He loves this track. He won the Wolverton yesterday, a couple of years ago.
It
We
was
thought he
his
was going to
third
be top
straight
jock.
Royal Ascot win, wasn't it? Didn't he win the last two yesterday?
Last night, yeah.
Did he? Won the last?
Because you were
last
only
one?
in here
Oh, of
watching
course,
it, weren't
yeah,
you?
well, exactly, yeah. I was in the bar at that point, don't worry about
Won the
that.
last two, so he's going for a
Deep
hat trick.
And that's his second Wolverton win. You like Dramatised as well?
I do very much. I just think that run was absolutely superb. I think with the American horse, Wesley Ward, 2 from 25, two of his last 25 2-year-olds over here have won. That's pretty poor, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think they're
consider
just
where they
getting
came
over.
from.
This could be really good, this thing, but I don't know. I just think they hit that. The way they're trained and the way they campaign, they're not really cut out
Did you see
for
it's keen?
5 furlongs when they go
Did you
up.
see its debut win?
No.
Oh, it was
Keen.
electric.
I heard it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's round the bend. This is
Exactly.
straight
It's a
course,
different game, this.
I'd say it's got a lead.
This is where he runs his best 2-year-old traditionally. This is the Lady Aurelia colours. And the market, it has been fairly solid for her, and a couple of his ones later on are drifting out, actually. But this has been strong, Kate.
No, it has completely behind Love Reigns there. She has been, because obviously everyone is acknowledging Wesley Ward's record then in this race. As Bruce said, that his record with the 2-year-olds, actually, they are over bet in general.
massively.
But in this race then in particular, we know his record in
Golden
it.
Pell was strong yesterday, wasn't he?
Pardon?
Golden Pell was strong.
Yeah.
Yes, he was,
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Matt, can I ask you a question about this? If you're in your bunker now, obviously the in-running sexy horse is Love Reigns. What would your strategy be?
I'd wait to see if Love Reigns breaks. If she didn't break, I'd almost forget about her.
Right.
Like Golden Power yesterday.
Yeah, because I know Radotti's is a brilliant jockey, but the way he guns them if he misses the break, he doesn't do that in America. He sits and waits. But over here, he's just...
Why did he do that yesterday? Why
There's
did
a
he get-
theory
So what
that
are you gonna
Golden
do?
Power can only win by going
so
hard, you know.
I'd see if Love Reigns breaks. If she broke, then I'd be watching her. If she didn't, I'd totally forget about her. I'd be having my eyes on Dramatised, and just horses in behind like Maria Bramwell, even though I haven't given her much of a chance. But
She's next door in 16,
finish.
So
isn't
would you
she?
think about putting up a lay at some point, or would you be looking to back her if she's got the lead?
No, I'd be looking to lay the Wesley Ward horse early doors if she missed a kick, but you'd probably have to lay bigger than what a lot bigger than what she is at the moment. Probably go in at 8 or something like that. And just because I wouldn't fancy her at 8 million if she misses the break.
Right.
Well, I'd have a little bit on her 8 million. But you just got to play it. And
It's hard to know with the 2-year-olds, Matt, isn't it? Their usual run styles because it's obviously so early in their career. But is that something that you look for, in the trade?
Definitely,
because they always go shorter, don't they? As soon as they're in front, basically.
Yeah. And this will go really short if she breaks fast because they'll think that the race is over.
So could you put up a lay at say 1.3? Thinking she's bowling on in front, everyone's going to think that she's got this in the bag. But once she hits that uphill final section, she could go.
You could do that, but she's not a typical American bred. She's European bred. She's bred to like this.
Okay.
You know?
There's been more to put on the track, of course. We'll be finding out whether you want to be high. Traditionally, when the sun shines, you remember up until Hunt Cup time when Real Well came and destroyed Astro King Hopes last year. He's a big player again, isn't he? By the way, you couldn't win on the far side, according to the going stick. If you're of these mines, it's the far side which is marginally faster. Kills was banging on about the fact that far rail was like Lingfield yesterday, the Golden Highway. Coltrane came up it, of course, didn't he? Caribus as well,
The trouble is, though, Dave, you've really got to gamble if you want that, haven't you? Particularly on the round course.
And will they go there in this sort of race? It's quite a move, isn't it, over there?
Yeah, well, Caribus was there anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In this race, I don't know.
Yeah, so as all the jocks will tell you, you want to try and follow the right horse, so they'll be looking big time for a rad early opening beats.
What do you think of Katie Content?
Yeah, well, she's unbeaten for a firm that wins this, aren't they?
Yeah, she's a good filly.
Yeah, I think that was one of, if not the quickest 2-year-old time in recent years at Windsor, wasn't it? On her under the penalty second time out, which was, considering what was it, only 3 rivals she had to contend with.
That was 4 in the race.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
There isn't much of her physically, but
she's tiny.
She's rapid. I mean, Keels was talking about this race being substandard. But it's not. To me, it's a great race.
Isn't there something like 13 last time out winners or something? It's something ridiculous, isn't it? We were talking about it on Monday.
The pace is a bit of a concern, though, for Katie Content. I mean, of course, we don't know fully yet because none of these have fully shown their hand. But there's an awful lot that we have seen that gun straight away from the front.
It was a bit surprising yesterday that even in the first race, when Ryan Moore tried to get Order of Australia stand side, again, he hung a bit, but they ended up right down the middle. The jocks love the middle of this track. And it's not until one of them actually goes right on the rail.
Yeah,
that's when they all sort of, like lemmings, they tend to follow over a little bit. Right, we're cooking with gas here on RP Live.
I better learn some colours.
It is Dave Orton, Matt Williams making his debut today. Already some great strong opinions there. Bruce Millington getting ready to call. I mean, it's an easy start for you, Bruce. And Kate Tracey brilliantly repping for Betfair. Let's have some fun. Let us know you're out there. We know that all the tweets and the comments are coming in thick and fast. We will do our best to get to you. How many we've got left?
Still plenty to go in. And chip in, Matt, as well. If you think I'm struggling, which I will be.
Look at all the Ammo Racing colours. There's all 5 of them.
Yeah,
it's so your Ammo Racing hats.
I know, yeah.
It's interesting. It's money for this other Carl Burke horse, isn't it? Pillow Talk, who was just touched off by Pillow Talk, at York.
Yarsa.
What do you make of when you see? I mean, they've got the hot favourite. This dramatised well backed at Newmarket.
The yard's mad about this dramatised. If that goes and beats it, then I'll be absolutely.
Yarsa is short, isn't it? 8.6 years.
Coming in, that would be the steamer, I would imagine. Again on the far side, but we've got a hot pot then.
Love Reigns has drifted 5 now on the exchange.
Is that right?
Unpopular.
So we're trying to get a look. Oh, she's
dramatised solid enough.
Lots said about Golden Pal going in first yesterday as well, wasn't it? These trainers, they buy a ticket to go in last. Wes just wouldn't give a monkeys about any of that.
Maria Bramwell, Katie Content, both quite weak.
I see Manhattan Jungle's prices holding. That's one I had a little look at. I know that with 3 runs under a belt, you kind of think she's probably...
What about the ground? Once off the ground, do you think?
I don't
know. Interesting jockey booking, isn't it?
We don't know.
Barcelona, Framey Murphy.
Just because they show form on one type, until they don't do it on the other.
Here we go, first race of the day.
Here we go then. They are off and running in the 5 furlong. Queen Mary, let's see how the Favs come. Yeah, she's leading. Love, it's not the Fav. Love Reigns is out and in front, but not going absolutely crazy. On the near side, Primrose Ridge is going well. Also down the level is Grand Oak. Dramatise is trailing the American filly Love Reigns.
Once again, they don't want to know the stands rail.
Lady Tilbury going okay. Yeah, they're all coming down the middle, and we've also got Yarsat going well.
Pushing a bit
on
around.
The far side. Yeah, I'm not so sure about Love Reigns now.
She's what
Katie Content goes well. It's dramatised.
Dramatising behind.
She's in great.
Yeah.
Go on, Dramatise.
Also going well up there is
Primrose Ridge. Maria's running well. Go on, Dramatise.
Dramatise on the near side.
Here we go.
Here comes Maylancy.
Go on, Dramatise. Dramatised.
Bramwell's the danger.
Here comes
Dramatise.
Far side. Dramatise.
Mile and Sea.
Dramatise from Mail and Sea, but dramatise.
Matt Willis.
Dramatise.
That's the one! Have a good day!
Well done, Matt Williams. 1 from 1. He can go home. I've no idea what was placed there whatsoever. I think Maylands and Sea was there as well. Look at that. I can promise you that's water in there. It may be champagne if he keeps going.
I'm sure I said that was a certainty.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah,
did.
yeah, Matt, look, you even get the honour of the trophy. Look, I should have given you that as well.
Mayland Sea is second.
I'll tell you what.
Mayland Sea second. Maria
Sweating there as
Bramwell.
well. That'll be gone in a minute.
Maria might be third. I tell you, Love Reigns has got either third or fourth there. It's very close there. But,
Oh,
that
it's great
was
fun in the
well
studio.
done,
Fair
mate.
play, heart on sleeve. That's what we do on this show. Genuine, like money where your mouth is. But Kate, that must have gone low a long way out because Matty called it 2 out.
Yeah.
The Fab was paddling, wasn't it, with her? And
I called it half an hour ago, actually. I'll take the 2 hours.
It's all live on TV, Matt. It's great to have Matt back.
And I am a
Honestly, he's
big
the right
head, by
dude
the
for
way.
us today.
When I'm right, everyone's banging trouble. They get the little thing.
What was the
keep it
biggest she
rolling.
went in running, Kate, just out of interest?
6.6, she went out of the stalls, pretty much, and that was it.
Sorry,
then.
we've got you
As
in here.
soon
You'd
as-
have,
She was
Yeah,
so...
quite, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cost him 20 grand.
sorry to put a downer on your nap of the meeting.
No, I had a
but,
little bet on it before on pre-race, so...
Yeah,
hey, listen,
great. Well, that's
it's
what-
nice to have a day out.
Of course, we're watching with a delay in here, as you know, because all
How did
people
she
all over the
break?
place. But so Matt's not doing that today, but he will
All right,
talk you through the
all right,
running
yeah,
plays.
she was a lot slower away at Newmarket.
What were the actual places, Bruce? Give us some decor on
Well,
there.
look, so definitely we know that obviously Dramatised won. Second was Mayland Sea for Michael Bell. It's very close to third between Maria Branwell, who I think has just touched off Love Reigns. One of the Ammo Racing...
She ran a
there
good
she go,
race.
yeah. One of the Ammo Racing horses was fifth, I think. But really, really decent win that, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, the money came for it on debut, didn't it, at Newmarket? That form has worked out well because the horse she beaten has gone and won its 2 subsequent starts. Clipper Logistics, big players, as we know. They've got some proper ammo, haven't they? And the Cold Burkyard, again, the market got it right. Punters loving this.
I thought
aren't
the
they?
other one, actually, I thought the stablemate was going to figure in the finish at
Yes,
one time,
that's
but
other
just
side, yeah.
petered out. Do you think there's anything from the draw there, Matt, looking at that?
Oh, I don't know. Not really. The sort of middle-ish, isn't it?
I would
That's it.
potentially mark up the runner-up, guys, because it's had to break on its
Did a
own
lot of
low
running,
pace
yeah.
that side.
Did a
It
lot
was a
of
little
running.
bit away from, and again, unbeaten for Michael Bell, Mayland and Sea. And if you're talking about syndicates that do well, Midland Park are right up there.
Brilliant,
They've had some boom horses, haven't they, over the years? David Egan, a big ride for him as well. Well, look, we'll pick the bones out about that. Who was with Matty then, and Bruce? The trophy, we should say, should be in the middle, actually.
Yeah,
shouldn't
thank
it?
you, Dave.
Sorry, mate.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. The only reason he's tipped it up is because I told him yesterday.
End the contest. I'll tell you what, I've had Bruce falling off a chair.
This is going to be a long show.
It's going to be a long show. I've had Nat and Rosie
Just
doing
the water.
decibels we never knew that existed, when we were getting excited yesterday. But that was the first up and down.
That was a good one,
We
that.
had Big Bears in here, of course, giving it the large. So we were cooking with gas this Wednesday. We go up to the 5:35 for you, basically. That's Little Big Bear. Inns in the Forest. There's another one after we go off air. But yeah, look, let's pick the bones out of this a little bit. It was very, very straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, she was from green in front, maybe a little bit. Might have idled the
She's a funny one for hanging. She hung left at Newmarket when she won, but she doesn't stop her galloping forward, does it? She's just class.
The Wes horse ran a funny race, didn't it? It was
Very
back a little bit.
I'd see her still in there at the finish.
Yeah.
Because he was niggling her halfway.
It is scorching at Ascot. It's scorching here in the studio as well. And look, who was with it? Come on, let's build up the socials. Let's see who was with it. Who's got it in any multiples? Let's hear about that. Your lucky 15s. Here we
Danny
go.
Todd Hope multiples,
Who's coming
maybe.
up? And Mike Navarro. He's in the States, Mike is. Dramatised. Wow. A horse with a bright future, says Mike. Remind us where you are, Mike. We had loads of international viewers. Of course, we've got the Prince of Wales coming up at 3:20. Japan, Shariaf. We've got France in there as well. And we've got another one as well, haven't we? Who's in there, of course, whose name escapes me because I'm only thinking about one horse in that. Like a lot of people are today, I think.
Grand Glory, yeah.
So how are punters faring basically on the week now? Of course, Cleveland in the last race was always going to be over bet, really, especially after Coltrane won the Ascot Stakes, but that was touched off, wasn't it? Was it sort of even Stevens a bit yesterday?
I think it probably was.
Yeah.
The double landed, didn't it, obviously?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Bay
exactly,
Caribas.
I'd say they're ahead now, though.
I've had the
Oh,
mug.
yeah.
I had the mug treble, by the way, by Caribas and Bay Bridge.
Right, okay.
So we've got that running on.
So that's what I want to hear. Who's got running ups? This is the week, isn't it, where we see knock-on effects of prices, horses' form being advertised. In the Coventry, we saw Wallbank all of a sudden in the first race tomorrow in the Norfolk crash in price. It was fancied anyway. We got all that going on. Home Affairs was 9-2 before Nature Strip won yesterday, and all of a sudden we're looking at, he really ought to be nearly winning that. They are different class, these Aussie sprinters, aren't they?
How far behind is he, the one that won yesterday?
They were short head when they met at Flemington in the Lightning Stakes earlier in the year. I'm a bit of a nerd for this Australian racing, and Nature Strip was the one that they were expecting that day. He missed the break a little bit and found a bit of trouble. Yeah. Not far behind him. He's a Coolmore horse, of course. He's definitely the 6 furlong specialist. He'll love the straight track. Hard to see him being.
Did you know that Dave used to be the commentator at Randwick?
No, I thought he'd mentioned that in one of his shows, because he normally would.
You know me, I probably normally would. There's lots of things that get mentioned about me.
That's one of the least
That's something else, that.
Do you know what I used to do there? I used to announce the horses going out onto the track. So he said, we haven't got time. Well, we probably have got time.
Go ahead, how would you get into that then?
So
tell us. Do us a favour, give us a blow.
I could do the story 10 times and no one would probably notice. I went to Sydney, basically. I was only supposed to be there for a weekend. And we were travelling through to New Zealand, and we met some pals there, and we were like, this is all right. And we got an apartment. A mate of mine was a chippy, and he needed to get some work. I'd done the honourable thing and worked in bookies and saved up, right? And that's where my love for racing kind of got into it. And he was at work all day. I was, night owls when you're travelling, aren't you? You know that. Your son's been down in Victoria, of course. It's a party town, isn't it? When you're young, that's why you go to. It's so sociable. When you're travelling, you're a bit like Dick Whittington, aren't you? Things happen to you that never usually happen when you're on normal holiday. You meet people. I think the first night I was there, I played at Kylie Minogue's 40th. I was a bongo player back in the day.
What is happening?
You don't know this.
I don't know anything.
He was basement.
think he's making
He
this
played
up,
the
surely.
he played the bongos for basement.
That makes you a musician, by the way. The
He was
bongo.
basement
does,
Jack's his percussionist.
So, in their very early days, I was.
True.
Wow.
It didn't end well, by the way. If you're listening out there, it didn't end great. But, so I managed to get talked into that. I had no sleep. I come over from Thailand and I played. And it turned out I was in this club and the top level, Kylie Minogue was having her 40th, and in Sydney, she's the queen, Yeah. So that happened to me. Then I was in a hostel and some chap was coming round, we were just chatting, having a beer, and he said, love the accent. He goes, like, any work? And of course I had no visa for work and all that sort of thing, if you're listening immigration. But I went down and for a bit of cash, and I was very bored, I just started doing some emceeing. So I was like, onto the track comes, Lonhro, and it was actually Lonhro's year as well. Wow. So I got to meet the Waterhouses, all that sort of stuff, and I spent most of my next 6 months in Sydney at Randwick.
So where's Randwick in the league?
Randwick is like in the middle of a housing estate.
What is it for us? What sort of track would you compare it to? What level? Is it at Ascot, Sandown?
Oh, it is an Ascot.
Yeah.
Royal Randwick.
So
they've got an inside track as
Beautiful old
well.
grandstand, haven't they? Gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. What track would it be like? I suppose it's like Sandown. They're a lot flatter, aren't they? Of course. The big thing about Home Affairs, if you're thinking about him, on Saturday, a lot of people were saying yesterday, straight track, these Ascot stiff tracks are going to beat the horses. Chris he is a genius. He's the Australian Aidan O'Brien. He thought about it so much yesterday. I just knew, and I said this pre-race, they're not going to take each other on. Nature Strip can take a lead. It's just he's the fastest horse that Waller's ever trained. Nothing can go with him in Australia. And they're still ahead of us. It was great to see, by the way, wasn't it? Them coming up and winning. Massively important for the game internationally.
I mean, Golden Pal didn't run his race, but if he ran his best race, he's still not.
He wasn't going to get near him, was he? That was bridal job. They had a helmet cam on Sky. Did you see it? The horse was following him. I can't remember who it was. And it was.
I'll tell you what, though, Dave. Great though that win was. The sprint scene over here.
It's gone down, isn't it?
Goodness me. I mean,
it's rubbish.
We're supposed to be worried about the stayers and the middle distance horses all getting exported. Where on earth are the sprinters?
Yeah. You're quite right. I was listening to Kills on our Good Morning Ascot show this morning. He said they've always been way ahead of us. Actually, because of the Commonwealth Cup, as we were talking about on this show yesterday, we had the likes of Muhara, and it was because of Batash that he then went down that route. They don't all get stretched out. We've got the Commonwealth Cup on Friday, of course. Where do you sit with Perfect Power? He's doing a Muhara. He tried, a trial. He actually won the Greenham, which Muhara came for. But he's the miler coming back in trip against the sprinters. They'll be fancying Carl Bokes at El Caballo now if he turns up, won't he?
He's an improving horse, but they just look different class, don't they? He's probably got half a dozen.
But we're missing the Caravaggios. We're missing the Blue Points time, aren't we? We've lost Batash, obviously. The sprinters are much
I
of a
mean,
muchness.
they're proper sprinters, aren't they? But
Twilight Calls would be the best of ours, I think, on that performance yesterday, but we'll see what the Platinum Jubilee, of course.
he was in an improving handicap last year. It's like we're making a big deal out of it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I wasn't with him yesterday. There was a lot of love for him each way, wasn't there? And he ran a good race,
Yeah, he did
obviously.
run a good race.
I still love the Acclam Express.
That was marvellous. Imagine Nigel Tinkler at the
Was it
track
200 to
yesterday.
1?
200,
He
yeah.
did.
What's that rated? 52?
It was 100. It was a low
He's running
one.
a soda at Beverley on it.
Yeah, all right. So
Sorry, I
let's
don't
get
mean
a
to
social up.
disrespect
We're having
you.
great fun.
It's our best
individual
sponsor at
races.
the minute.
MI comes back on and says Nature Strip was impressive, but it beat Trees. I mean, if it hadn't been for the loose horse, I mean, the loose horse story was a bit. Thank goodness that was a non-runner. Did you see James Mack's comment? He was like, I wondered what was on. Well, who's this loose horse?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, there's no jockey on it.
Yeah, quite.
It was like Knight Rider, wasn't it? It was just Kit, wasn't it? So
And he couldn't even get past Nature Strip then, even without a jockey on his
couldn't,
ticket.
no.
I mean, he did beat Trees, but they're the best we've got.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
And
just
then,
so
and then for Golden Power, I
disappointing.
know it went wrong for him, but are we finally starting to? Because there is an air of snobbery in this country about the international contingent. We are in no position in this country to be snobby about anything. And we know the rise of Japanese racing, the money that they have there, the focus on the middle distance breeding, the buying that they have for us. I mean, so we saw at the London sale there, on Monday, sort of the Who Your Mouths and everything being outsourced. But also the fact that we used to associate with the Australia just with their sprinters and that they were brilliant. Was it 10 years, I think, since Australia last had a Royal Ascot winner? But even with Australia now, we cannot afford to be snobby about even their middle distance horses. They're all forces to be reckoned with, and we need to wake up sooner rather than
Well, the
later.
shuttle stallions are increasing their middle distance, and of course, because of the ridiculous quarantine that they put on our horses, what you have to go through, we can't win the Melbourne Cup.
No, it's got a bit better this year.
It has. It
But it's
has
still
abated
not
slightly.
great. It's still put everyone
Yesterday,
off.
58.44 he ran, and I said that's got to be near a track record. He was the first Australian horse since a Black Caviar in 2012. Obviously, not many have tried since a prize money, all different facts in Hong Kong. But that's the great thing about Nature Strip. The owners didn't care about that, Bruce, did they at all? It was just the prestige. You saw them with their top hats flinging it off. That's what they wanted to do.
I'll tell you what, this Chris Waller as well, he campaigns him over here. He's an incredible guy, like media-wise. When Lee Mottershead first went down to Australia to cover the Melbourne Cup, because we send someone every year, he rang Chris Waller up to try and get some quotes. He said, look, it's Lee Mottershead, you don't know me, I'm over from the Racing Post. I was just wondering if it'd be possible just to have a quick word with you about your horse. I can't remember which one it was. 20 minutes later, Waller rings back. I'm so sorry I missed your call, Lee. Really sorry. What do you want? Do you want to come around and have some lunch? Do you want to have a chat? Oh, wow. It was honestly, he said, and Lee was like used to dealing with some of the trainers who were a little bit
Like Stouty and that. We love Stouty, but he wouldn't do that, would he?
He was absolutely bowled
Imagine
over. Lee
being
was
the
thinking,
editor
that is mad.
Of the Racing Post down there, Bruce, you would have been a god.
Yeah.
You know, they would have loved you because they treat the media so differently.
would have loved you
They
down
have
there.
to play the game down there
Do
differently.
they? They do. They are really good with the media,
You
aren't
know, a part of their licence when they sign up, they have to talk about beating horses coming back, and we
Yeah,
tried
well, that's
it a
right.
bit, didn't we?
They tried the beating horses on ITV, didn't they?
just-
It didn't work well.
beep, beep, beep. Yeah.
It was more
Broadcast
like
that.
beating reporters.
I tried, absolutely. But the track record is an Australian horse. It was Miss Andretti. She broke 58 seconds for the Freedmans. And I did say yesterday, Nature Strip is their best sprinter over the last couple of years, but he's nothing compared to the Caviars and the Miss Andretti. They have had some unbelievable... You know, the need
He's
for
won like
speed
10
down there
million,
is
10
different.
million bucks or 10 million quid.
I think he...
So he's got to be...
Chris Cook was writing about how much prize money he increased his career by, and it was a smidgen, wasn't it? It was 280 grand basically. So
Talking of money, Dave, we've just seen Tudhope go and collect his trophy for winning the first race. That's 3 on the
3 in a
trot.
row,
He's
yeah.
back
leading
to
jockey.
doing
For
good.
3 different
What year
yards.
did this
What's on in
happen? When he, of course, he was winning all those races, wasn't he? He won on a Dave, didn't he? When it peed down that year for Haggis, and he won a couple of others as well. He just seems to ride the straight track and the round track extremely well, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Are you a big jockey's judge as a punter?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah.
It's properly important to
It
you.
always has been, yeah.
And who are your 3 kind of jockeys who you might rate a little bit more than common consensus?
All right, so Ryan Moore is right at the top of the tree, in my opinion now. I think he had 5 years in the wilderness. You know, he wasn't getting on the right horses at Ballydoyle for a long while. He kept picking the wrong ones, or he was getting the wrong ones picked for him. And it just seemed to me like he wasn't, you know, at his best the way we seen him 10 years ago. The last 2 years, I think he's right back to his best. I think he's right at the top of the tree. You know, then you got a load of lads under him. Will Buick's brilliant jockey. Ocean Murphy, much missed, but he'll be back next year. He's really good as well.
But is there anyone
David
who
Orton.
isn't sort of necessarily
Do you
a
want me
big
to say
name
someone
that
who I
you
don't
like? No. Well, we can do that. But is there one who's sort of from the slightly next echelon down who you particularly? I asked this question to Tom Siegel a few years ago. He says Kingscote. I love Kingscote, and this was when Kingscote wasn't
Before he
really
was-
a big deal. It hadn't won the
Exposed
Derby.
jockey, basically.
So Kingscote, yeah, I think he's a really solid jockey, but I think I'd always think of him as a front-running jockey. I can't have him on a hold-up horse.
Get some settled.
I still can't have him on a hold-up horse. But he's just going to win the Derby with a good ride, riding Epsom the way it should have been.
Every step of that was to plan, though, wasn't it? If you
but
think about what they did in the Derby with Desert Crown, it was a trial, and this is what I like about, the Bay Bridge run at Sandown. He's going to do the identical thing again, Ryan Moore. They trial for the big race. That's what Stout does.
Yeah.
He gets his jockeys riding. A lot said about Sir Mark Prescott and Luke Morris. The reason why he has these jockeys is because they just listen to every single note he's got. Stout, he's like that as well.
Well, I think Stout, he's obviously given the right instructions. That's how you ride Epsom, isn't it? You come down the camber. Whereas Rob Hornby was awful on that.
Oh, with the
He was
unlucky...
he got away with murder. Everyone's patting him on the back.
On Westover.
That was like Greville Starkey for me in '86. It was that sort of... I don't want him to take that through his life because he's a good jockey, lovely lad.
It's
But
always the
it was a
Derby every
terrible
year,
ride.
isn't it, where we say, because we always have the big thing about Frankie not jocking off horse necessarily, but being asked by the owners to ride their horses. And, he did it again, of course, on the Donica O'Brien horse, Pisbadil or whatever. That didn't come off. But we always then say,
I love all that,
what
though.
sort of jockey do you need to win a Derby? Because we have some strange results, haven't we? Obviously, poor Ed
Serpentine.
Beggy, with all respect to him.
Yes.
But he was on a Coolmore horse.
Yeah.
We've had some strange results, haven't we? And Epsom is one of the tracks you'd think. Like we say about the all-weather tracks, the jocks call them jockey tracks. Because you have to know the nuances.
Sousa
of all that sort of
is
thing.
very well rated at Epsom, isn't he?
And
He has a
Goodwood, he
great
can't ride Ascot seemingly. So how much emphasis do you put on them? Keels wrote a piece the other day, it might have been one of his email bulletins that came out, back the horses, not the jockeys, but it's hard, when you watch as much racing as I do, probably you, Matt, as well, probably you, Bruce, probably you, Kate, as well, it's hard not to have, not your favourites, but you certainly have a bit more confidence when you see a certain name on a horse.
There's lads I don't like backing around on like, at Chester.
Yeah.
Like Jamie Spencer, massive fan of his, but I struggle to back him around Chester.
Sure, you know what you're going to get with Spencer
Yeah.
and Chester.
Again, it's
anyway.
like a
not gonna favour
point-to-point
into the
track, isn't it?
biases.
You know where they're going to quicken at certain points and all that sort of thing.
The
when
straight
they
track
go.
at Ascot, there's nobody in the world who rides it better than James
Yeah.
Spencer.
Here we go.
I just
George
want
Murray says,
him on.
don't mind if Schumacher is on one eye fancy. That was Maria
Yeah, that's a
Bamwell
good
today,
shout.
wasn't it?
That's a
And
good
again,
shout.
Stouty uses him, doesn't he? And
Callum Shepherd's a good little jockey, like him as well.
Callum
Solid.
Hutchinson rode
Yeah.
a race yesterday on Coltrane, didn't he? We've got some very good apprentices coming through, haven't we? Obviously Harry Davis,
Davis,
obviously
yeah.
Benoit,
Yeah.
did I say it? But there are some good young jocks as well, aren't there, I think, coming through.
Yeah.
So many. So many.
Yeah.
But yeah, Harry Davis, I mean, he's an absolute steal for that claim, isn't he?
He is, he
He was
is.
what, champion pony racing jockey, and then the fact he was getting those opportunities. I think it was his win at Wolverhampton where he really caught the eye a few months back. Or was it over the winter? And everyone sort of said, right, note this lad's name. And
Yeah.
he's been getting every opportunity since. He is really
He looks brilliant, doesn't he? But
Yeah.
he's going to lose that claim too quickly.
Oh,
He's
God, too
17.
quickly, yeah.
And I can see him riding now, and he's not as good as the top pros.
Yeah.
And in 6 months' time, he could be competing with them. And he could go missing for a couple. I hope he doesn't.
That's the thing
but he
about
could go
early
missing for a
success for
couple of
these
years.
claimers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is you don't want to lose it that fast.
And they manage the claims now so
Well,
much.
they're not managing him. They're
Yeah.
letting him loose on everything, it seems. So maybe they think he is the real deal, because that's what they've done with Frankie when he was a kid. They just let him loose.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like they're going to do the same with this lad.
Yeah, you watch midweek racing all the time, don't you? And do see them having their doubles and their trebles and all that sort of stuff. Ollie Dawn had a winning.
I've seen him interviewed as well. He seems a really sensible kid.
Talks properly, yeah.
Matt, I'm sure people would have heard you say there's a few I don't like and thought, oh, hang on a sec, who are them? So you're not mad on Spencer at Chester.
Yeah, just
Not obviously you've said king of the Ascot Straight, but is it as much about jockeys for courses or jockeys fundamentally sometimes?
no jockeys for courses. I think, like I said, I think Kingscote is a much better jockey on a front runner because he was not brought up at Dascombe's. A lot of their horses were ridden prominently.
Hence he suits Haydock so well, yeah.
Wolverhampton. He was
Yeah,
mustard of
Wolverhampton,
Haydock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Catchy you think about around Chester, don't you? Of course, just catch me if you can.
Yeah.
We got
By the way, one more thing. Do you know what Rob Hornby's that was going to Epsom? 1 from 50 odd. You know, and they're putting him on a fancy run in the Derby.
Over then for that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry.
He should have been a clear second. We're going to see him hopefully next weekend in the Irish Derby. We hope that's where he's going for Rafe Beckett. Toon 2020 HWTL. I had to squint for that one. Don't back to Tory for a place. Oh, here we go. This is the old adage, isn't it, guys? Because he downs tools if he can't win. Look at his ride on Stowell yesterday.
That horse has got a win problem. He's had a history of win problems. So I don't
A lot's
really
made
blame him
about
for
that, though,
one.
Matt, isn't it? If you back one for the places, and Frankie sniffs that a lot of his not being a hard on the horse, the connections probably quite like it, don't they? You know, you would imagine, but it does seem to be certain jockeys get pigeonholed for certain things like that.
Yeah, with the Tour, he's just such a fluent rider, and it looks like he's not trying even when he's winning. Do you know what I mean? He's not. He doesn't.
He wouldn't be one for the bashing.
He doesn't go to the whip much.
That's what the Americans
So it just
don't
looks
get
a bit
him.
worse than what it probably is. I know what your man's saying, but
Visually, because Hughesy used to get that as well, didn't he?
yeah,
Very much so.
I think it counted with Hughes though. I know Hughes quite well. Yeah.
He's got one today, isn't he? He's got one today. I think.
I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you went to see it work, didn't you?
I watched it work on
You didn't
Friday
give me the name
morning.
on Friday, but I didn't fish for it actually.
He's just a look. He's just a
And then I
lovely-
saw 1 from 1, and then I saw Tom Segala put him up, and I thought he's been talking to his old pal probably because he's come back in.
No, I hadn't spoken to him about it, but
Yeah,
he's
that's
a nice
Nebworth,
horse.
by the way, in the last. Anyway, we'll get to that. Look, there's the market then for the 305. We just had the 5 furlong burn up for the 2-year-olds. What did you make of that? Before we move on, could I give you a quick Carl Burke comment? Danny got off and said keep her at 5.
Oh, really?
But I'm sure she'll stay 6 pre-Morney.
Yeah,
looks
because
the
I was thinking
target.
Pre-Morney or Duchess of Cambridge.
I think she's a 6
Thanks,
furlong for
Newmarket.
himself.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 6 furlongs.
Yeah, you got Princess
Duchess of
Margaret.
Cambridge
She's
at-
probably a bit better than that.
At
isn't she?
Newmarket in July. I thought that
Programme
was...
book. See, I'm with
Oh,
programme bookers here today.
unbelievable, honestly.
I love to map them out.
This guy.
I'm the same, mate.
Yeah, happy
You
days.
train
You can
him
come
and
back,
everything.
Matt. Honestly, if
Yeah.
you
No
do
waiting on that
commentaries,
call then.
there's a
Matt.
job on this show for you.
You finally got someone who can answer your where will it go next question, because he asked me, I'm like, I don't know.
Don't ask him about the paddock either. Did you go and did you try and look at horses
Yeah,
yesterday?
we did. We did, because I like doing that.
Did they all just look like horses?
They always do. They always do. There are brown ones and grey ones,
but
and they're
surely
all the same size.
That Australian wouldn't have looked like the others.
All would have.
He looked like Arnold
All look the
Schwarzenegger.
same.
Couldn't believe
Nat
it.
said that.
But
we
they
got
all
that in
do.
here.
All look the same.
Just look.
Yeah.
But he is a 7-year-old, is he? So he's a
Yeah, well, he's a big
Yeah.
old, but I think probably if you were like Acapulco.
Dramatised won't be winning the Guineas, will he?
No,
you know what I
I
mean?
don't think so.
That's the
No, I
thing
mean,
about
well,
the
especially
Queen
not if
Mary.
Danny's saying keep it to 5. Danny does
Yeah.
ride, of course. Here we go. Chris Timms joins us back. Chris, good man. Anchorage for me in the next. Looks sure to improve for the extra distance. I'll give you a word on him. I totally agree. Will it be the top tip? Let's find out after Kate gives us his trade and the story of the market.
Yeah, story of the market then, when we have Eldar Eldarov, which is a name that I keep struggling with for some reason. But this is a wide open race, and the market's been reflective of that, to be honest, the whole way through. He's at 3.75 at the minute from Nahani, 5.8. Anchorage then 9.4, Haffit 10s, and then bigger the rest. But it's been steady away there. I've just been keeping one eye on it, and really not much action whatsoever. So it is a pretty weak Queen's Vase. We spoke about this earlier on. I think I'm not entirely sure we're going to get our St. Ledger horse out of this necessarily, but...
Well, we'll see.
Oh, really? Wow, someone's
We'll
confident
see.
then
Got
on
one of
this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
well, Kate.
Look forward to hearing this compelling case about. I have no
Your
idea.
record in the ledge is amazing.
Here comes maybe the first head-to-head of the day. What's the trade for everyone out there?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to take advantage of the money back special in this race. We have it on the exchange and on the sports book as well. £10 maximum stake, then you get your money back as a free bet if your horse fails to place. So I'm going to take a chance on Haffit, who's a horse that divides opinion here. And he's a really interesting horse because he costs an absolute
I'm with you, Kate, on
fortune.
this, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, that worked out. No, actually, we were against each other in the first race, so this is good style. Yeah, in the first time cheap pieces here, seemingly the second string because James Doyle is taking the ride. Cost 2.1 million guineas, I believe, as a yearling. One on his debut, but has run in better races than since that in defeat. He was a disappointing favourite last time out, but I can forgive that with the cheap pieces, obviously for the yard that won this last year with Kamari. So I'm going to play this with a straight bat with our maximum stake there at his current price. Oh, not 19. £10. There we go. And if he fails to place, then I get my money back as a free bet.
There you go. Job done.
Wrapped up with a bow. We've got to go to you because this is the moment.
This is the moment for Eldar Eldarov.
Yes.
Named after a Russian MMA cage fighter.
When did you look that up?
Saturday.
I'm wondering because you've been keen on this horse for a long
I
time.
assumed he was some sort of like, Attila the Hun or sort of Edward the Great, some sort of historical warrior. Exactly. He's a 29-year-old
Bit more
cage
recent.
fighter. But anyway, the point is, he's the bet of the week, okay? Brilliant.
The bet of the week.
Yeah,
that's
really
great.
nice.
Wow.
Really nice debut run last year at Nottingham. Looked really, really decent. Came back out
Newcastle.
and ran at Newcastle and ran really, really... I thought it was a spectacular win, that. And the race is actually decent. This Honiton that finished third has come out and won by 9 lengths.
everything's placed
The
as well,
form's
really.
decent there. I just think he looks like... Everyone always goes on about the stout improvers, but I think this guy, Varian's a proper
You
trainer.
love Rog, don't you?
I love the Rog. I think he's...
Do ya?
Yeah, I do. He's
Wow.
excellent. You're not a fan?
I think he's, pound for pound, he's
Pound for pound to use a UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It's all factoring in now.
Anyway, okay. Well, anyway.
Does he deliver on the big stage?
Anyway, Elder off. Don't worry about Rog. He's going to be. I think he's the coming force. Do you know what? 3 of the last 10 winners of this have gone on to win the Ascot Gold Cup in the last 10 years.
Name
them.
Stradivarius.
Yeah.
Last 10
Cantona.
years.
What was the other one? Stradivarius. I should know
Kew
this.
Gardens and Estimate.
Estimates, of course. That's the one you forget.
Queens,
Funny enough,
yeah.
I was talking about the strength of the Queen's Vase. I said it's becoming weaker, and she was mentioned, of course, as one that gave it strength.
Well, Strad won it, like I say. So anyway, I think this horse is going to win this nice and easily and then go on to bigger and better things. Possibly the Ledger, possibly the Gold Cup next year. But I think that this is the day where people stop worrying about how to pronounce or what it means or who he's named after. This is Elder, folks. I love him.
And you gave us a 10-second tip, so if you're watching that yesterday, you were seeing the price last night was around about 9-2, wasn't it? They've come for it. They've also come for Roger Varian's big time in the Hunt Cup, haven't they? And again, it's a yard that when the money's... If you see drifters from Roger's yard, you tend to... Because they are probably a yard like to have a go.
He has lots of big winners, doesn't he? But he's got 200 horses. Do you know what I mean? He's got to... I think, he needs some of these classics, doesn't he? But this isn't a classic.
He's a formidable
I
man
like
to chat to,
Bruce's argument.
Do you know what, as well about Roger Varian? One of the nicest of the big name trainers. Really,
He seems it.
really.
Is he?
I like him
I
so
take
much.
it back, then
honestly.
he's a great trainer.
He's a really nice
On
fellow.
camera, it's almost easier to get a laugh out of Aidan O'Brien than it is of Rog.
Yeah, but they're
Very
not
cool and
comedians, are they? You know, they're
Of course not,
trainers.
but I am. So
I don't.
clown interview.
Ryan's
I
saying,
wouldn't
isn't
go
it?
Get
and
the
see the
social.
William
Here we
Haggas
go.
film
Here we
with
go.
the lad, you know?
Eldarov in the next. He's a fighter, like his
That's it.
name.
Well done,
there we
Paul.
go.
Good judge, Paul.
All the puns are coming
Paul
out
knows.
now.
Paul's one of our regulars. Great to have you back with us, Paul, this week. Great numbers watching. Brilliant feedback yesterday. We've got the Japanese horse running soon, so we're expecting a spike. If you're out there, konnichiwa, by the way. Welcome along. If you're wondering what this is, it's Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange and the Sportsbook. Kate Tracey is trading for Barry today. We've got Bruce Millington, the editor of the Racing Post. I say ex-editor, You're now, of course, we should remind that you are very much still part of the operation.
Yeah. I basically
GSD?
I run all the content for the two-legged competitors.
When I joined the post, he was sports editor, weren't you?
I was
Keels
sports
was his deputy. When I walked in my first day, it was like... It was superstars everywhere.
You were right, okay. There
and then
you
he
go.
met me
Was
and
it?
Keels.
I walked in,
talent.
there
And you turned the corner.
Bruce was there with Keels as his deputy.
Yeah.
Can you remember what the first thing he said to me was about Keels?
How old do you reckon he is,
Yeah,
mate?
I do, yeah.
Because Keels, bless him,
It was 20 years ago. He looks 2 years older now.
he always has looked
Yeah.
quite senior, hasn't he?
Yeah, he
bless him?
did, yeah.
But at least he's maintained it then.
No, it's
right,
gone
no.
up.
It's
still
gone up with it.
Yeah,
Oh.
Looks
absolutely.
great, though.
We must talk today about some of the stuff you've been working on as well, by
Yeah,
the way,
sure.
because we're nearing that.
Yeah.
It's all about to come out in the easy bets and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Very impressive. I've been asked my opinion on it, and it was a big thumbs up.
Good.
And we've got Matt Williams as well, pro punter, former Racing
punter.
Post colleague. When did you hand in your notice?
2010, I was...
Has he stopped crying yet?
Well, no, I went in to see him. He shooed me out the office after about 2 minutes. He couldn't
did
wait
not.
to get
Because
rid
he
of
used
me.
to have a bit more steam
So
coming out of his ears than he's
untrue.
got now,
So
hasn't he?
untrue. I was devastated. It was like when Salah leaves Liverpool this summer. That's how you'll feel.
Do you know, I was devastated as well, having to leave, but...
You haven't done bad since.
As well, by the way, she's...
No, but I can't say that now when we've got an actual Scouser in here. I'm a
Kate
complete
came in on
imposter.
Champions League final day covered in red.
Yeah. I wore my red outfit then on Champions
Didn't
League
bring us
final
any
day.
luck though,
No,
did
it
you?
didn't at all. I'm really
You're
sorry.
more luck on the show,
What a
that's for
blow.
sure,
Yeah.
as usual. And myself, Dave Orton, steering the ship somehow for the next couple of days. And great to have you out there. There's the real market if you want to know. This is where the trading's all happening. All those books on course, the sea of them. It was really interesting to hear Gay Waterhouse's husband talking to Chris Cook this morning in his piece saying, I'm not used to this many bookies. There are around about 60, 70 that stand, but it is a much smaller environment.
Also, they're all over the course now. There's nowhere where there isn't a bookie. And I've got to say, by the way, some of the ones who stand in like a 1 or a 2 near the snack bars, their prices aren't the best. You need to be in the ring.
I've had some bad experience on course with the
Well,
bookmakers.
again, we can talk
they're
about
not
that when we
doing
get a bit of
themselves
time.
any
Is there
favours.
anyone differing prices these days? It was just always...
No, there is. There is. You can nick a point or two
That's
here
what
and
going
there.
point to point's such fun, isn't it? You get 10 to 1 about an even
Yeah, but they're
money
all
shot at
betting
the
to
end of the ring.
190%.
Well,
Yeah, well,
So,
of
yeah,
course,
it's easy
of
to
course.
be doing a
But it
good
is good fun,
It is good fun, but I thought the ring was nice. And my daughter placed a couple of cash bets, and they were really nice to her, patient, helpful. And,
But the days of going to the ring, Matt, with one of you on a mobile phone up there and one of you on a mobile phone down there, and the tic-tac, it's all kind of gone, isn't it?
Gone.
The exchange is obviously now, it's shown us the way, and it's there, and it materialises during the race as well. The next race, of course, 3:05 coming up, over a mile 6 for the 3-year-olds. Last year's form was dreadful. We better get some more tips out of the way. But it was my one big touch of the year. Kamari, the Wordsworth was second, if you remember. Everyone thought it was going to be the Gold Cup horse. He might win the Queen Alexandra, the long race that finishes the meeting, but it was dreadful. I think bar 1 or 2 in this race, we're looking at a substandard Queen's Vase as well.
I'd agree.
Who are you on, Matt?
Half it, weak, just a weak tentative vote for that one. It ran all right in Longchamp last time, but slow pace there didn't suit. Stepping up in trip, cheap pieces first time. I think it's a big price.
Under the Doyle.
8-1, the Doyle, yeah.
Who are you on, Dave?
He does tend to spoil the party a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
When in doubt, in more we trust. And Aidan O'Brien's won half of the last of these. You mentioned Kew Gardens, of course, that won it. Santiago never quite materialised, didn't he, a couple of years ago?
Went off to the Irish Derby then on the race after, didn't he? So.
Well, look, this chap, he needed his first run back. It was over a mile 2, and as Hugh Masson said in the earlier comments we saw, watch it back in your members club. Probably just got about time as they're circling around down by the stalls. He is flying at the end, having looked about 1 million 2 furlongs out. It's a tentative pick. I quite like the low draw in it as well for some of the others, but I think that Ryan will have a plan here. And with their breeding at Coolmore, the reason why they do so well in this race is because they've all got that Sad as well as Galileo in. They just outstay them usually, don't they?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, of some dubious sort of stayers here. Perfect Alibi is quite interesting. I thought the Baltic Bird was interesting. Got a line from Nahani. Nahani is giving us the Derby form, guys, as well, by the way. It didn't go his way there. Lots was said about the fireworks with him.
No run, no run.
But we'll watch him because he did look in the Blue Riband. Is it Blue Riband or Blue Ribbon? By the way?
Blue ribbon.
Riband.
Don't say that.
Blue ribbon.
It's Blue Riband, isn't it?
You're kidding, eh?
What
are you on about? I've never heard that in my life.
Blue Riband.
Are you gone mad?
I'm sure but Barry's going to be going
You're talking
like
about the
this.
little chocolate,
101.
little blue chocolate
bar you're
biscuit.
talking about,
It's
isn't
not.
it? You've had about 500.
It's not the
then.
Blue Ribbon biscuit.
Of course it is.
The Blue Ribbon. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the
Why
chocolate
do we call
wafer.
it? I thought it was the best race of the.
You've gone mad. It's the
I've never heard Blue
Don't we call the
ribbon.
Gold Cup at Cheltenham the Blue Ribbon?
Yes, the blue ribbon.
What? Why?
I don't know.
Why
It's
blue
not
ribbon?
Blue
Will someone find out? I'm
You
sure.
don't need to find out. You're wrong.
It was Blue Ribbon.
telling
I'm
you.
sure we've done this before. It was Dahlia Dahlia a couple of years ago, and I finally
Come
got
off
one
it.
on him.
Well, it's Stradivarius you used to call it. He's only just,
That used to
got
wind him
form
right
for
up.
it
he's
then,
only
boys.
just learned how to
Yeah,
pronounce
that
it.
used to wind him right up. Stradivarius runs
It's
tomorrow,
on
by the way, guys. Cannot wait for that. Right, we're having fun. I'm getting pelters as usual because my old boss is in here. And I think Anchorage is probably a bit. I'd like to see a bit of money.
He's
for him.
11 on the exchange.
Yeah, so
Anchorage.
that is slightly disconcerting because this is the week where they come over.
Yeah.
They have about 20 boxes and they like to
Yeah,
play.
they backed a few strong yesterday, didn't they? And they've
Yeah.
left this lad alone.
Yeah. Little Brown Bear looks like the one they have gone for later on in our
Today,
final
yeah,
race at
Windsor
5:35.
Castle,
Okay, Dexter McCarthy, great name, comes on and says Nahani is the class horse and begs for the distance. Yeah, quite a few people on that out there.
It'll be interesting, won't it, to get the first handle on the Derby form, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Comes
he
out and
didn't
bolts
quite
up.
run his race there, but a lot of people are hoping that Desert Crown is the next best thing, of course, which he very much looks to be.
He's been
What
behaving
price
himself.
Eldar now, Kate?
3.65 just been steady away, as has Nahani. Anchorage did come in for some support, but has drifted back out to 10.5. Baltic Bird came in for
Yes.
some support and has just sort of levelled off now, really, for John and Thady Gosden. But John Gosden has a pretty poor record in this race.
He looked the real deal, and he won one of those Yarmouth novice races that Kamari won prior to coming here last time. I wouldn't say it's been the plan, because they probably had loftier aspirations. He was thrashed by Nahani on his debut, but he might be coming good. Whether he stays it quite so well, but this is the Stradivarius connections, of course.
Yeah, which was one of their very few winners in the last however many
Who's doing the
runs.
commentary?
Me. Do you
Good lad.
want to have a go?
No,
you're having a go, Matt.
I know.
Chip in.
No, I'll have the 5 furlong Greece later.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to have them?
55 seconds.
Rather than the cup of tea one that Bruce is about to do.
This
Okay,
is
good luck
all
wherever you're
over
playing.
This is
Second race
quite
of the day.
tough, this is quite a tough race. 1 mile and 6, the trip for the Queen's Vase. It's a Group 2, so they start at the half furlong pole, and not a brilliant start from Eldaroff
Nahani
or
slowly
indeed
away.
Nahani. They were both slow away, and on the inside, half it. So it's not a great start for our tips, but there's a long way to go. Meanwhile, cutting out the early Ronies, Al Kareem under Clifford Lee. That one takes the first right-handed turn in front. Not settling very well is Ruler Legend. That looks absolutely covered in sweat as well. Baltic Bird is taking second place on the outside. And then the Jelly Beans run a Perfect Alibi in fourth. On the inside, we've got Half It, who's been chased up to take a more prominent position. Emotion is right up there, so too Zachariah. And then Elder off settled nicely on the inside there.
That's going
David
well.
Egan's got him in good shape. Any market moves, Kate?
Oh, whoopsie. I haven't been paying attention, sorry. That was my job today. Again, we've got Elder off at 3.5 there and running Nahani 5, so pretty much similar to what they started out as. Anchorage still at 11's 10.5 for Half It. No notable market moves. Baltic Bird still steady away. Al Kareem, though, is going shorter, getting the run of the race then on the front end there. That's the only one that's really come in with any notable support.
You're going to need some luck, Bruce, aren't you? You're going to need some luck.
The ones,
yeah.
The picks in the studio, Half It and Elder off, I think they're both
Half It
going
11.
best
So if
at
you were
this early
smashing
stage.
away now, what would you be doing? What would be
I'll
the
be
next
backing those two.
Do you not like the one in front? He's got 5-length lead, Al Kareem.
This
tend
could
to-
be a quick
7.4.
cold boat double. He's a tough horse, Al Kareem. He's definitely the fastest.
I tend to lose when races are run like this.
you?
If that one in front wins, then I tend to lose.
Right.
When races are run like that, typically.
hoping that the
'cause I just-
concertina happens.
Because I just don't believe
Yeah.
that likes of Ryan Moore would let something that
It
far
doesn't
ahead.
happen at Ascot much. It happens at Sandown and some other tracks.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But
Right,
maybe
7
not so much
furlongs to
here.
go then, and Al Kareem is still out in front by 6 lengths. In second place, we've got Baltic Bird. On the outside in third is Zechariah. On the inside in fourth is Ruler Legend. And then it is Perfect Alibi in the Queen's colours. Half Wit is in 6. Elder off. Half It, sorry. Elder off is in 6.
Nahani's going well.
Yeah,
They're all going well
He's on the
behind us.
outside. They're going to need
Rails.
some luck, aren't they?
Typewriter's a big price going well on the outside.
Ryan
Yeah.
Moore making a move, guys, on the outside here.
Yeah, he is. He's gone very wide, hasn't he?
5.9 Al Kareem.
He's under pressure,
there.
though.
Still going well
Ryan
in
Moore's
front.
under
Yeah,
pressure.
he's
He's
Like
turning
the
in,
half
and this is still 6
Now
lengths
I'd
in
be getting
front.
worried about the
This
one
is
in
still
front.
6 lengths in front.
Yeah.
Who's pole
4.2.
position, Frankie, if it is?
4.2.
He's starting to drift
Zechariah
out. They must be
coming.
closing in on
Zechariah
Al
Kareem as they
Kareem
pass
out.
the 3
Elder's cruising, he's just
Go
not...
on, Elder.
too
Can
far
he get
back,
a run?
surely, man.
Can he get a run, Elder? What do you mean too far back? He's come wide.
Here we go.
Here you go.
Elder might win
Wider.
this.
Oh, here we go.
So
Elder-
he's
Elder
tying
might
up
win
now
this.
in front, and it's about to be
I wanna be on
Zechariah that
Elder.
takes it
Come on,
up.
Half It.
Come on,
Half
Elder.
It. Ryan's
Elder
coming.
is coming. He's
Half
in
It,
third.
5.7.
Here comes
Come on,
Half It. But now Zechariah.
on, lad.
Zechariah and
This is-
Colin
I think
Keane's
you're
got a
getting there,
2-length
Bruce.
lead. I
Half
don't think
It.
he's going to get there. He's just
Go
going to
on,
get
Half It.
caught. Come on,
Half It.
Elder. Come on, Elder.
Hanging on.
Come on, the Elder. Come on, my friend. It's still
Elder's
Zechariah from
starting to
Elder.
go.
Elder off.
2.9.
Zechariah from Elder. Here comes Half It as
Zechariah's
well.
won.
Oh,
Zechariah's
Zechariah from Elder. Zechariah. I've got beat. The cameraman knows.
I know you haven't, Bruce.
I
I think
know
you've
I'm
dipped.
on.
I think you've dipped at the right time. But look, we had someone else standing
goodness.
up. We're watching it back.
Oh, come on, Elder.
Zechariah diving.
It's going to be on
I
the
think
nod.
he's got up, Bruce. He's
No,
on the
it's going to be
bar.
on the nod. No,
on
I'm
the bar.
done. I'm
He's
done.
got
I'm
it,
done.
he's
I'm
got it.
done. No,
Come on,
I'm
come
done.
on,
I've
come on.
lost. I've lost.
Oh, proper dead heat territory.
Half
is
it
that?
sandwiched in the middle. 3 came clear.
What's the
of Ruler
betting?
Legend.
Right, on the,
Three's on Elderov.
yeah.
I'm not sure that's right.
I think that's wrong, yeah.
I think that's wrong. I think the other one's won.
5 Zechariah, 1.3.
I think the other one's won.
I'm going to go with you, Bruce.
I think the
I
far
can't
side
wait.
won.
I think they've got this wrong.
For the
Change
second
like
race
that.
running, someone stood up in their chair. Is that the
right.
thing today?
Oh my God, that is massive for me. This,
I'll tell
honestly.
you what, I'll tell you what, now the one way or the other, this trophy's going to go in a
Here we
minute,
go.
that's for sure. Look, they're both on their phones. They're trying to check it out. This
Please
is where you
work,
get the
Wi-Fi.
trophy
On
betting.
Elder.
On the outside, it looked like Anchorage was going to get. I just don't think he's that good. Basically, it was a
thought he won
bold
as
well.
move,
He's drifting
wasn't it,
now.
by Colin Keane
He's drifting.
on Zachariah, who was one of the outsiders. Kate, how low did he go first and foremost?
Oh, yeah. Zachariah.
101s.
I can't believe the
Low
price
hit
of
was
this.
1.3.
I can't. I think they've got this wrong.
1.31 only
I am a
Zachariah.
pessimist, though. I'm an arch pessimist, but
Wow.
Al Kareem has held on for fourth, but there's daylight between. When 3 come clear, you can rate the form quite positively.
He's got his head down as well.
I
the far
think he's
side.
got it, Bruce. I do.
that is
I
so
don't want to.
close.
I don't want
He's
to jinx
back
you like I
down
do
to
on this show.
1.3. Come on.
The drama
Come on,
of these
Judge.
finishes at Royal Ascot is ridiculous. David Egan has,
wow.
whatever happens, the horse is running belter, isn't he? Because he's.
I'll tell you what, I love that ride from Colin Keane. No nonsense.
Yeah.
Track the pace. Wasn't going to get involved in any trouble there, was he?
Excellent.
No, he
Really
didn't.
good. This is
Think
so
about his Royal
close.
Ascot winners, and again, he's annoyed you because he has dipped at exactly the right time, Zechariah, isn't he? You see them come over the top like that late, and
that is
this is
close,
going to be a
man.
long call, I would imagine. This
Well, I'd
Half
take
it
a dead
definitely
heat. I think
third.
I'd take a dead heat.
I'd take it, Eddie, yeah.
Take a dead heat. I'm on him at 10, Zelda.
Wow, yeah.
Was there anything? I mean, was there anything that was mullered in the run?
Don't start asking where it's going to go
I
next.
didn't think,
That can wait.
Well, we're looking at the ledger, Bruce.
Yeah.
I thought Eldar, he had to sift for a bit bit, didn't he? And then he got
Yeah.
out and he flew.
I thought he had too much to do, but I'm going to be honest.
I think he's the best horse in the race, regardless.
Egan's come off the fence early. He wasn't going to mess around then, was he? I thought it was a good ride.
I mean,
Six ran
Harfit's
well
had-
for us, Keith.
Harfit's had 5 runs, Zechariah's had 5 runs. This guy's arrived just with the 2 runs to his name, back on turf.
Proper horse, I think.
And this isn't usually a race. I didn't say it beforehand, but when you look historically at this isn't a Rog race. This is the Ledger is not really a race that you're associating with too much because he has won it. Which one? I've just got a word.
1.62 now. 1.7 Eldar.
Zachariah drifting.
We're getting into the. No,
I
we're getting into
think
dead heat
you've got it.
territory.
Yeah.
We're getting into dead heat
They're
territory.
coming closer
I
together.
don't think you
these
can
two.
tell, Dave.
The
because
gallery
on this
I
are
love
side-
the head down, mate. I always love a head down.
But I also love the near side.
You
bet.
obviously usually go for the closers as well, don't they?
Yeah.
This is
Come on, you're a greyhound man. You know these photos.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to have to call these sometimes.
I have
It's
done
a very
that before.
famous
It's a
story, which I
disaster.
will tell you, involving Skurlow Champ, the greatest greyhound I ever saw, on a photo finish machine. You'll like that. In the meantime, I'll just, if you don't mind, my bank
What do you
balance
make of
needs
these
to-
pundits that don't call it at all? You've got to give your opinion on it.
Sometimes,
There's
no,
nothing wrong.
I can't call that.
I like the
know,
far
but
side.
Sometimes you see them, don't they, when they're quite
and there's
clearly.
a neck, and that's too close to Queen. Like,
Come on,
off
no
it.
one's going to mind pundits if you're
Exactly.
wrong, really.
No.
People aren't these days whacking on the. You know, it's not like Rhinestone Cowboy and Pizarro. You know,
Oh, he's done a lot of running, hasn't he?
Half had to do some running,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
Yeah.
Really.
Harfit's
has.
run very well. He just lugged a little bit, didn't he, when Doyle went for him? But
Yeah.
he's run a big
He's
race.
on a great race.
I thought
definitely
I thought Al Karim's run all right. You know, given
Brilliant.
how he's made the run, he's stayed on okay, hasn't he?
Look, I'm the programme book is exciting me here.
Well, it's St Ledger Gold Cup.
Well,
I
Harfit
can
could be a
tell you,
Melbourne
but-
Cup horse, couldn't he?
Oh, I suppose so. Yeah,
I'd
right.
love to have a go at that. Yeah. He's got it!
Won it. Well done,
He's
son.
got it! He's got it! The numbers
Get in.
We're going through the card! We're going through the card!
Lovely
Move it
stuff.
down, move it down.
Well done, Bruce. Pressure is off. Elgar.
There's Rog, the genius.
Elgar.
There's Rog.
I told you.
Well
didn't I?
done, Rog.
Clever, good old Rog. Brilliant. He's got new glasses.
He's
as well.
got a bit greyer as well. He looks like.
No, I'm not fussed on those
It's a
scratches
bit like-
myself.
They look like lab technicians' glasses, then, don't they?
He's got a proper
Just
hat on
imagine
though,
him
hasn't he?
standing in front of a
Like
Bunsen burner there.
But he looks like a lab technician as well.
Well, he is
Saying
that sort of
Jurgen
studious
Klopp.
Yeah,
guy.
the tops off Cass, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, 'cause he's got rid now.
Yeah,
He's
he's got
had
rid
the
of
op,
him now.
hasn't
He's
he?
gave him
Yeah.
to Rog, yeah.
Oh,
That's
good
right.
old Rog. I'm pleased for Rog. Nice man.
Oh, well done, Fitz. You got a smile out of him. Yeah, look, he's a very calm man. Isn't
really
he?
is, yeah,
That's
he's a
what I
lovely
mean.
fella, lovely
You know me,
fella.
I try and get him a bit like that, and it's I think he just sort of
No, he's
went
a
like
gent.
that when I was chatting to him. But
He
no,
is a
he
gent-
gave us those.
gentleman,
He is a
yeah.
gentleman. You're absolutely right. He's got a fascinating back history.
His interview on Luck on Sunday a few weeks ago. Oh my! I had no idea about
Did
his
you not?
backstory.
Oh,
he
my
sta-
God.
He started off with
I
Adam
didn't.
and Norney, didn't he? And
Terrific, that.
Yeah, but I mean, his brother.
Family, yeah.
Oh, my
brother.
God.
Your brother,
brother got
absolutely
murdered.
dreadful. And then
Brother
maybe
got
that's
murdered.
what, you know,
Horrendous.
everything's in
Most
perspective with
horrific way,
Roger,
just
obviously, isn't it?
Awful. Absolutely awful. He's a really
Do you
nice.
remember him riding over jumps?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he rode over jumps.
Do you know what? It's getting exciting now because we've had one nap landed.
Oh no.
We've
And
had
the-
2 naps landed. And it's sod's law that mine goes in the next, isn't it?
No, I hope it wins because we're all on that.
We're
as
all
well,
on
aren't we,
it.
I think.
We're all on it.
The bridge.
Yeah.
The beast that is the
Oh, my
Bay Bridge
goodness,
is
that was
coming up.
great news.
We're
I love
seeing
that.
the connections, Freddie Mead of Zachariah. I mean, that is a sickener, isn't it? Because he's run
Really well, that.
and he's had a hard race as well. And you know, will he quite reproduce? He could be one of those that will go to the Bahrain Trophy program book out
There we
again.
go.
I was going to say that.
Total police and horses.
Obviously.
But that's the sort of race that they go
Yeah.
to, isn't it? And they always flop.
Yeah.
It's a favourite graveyard, that. But do we have any prices, Kate? This is something that you're going to have to be a bit. This is what I was getting Millman with yesterday. They're coming through. I can see them because surely it will be Paddy Power. He was on the Sportsbook 16.
goodness me.
So see if you can find that for us, Kate, if you
Will
like.
do.
What is that? The St Ledger winner? Have we seen him? Will he go? Are we going to see another Gold Cup winner of the future? He's surely only going to improve from that.
It was probably valued for a bit more than that, was he? Would you say, Matty? I mean,
Yeah,
there's no real hard luck stories, but if he'd lost, you'd have called him a
No, he-
mildly unlucky loser.
He
wouldn't
would have been unlucky because he's just boxed in on the inside and then
I'll
he's
tell
got
you
him
what.
out. He's done a lot of running.
Twitter reared its head yesterday, didn't it? As was called out by William Aggis on the track. You probably wouldn't have known because you weren't there, but young Kieran Fallon, William came out after Meldrum's defeat in the Coronation Stakes. He said, "Can everyone just stop this? He's a young man. He's absolutely devastated."
What
And
did he
and
do wrong?
backed his
The horse
corner.
missed the kick, didn't he?
It was just one of those armchair jockey rides,
Well,
wasn't
this
it?
is time to introduce the Bruce and Kate story, really, isn't it?
If you don't know how Kate Tracey came to prominence, you're about to find out.
And if it hadn't happened, it would have been an absolute robbery. Because working with Kate today and hearing her on all her other ventures, she's absolutely brilliant. And where you've got to is because you're very good and you deserve it. But the way you
My
got
first
in was
opportunity
interesting.
was because of
I was
Bruce.
editor, okay, and I answered the phone to a young lady who's very cross and very upset.
Sorry, Bruce.
And
I do have a cross side.
you weren't too bad. I've had
was I
worse,
not? I
but
kind of feel a
basically,
bit-
your worse half, Kieran Gethins, had been had we said he had a soft unseat or something?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
Was
you
it nothing
guys.
we
No,
wrote?
No,
it was the
you
fact
just
that
followed up the
armchair
story.
Twitter critics were really hammering him.
Yeah, that was exactly it.
And Kate rang up and said, "Look, what can we do about this? It's really bad. These people don't understand just how hurtful it is and how much damage it's doing." So we had a good chat, didn't we? And
Yeah,
you
we did.
mentioned that you wanted to get into racing media and that you were working at Hobbs's at the time, weren't you? So I said, well, look, let's see if we can make a positive out of a nasty situation, because it was really bad, wasn't it? Kieran was
Yeah.
really upset.
Oh,
I
he
said,
was in
why
an
don't you
awful
do a
way.
piece for us about what it's like being the partner of a jockey who gets all this grief? Tell us all what it's really like. And you wrote the most fantastic piece. It was really, really brilliant. We published it, got great response, and you did a few more bits and pieces, and that was it. Your career just soared. So
Literally from that,
Yeah.
from me giving out, me having a moment, basically.
Yeah.
It's sort of just, Bruce, I'm still so grateful now, slightly embarrassed about how it then came
no, it's
about.
brilliant.
But to actually, but I didn't expect it to be on the front page, though, the next day. When I walked into work then, and Johnson White, the assistant trainer to Philip Hobbs then, and the first thing he presented me with, Racing Post, my face on the front of it. And I thought, I thought you were just going to give me a sort of a small column, kind of giving me my response time sort of thing. And as soon as I saw that, and I just thought, wow. And it spiraled into whole different things then, because Ruby Walsh, do you remember he did the advert of trying to get your man jumping off of the back of it? It sort of took on a whole life of its own, because the Racing Post picked it up in such good style.
So Bruce gave you wheels, you took them and you drove it.
absolutely did.
Second gear.
No.
we're steady
And I
away.
don't know about you, Matt, but if I ever wanted to work with him, I used to have to go through all sort of different PAs, and I would never get to him unless I made a typo or something like that.
You used to live in my office.
You could
We
just
sit
walk
at
straight in.
Punting all day.
I used to just get. I used to see him come up on my phone and go, "What have I done now?"
I would just say, for the sake of Tom Kerr, my successor as editor, if you want a job in racing media, do not ring Tom up bollocking him or shouting at him, because it doesn't always work. You
will get a boo.
But it was nice, wasn't it? We tried to make a positive out of negative, and here you are, star of the media, and there's no limit.
Well, that is a lovely story, and I'm glad you got that on, because when Kate came in to do a show with us, it was a Monday night show that we did last year, Kate, wasn't it? And the two of you were there, and you went, Kate, it's like this.
We've
And I
never
was like,
seen each other, have we?
never.
And you straight away went, it's because of me.
That is so untrue, by the way. That is. I'm not taking
I would say
any.
that anyway.
I'll get you back to that, because I didn't say that at all.
I'm only winding you up. Eldar Eldarov is 6-1 on the
6-1. I was
sportsbook.
just
there you go. Well, you can't do
There you
everything,
go.
Kate.
6-1 for the ledge.
6-1 for the
6-1
ledge.
now.
Does that entice you in? I mean, it's a long way off, isn't it? And there's bound to be.
Different ground and
Yeah.
I'd say it's a fair enough
Nahani
price.
just didn't turn up at all, just actually to going back to the
Yeah,
form.
he's just-
I mean, difficult, isn't it?
He's running the derby.
11 days later.
I think it's a tough
We can't be talking about a derby form just
He can
yet,
bounce
can we?
back.
No. All right. So that is the Queen's Vase. 2 races down. And the reason why I kind of brought that up was Kieran Fallon got a lot of bile yesterday. People that probably didn't even back Maljoom were just, they jump on it.
You just see him flying late, don't you, and think, right, you've got to attack someone
It
for
was
that,
not
for
a
that, and blame
nice
someone for
place.
it.
He's a young jockey, he's a brilliant jockey.
It's
great run
terrible.
jockey.
Do you know what? On Twitter the other day, I think it's actually Ryan Moore gave a horse probably a little bit too much to do, but it was one of the ones where if he'd got up, you would have said, brilliant ride, okay? And I just thought, I wonder what sort of grief you get from that. So I just keyed in Ryan Moore, and the vitriol.
Was that,
and
I wonder if that was on Saturday, because
it would have been, because all this, But
you got a mention on this show because I said you were the one that told me right from the start years ago. He's the betting shops. It's the first one that gets it, isn't he, Ryan? Because everyone's usually backed him, That's the problem.
that's why Ryan gets
But we're all entitled to our opinion and our money's down. We know it gets a little bit heated, but sometimes you've got to remember these young jockeys in particular, they're all on social media. They play the social media game. There's a new breed coming through. Us in the media, we love it because they're so open to talking. Kieran won't want to talk to anyone now for a little while.
horrible.
We've got to watch
It's
him
so
bounce back.
pointless.
Yeah, I think it's good to have opinions on jockeys and be constructive about it. Do you know, you can't go slaughtering them like that.
We've
It's
talked
terrible.
about this years ago on this show when we first started, and I said, why can't we be, a bit like Gary Neville, of course, who calls out footballers all the time, doesn't he? And we criticise performances in football. Of course, it's a completely different discipline, and I want this to get a bit back more away from that woke, or we can't talk about a jockey, all that sort of stuff. But it can go a bit too far, and yesterday you got the feeling it did. That David Egan ride was a pixel away from being a hated ride because he's on a well-backed favourite, and he would have.
It was.
They would have said,
Unjustified, by the way, but you're right. You are right.
it would have been.
'Cause
So
when people do their
thrilled
money
for
now-
young David Egan that he's got it up.
When people do their money now, or back in the day, if you did your money, you'd curse and you'd shout, and only your budgie would hear you.
Yeah.
Now you can pick your phone up and do that, and the whole
Yeah,
world,
and then-
Well, that's the
including the
thing.
jockey,
Yeah,
hears it.
in the hope that someone would agree with you then. And
You
sort
have
of
to wonder
feed
how long
into
his
it.
dad would have lasted if the social media would have been about, because
Yeah.
I reckon Kieran Fallon would be like Ryan Moore. He would not give
What,
a
the rhino
monkey's
skin?
what
Yeah.
anybody said about him on
You might be
Twitter.
right,
And if you're in that position, then good on you.
But these young jockeys, listen, they're going to make the mistakes, whether he did or he didn't yesterday. I think we can agree that there's a big win for Kieran Fallon and Maljum in the offing. And let's hope he gets that winner over the line. His second jockey to William Aggis, and I've got the feeling William's going to make sure that absolutely happens. We've got to move on because it's the Group 1 of the day coming up. It is, of course, the Prince of Wales Stakes. Small field, 5 runners. Rather predictably, Noah Dabe, unfortunately, who we thought might come in.
What price do you get, Bay Bridge? Wow, look at that photo.
Ooh.
I don't know why they took so long.
We're looking at the Queen's
yeah.
Vase
Just one
photo.
ahead. Wasn't quite that far.
These
Straight away in
pundits,
person.
eh?
Do you think that's close?
I think that's unbelievably close.
Yeah.
I
You
think
need to
it's-
get to Specsavers, mate.
Probably, all right, well, I went. There they are.
No, he does have to put them on. He does have to put them on. Listen, we're getting loads of great feedback out there from Matt, by the way, as well, and Kate as well. One of the best shows yet, says Jack Reeve, our social star out there is Jack, and he's absolutely loving out there. Let us know. Keep it coming back in. Here we go. Andy Sim. Welcome back, Andy, one of our regulars. I need Bay Bridge for my double with Dramatised. Yeah, you would imagine this is in a lot of
Is this your best?
And
of the
Eldar.
week? Yeah.
well,
Eldar, the first 2 fabs have gone in now,
Yeah.
haven't they?
My nap and your nap.
Yeah, exactly.
2 naps.
Yeah.
What was yours, Kate?
I don't have one. I actually don't have a nap of a day.
it's fair to say
I actually have a
pressure's
listed
on,
one.
isn't it?
Yeah, pressure's
We
on.
spoke on
Pressure's
Friday,
on.
didn't we? I said after the Brigadier Gerald, we did a show on the Saturday, Matt, and I said to Barry, why were you dangling 16s about this chap for the Prince of Wales? Because this is an interesting horse, this.
The race
Because
was
he-
always going to fall apart. as
and
well,
he was
wasn't
entered in the Hardwick. They thought he was even quoted for the Wolverton. People thought, will he wait for the King George? This is a mile 2 monster. This horse. We'll talk about him and where he's come from. I've got some double figures, and I also went in again last week. And if you take the view that the Japanese horse, welcome along, by the way, if you're watching, and you're wondering where Shahryar's going to finish, we're about to tell you where he is in the market. If you take him out of it, he could be a lot shorter. Now, yes, he hasn't achieved what the Japanese has done on the global stage so far. But this is Michael Stout. This is your classic Stouty prep. Go to the Brigadier Gerard, win as you like. The money came for him that day. Bally Lynch stud during Cheltenham a week, I think it was, all very quietly bought into him. They've got the sire, of course, New Bay. They know what they've got here. The money suggested it. The jocks down at the start, you got a word about that, didn't you? We're just looking at him
I was
going,
talking to Patsy Cosgrave on Friday morning, and he was in the race, and he said he's seen it down at the start. He said, we're all struggling here against this lad. He's such a presence. And he went and he's brilliant, wasn't he?
It does seem to be a bit of a two-tribe thing going on there. A lot of people are sticking with the Japanese horse because they believe on the form book he ought to be fab. We're watching the replay, of course, of what he did at Sandown. What I liked about what he did at Sandown, Matt, is he proved himself on a sound surface, likely Royal Ascot ground, maybe not quite this quick. But New Bays, they pound the ground, a lot of the progeny, don't they? And soft ground, when you run the stats, you see a lot of soft in their progeny so far. Stout, he said before that race, he'll go on anything, he said. And that was one of the key comments for me. The other thing was, last year he was a horse that took time to warm up into his races. Probably why the bookies thought he might be a mile 4 horse. If you go back to London Gold Cup, he gets on top right in the final furlong. If you go back to his win at York, on Betfair he went high, spiked, because he only just got there. At Sandown, out you go, whoosh. Thankfully, we had the likes of a Dave in the race. But with the Japanese horse, who Oisin Murphy told me on Monday he thinks will win, but because he's uncomplicated, he doesn't need a mile 4. He's a massive Demuro fan as well, who gets on the Japanese horse, but he thinks he will make the pace. That's perfect for me. If they do what they did with Desert Crown, the Dante to the Derby, it was a carbon copy of what they're going to do at Royal Ascot. He will track the pace. I can see it now. Hopefully 3 off. He'll pull wide. Whoosh. Sayonara. Gone. And from what I'm told at home, if you think Desert Crown's good, Wait until you see what this chap is going to do.
Is that what they're saying, are they, in comparison to Desert Crown even?
We're about to find out, Kate, and the pressure's on. So tell me what price he is now.
Yeah, he is 2.14 then from 5 with Shireo, the Japanese raider. Then they're keen enough on Lord North there, 5.9. State of Rest's a big price there at 10.5. Surely no, with the form that he has internationally. Maybe people are just being a bit lukewarm on him because we don't see him a lot because he is such a globe-trotting superstar. But he is, for me, the one that's proven himself the best within this race. I mean, he's a multiple group winner. And then Grand Glory at 12.5 as well. Now, I'm going to play this race actually a bit different here because I'm going to go over to the sports book here and I'm going to go in the more and go for the forecast here because obviously we're limiting ourselves with how many bets we can actually have with only the 5 runners here. And as I say, I just think that State of Rest is too big a price here. So I'm going to go for Baybridge to beat State of Rest into second. 11.2 I think is actually pretty fair therefore. So I'm going to have 50 quid then on that for the forecast.
That's brave.
And try and play it big.
50 shekels.
I'll tell you what as well, by the way.
Well in
like
profit
it,
for charity this month.
On the subject of that forecast, the way they display those odds there, more bookmakers should do that. You have to mess around, don't you? Pick the winner and then the second.
It's
Just
so
have
much
them.
easier.
Just have them listed like
Have
that.
it really
It's much
straightforward and
better.
simple, yeah.
Good that.
Do you think this is a bit short, Dave? I mean, you're strongest on him out of all of us. I think he'll win. But I wouldn't be...
I'm surprised that there's not more love in the market for the Japanese horse. And we can see you out there, by the way, in the community. Welcome along to the show. This is Racing Post Live with Betfair. And we're going to talk you through the race, basically. We'll give you what we think will happen. We'll talk. If you're not getting the pictures out there, which we know some of our international viewers don't, we'll do our best. Even though we wear our hearts on our sleeves and we cheer our horses home, we'll do our best to tell you where they are, when they are. Especially here with a small field. But... I'm not at all surprised by the price, let's put it that way. And as was reported this morning in the Racing Post, there have been some lofty bets on this. I also think that they might be playing this as well. There's no, O'Brien horse in this. I say there's no O'Brien horse. Of course, Joseph has got the globe-trotting, brilliant State of Rest. But our handicapper thinks already that Baybridge is £2 better than him. And he's already £1 better than Shariat, despite the fact that Shariat's been to Maidan and won, etc. Frizzy Red comes back on with us all week. Who do you think will lead in the next race? It's an interesting point, isn't it? Because in small fields, Matt...
So Oisin thinks the Japanese...
He thinks he'll crack on with it.
That's the only thing I can see pace-wise here. Because like I said, there's just no pace in this race, so yeah.
Lord North
Shariat
isn't a
to go
leader.
forward.
State of Rest didn't lead. I don't know that much about Grand Glory, I've got to be honest. Mikael Barcelona can't really see him from the front.
No, I think she's a holder.
He throws curveballs all the time, Ryan, but with the turn of foot this guy's got, obviously he's a mile 2, mile 4 horse as well, Baybridge.
Yeah, he's not going to let it become an absolute crawl, is he?
But this was, I think, I saw James Wigan, his part owner, interviewed at Sandown. He was shaking a little bit, you know. He's a good talker, James, and I thought he was quite struggling to get his words out. I just think he was so excited by this. I mean, James has had some worldies, hasn't he? The Wigans have had him, and they bring all these amazing horses. But this is I think this is the one.
I'm sure it is.
We'll
And
find
Graham
out
Rodway,
today,
who doesn't hide his opinions,
No.
he says this is the best. He told us that Desert Crown would be better than Bye come the end of the year.
That was a brave piece.
That
It
was.
It was a very brave piece.
I thought it was like way out of line for it. I thought
Yes, I did
that's
at
a
the time.
strong.
Sort of.
You know, I thought it was a strong piece, and he
We
was
don't
right.
mind them still here, though. We are allowed to have them, aren't
No,
we?
I think it's brilliant.
And there's
'cause
nothing wrong with being wrong sometimes.
I want to read stuff, and that gets me thinking about the game. And he got me thinking. And I thought I totally disagreed with most of what he wrote. I was going to text Paul Keeley and say what's he writing that for. And
Well,
I've seen Graham before, and he was bang on. He was just brilliant.
He's generally one of the nicest blokes at the pace.
He's
as well,
brilliant,
isn't he?
Gino.
Yeah. He's back on Friday, by the way, guys, and
I'm glad it won for
Saturday.
him.
Well, we were all delighted, and if you watch back that clip of this show, which you saw that, didn't you,
Yeah.
when we were watching Desert Crown, even Barry is giving him that. He's so thrilled for it.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
He's paid for a summer holiday to Canada, I believe, with it as well. So,
Really? That's excellent.
He's
for that?
taking
Oh,
Sabrina,
fair
his
play.
wife, back from He's still working, don't worry about that. You'll see him on some shows and all that sort of stuff. But he's going to take his wife back to Canada, I believe. And he's milling around, our assistant betting editor, making sure they're all getting the previews out for 6 o'clock edition coming out for you. All right, we're nearing it. So the trade is, Kate, the forecast. Remind our viewers out there.
Yeah, forecast Baybridge from State of Rest because I just cannot leave that price. I don't think anything will beat Baybridge. I do think he is a superstar. Of course, the ground is that slight concern for him, but like you say, if Sir Michael Stout's saying that it isn't, he is a big burly horse and this will be quicker than he's faced. But goodness me, he is just such an exciting horse. I just wasn't keen on that Shima Classic form. I think a fair few of them were unlucky. Your Beer, pile driver of those in behind.
If you take your beer as the benchmark here.
Yeah, I
Could I use your Beer as a benchmark horse, though?
This is a horse, the Shariah, though, of course, it has finished just off Contrail, who was an absolutely like the Frankel of the Japanese world, who's incredible control. Let's see who else comes up. Thank you.
read that, mate. Come on, Konnichiwa.
You fancy Konnichiwa?
Dave Orton is a...
Turn him down. Yeah, well, look, great to have you out there. And whatever you're saying, I'm sure you're saying Bay Bridge is a lay. And good luck to you out there. We get loads of international viewers because, they can't get the views and all that sort of stuff. We're alive to that here. We're a racing live reaction show, the first of its kind. And, we improvise, we're dictated to by the racing, but we are... But, we're buoyed by our international viewers, and we had them yesterday, of course, down under. Not much love for Grand Glory. Are we underestimating her? I mean, I'm talking about this like it's about... She did.
2.5 million.
She was supplemented for this as well, I believe.
She was impressive last time I've seen that.
6-year-old mare for Gianluca Biatolini and Michael Barcelona coming over. Derby-winning jockey, of course. He says she's been... I'm over to ride the mare. She's truly in top form. Baybridge made a big impression at Sandown. The others are all confirmed Group 1 performers. At this point, I'd take something in the first 3, he says. It's the right time to have a go, but supplementing, obviously. This is a race that often cuts up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We've seen a few strange results in the past, but I don't know. Could this guy still be an ARC player as well, potentially, down the line? I mean, he could be...
We need this horse to go and win, don't we? We like to see these...
It doesn't happen, Matt, does it? But could you imagine, a Bide and him in an international, and all these horses turning up in the ARC? It never happens.
Can I just say that I don't think a mile 2 York would suit this horse. I mean, you talk about the handicap.
He's won at York, of course, hasn't he? But he was a bit workman-like there.
Grade.
Yeah,
a different grade, and he was workman-like. I just don't know whether that would be the race for him.
Yeah.
Sorry to destroy your race planning.
He's currently 4-1 for the Coral Eclipse, but that's in 2.5 weeks, of course.
Yeah, exactly that. And all that talk about Will Bide taking the Sussex. I mean, if Bide does go to the Sussex, it means that William Haggis with Malju and My Prosperi must think the 3-year-olds are awful, doesn't it? So that would be one indication there. One of the best judges around. So come on, I'm talking about this like it should be a 2s on shot. It's obviously odds against. Why is that?
He's odds on now.
He is. Yeah.
Odds on now, so there's a bit of support for him, and everyone's fancying him, aren't they?
Well, this is when and has he broken the even money on the exchange then, Kate?
Yes, he has. Yeah, no, he has been very strong then, very strongly supported. And then of those in behind, I mean, and he's drifted back out again then. But yeah, Shoreya then, they are still just, they fancy him enough then to do next best of the rest. But no, he did just go odds on there. But yeah, he is sort of hovering around the even money mark.
We talk about how important Nature Strip was, and I've got Artorias, who's not being mentioned at the moment, and Home Affairs for the Aussies coming up. How important was it last October for State of Rest going down to Mooney Valley? I mean, that was almost, because we weren't, I mean, it was only Joseph O'Brien, and he's
pretty good at that.
He's got the Lloyd Williams backing, who's their, he's their power owner down there. But State of Rest, of course, took out the Cox Plate, beating the Melbourne Cup winner, of course.
Very elegant.
Who's been forgotten about a little bit, will take in the ARC as well. So Chris Ward will be back later in the year. That's been underreported somewhat. But he's a proper horse, isn't he, is what I'm saying. And he's a proper Mile 2 horse as well.
Yeah,
obviously, he needs the Alan Kerr form. He was a bit disappointing last time, I suppose, and he's had a lot of racing, you could say. But Lord North, of course, some distance winner, of course, and does all, he's a proper Group 1 animal, isn't he, I suppose, on his day. But not a worldie, is he?
He's not a worldie.
He's a Group 1.5 horse, isn't he?
Of course, he won this in 2020, in the crazy year that we had.
I'll tell you one thing that what punters should not do in this race is think Japanese form. Not too sure about that. The Japanese are the rising stars,
as they showed on World Cup night, and the Breeders' Cup.
Not only should you not underestimate them, you should absolutely believe that this is top echelon now. Japan is just
gonna take over.
You don't look down on Japan; they look down on us. So don't let that cloud your judgment. If you just think, it's a Japanese.
It's definitely a positive now, I think. When they're coming over here for these races, they're going to be winning a shed load of them in the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. There's
King George's and everything.
Again, are we surprised that Shariah is as big as he is then on the Betfair Exchange?
I say, it's only, for me, it's just that questionable form then of the Shima Classic last time out.
But do you reckon he's on the Whirlpool, 6 is on?
I know, that's the thing though, yeah, it's a Whirlpool.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
well, he's on his toes a bit. Looks great.
All right, so we're going to talk you through
Brilliant.
exactly what happens in the race. We're aware, by the way, that in Japan and Tokyo we've got quite a few viewers at the moment. Wonderful to have you. Myself, Dave Orton, Matt Williams, Bruce Millington and Kate Tracey as well. We're covering Royal Ascot all 5 days for you. You can have a shout out on YouTube, interactive show. That is loads going on at the Racing Post this week, Bruce, isn't it? Our reporters, when they go there, it is not... I mean, it's a lovely meeting to go to as a journalist, isn't it, Matt? You know, and a reporter. It's wonderful. They don't have that marvellous press room up top anymore. We used to get a glass of champagne when you walked in, and you can quaff with all the lights of them. But it's a great meeting to go to, but it's a hell of a shift.
It is. It's a long week. It is a lot, particularly in this weather, and particularly if you've got all the clobber on, which you shouldn't if you're a journalist. You want to be a nice, like a lightweight safari.
But you wouldn't want it to go to 4 days, would you?
4 days
So
of this.
the old Heath day.
Oh yeah, no.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
linen
no,
it
this
up
is
then
fine.
yesterday?
I didn't. No, I just wore a normal suit.
Did you wear socks?
I'll tell you what I did. Yeah, and I've never ever not worn socks. No, and
really?
shoot. Are you sockless?
You got sockless? Yeah.
The scouse in the room is
Scout,
sockless.
yeah. You can take your
Surprised you
Liverpool
can't
out of
smell
Liverpool.
them.
You can't take your Liverpool out of the boy.
They're expensive, those trainers, Kate.
Are
They
they?
do. How much are they? The V-shirt.
Do you know what?
Oh, yeah.
I went into a boat and I said...
They're made of rhubarb
I
or
said,
something,
mate,
them,
have
aren't
you
they?
got any Vellas?
Oh, did
I
ya?
said, Vellas? He said, you mean Vija?
Yeah.
I said, no, me Vellas. I said, no, I think you mean Vija. So you call them Vellas in Liverpool.
But they're sort of eco-friendly in
Right.
some. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure what they're made of.
They're
Ryvita or
made
something.
of cauliflower.
Oh, is it
Cauliflowers
cauliflower? I thought it was rhubarb.
And cucumber.
Yeah.
Get your fruits in
You
your
don't
bins,
leave them
right?
outside. The foxes eat
nice.
them. Oh, thank you very
Really
much.
like your
Yeah, I've got
bits.
mainstream.
It's
so cool.
What have you got on, Dave?
Classy shoes, Oliver Sweeney's actually.
Been playing
We're
football.
getting great advertising, isn't it, for everyone
everyone
out there,
gone
isn't it? I'm all right. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, we wouldn't
actually.
get into Sandown,
No, we would not get Sandown. Would have us waiting at the entrance.
And what
right
about
now.
you, Kate? Where are they?
Oh, Tesco. They were my driving shoes that I didn't have time to change out of.
You were, of course, at Ascot yesterday, Kate.
Oh, the best. Honestly, one of the greatest days racing I've ever had in my life. Unbelievable.
Was there lots of space there yesterday?
No, not lots. It was nice. It was
traditionally
nice.
the quietest
There was
day,
a
isn't it?
buzz, but it was roomy. You could get around. And did you notice, by the way, high heels are officially dead, aren't they?
Oh, I wish
did
they
you
were.
wear?
I
Oh, you
wore
wore-
them.
oh,
I'm
hardly
pretty sure I
anyone
created a
did.
bunion.
Kate's a
yeah.
class act, Bruce.
Oh,
She's
I
gonna wear
wasn't.
heels.
I wasn't by the end of the day.
It was wedges and low heels all the way.
No
Yeah,
white
which is
trainers.
I'm very sort of gawk when I go to.
not Sandown,
yeah,
is it?
to Ascot. I
Admiring
like
the-
to keep an eye
yeah.
on the fashion.
yeah.
And my daughter decided that bright royal Godolphin blue
Oh,
was the
nice.
colour.
Yeah,
That
it
was
is. That's the
in
colour of the
yeah.
season.
Yeah,
That,
that's it.
yeah. And the emerald green are the two colours of this summer. So
Yeah. Well, I just saw Oti Mabuse being interviewed, and she was in emerald green,
Yeah.
looking radiant.
The dancer.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, very good knowledge. But honestly,
Big
yesterday
Strictly
though,
fan.
it was
Right,
unbelievable.
Bay Bridge is going down, Matt. How does he look?
Looks great. I thought the Japanese always looked a picture. You know,
Gleaming.
what you expect. What you expect, really.
But what we're hearing in the pre-race interviews that they've been giving, they're extremely bullish actually as well. So
About the Japanese? Or?
yeah, and look,
Are they the
listen,
best racing fans in the world, do you think?
Oh, Japanese, they have to be.
Brilliant.
Every
The
time
The
I
video
watch
of the
it,
Ark is one of the best
Yeah.
you'll ever see.
I don't like it.
Oh, I love
makes me
it.
feel
That hurts
sad.
me. It makes
I
me
don't
feel
like
sad.
it.
No,
I don't
it's
like
great
seeing
fun,
people
Bruce.
disappointed. No, it's not fun. How's it fun? People having their hearts broken.
Oh,
I love that.
I'm with you, Dave. I love
yeah,
that.
correct. Thank you. I'll tell you what, he's turned soppy. Get him back. Get him back to the steamer.
I don't like it.
I'll tell you what. Right, well, this is exciting. Right, there are the 5 runners. These are all top notchers. This is one of the races of the week, isn't it?
This is short, though.
I wonder if Stouty goes and
It's
picks up the
short.
prize if he wins this
It
time.
is short.
I give them all a chance.
Yeah, it is short.
I'm looking at it and I'm going,
What price do you make him then, Matt? Because he was.
What do you back him at?
Yeah.
5 to 4, 6 to 4.
So he gets to 2.25, 2.3. You're on, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does it become lemming time? Do you know what I mean? Or the totting up time, I suppose. The two favs have both gone
Aren't
in.
we already there?
We probably are. We probably are.
I'll tell you what's really funny about Bay Bridge's price here. This is one of those great tests of how obsessed people are with evens, odds on and odds against in it. Because I've heard a few people say, oh, I can't have them at odds on. Well, why? As if they almost have a rule about it.
Yeah,
What's
there
the
is a
difference
cut-off
between
point.
evens
Yeah.
and 10 to 11 and 8 to 11?
But then on
I
the
don't
other side,
mind
they
backing
have
odds
to
on. I just
No,
don't
no,
make
do
him
I.
an odds on shot.
No.
You know, if he was like Kariba yesterday, we had a chat about it, didn't we? He drifted to a point where I thought,
Yes.
there must be something wrong with him here.
Right.
You know, because
So
earlier
if
in the
he
week,
did
I'm
drift-
thinking he's just...
so if he did drift here now, would you be interested in backing him then, or would you be concerned like Caribas?
No, I wouldn't be so concerned. I mean, the way the betting's going, and he's just solid,
Well,
isn't
it's
he? But
highly unlikely
just
now
the
that he
whole
goes
vibe
out, of
with
course.
Kariba.
Matt, on
Yeah.
drifts, on everyday say it's Nottingham and Worcester and Cartmel.
I hate drifters.
And they start drifting. You don't like drifters?
No.
Really?
I don't like drifters.
Because Keels tends to be... He's like never fear a drifter. The bigger the drift, the bigger the price.
That's why it's the greatest game of all, because it never falls pat, does it? It's individual opinions, and we know there's lots of individuals out there watching at the moment. Welcome along to Racing Post Live with Betfair. What a stellar cast. Brilliant feedback we're getting. It's the greatest meeting in the world, isn't it? The greatest show on turf, that's for sure. No matter what you think about Cheltenham, we just shouldn't... we've had that this week, haven't we?
Love Cheltenham, but this is better.
Or Ascot. This is the great... I think this is the justified 5 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, but Cheltenham will go 5 days, and like with Royal Ascot, if they said, we're going to go back to 4 days, you'd be like, what on earth are you doing? That will be like that with Cheltenham.
But
there's
the thing with Cheltenham,
10 people crying their eyes out about a 5
Bruce, we shouldn't have 5-6 odd John shots at a national festival. We shouldn't have it.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
it has
rubbish.
become, and it
the
is going
flat
to
you
the
can
same
have
houses,
because,
isn't it?
Because you can watch flat and you admire the beauty of the...
And you watch the different trainers win here as well, and that's some of the good thing about these races that they've opened up to as well. The Copper Horse Handicap, for
Yeah,
example.
because what do you make of that, though? Because they just slipped in the 7th race every day.
And the Buckingham Palace Stakes is
after
back,
COVID,
isn't it?
and no one sort of spoke about it.
That was social,
I love 7 races in a day as well.
Of course,
Are we
yeah,
going to go
yeah.
to Cheltenham and have a bumper as the 6th race?
It's short-changing them, that. Of course, Cheltenham's going to come up, wasn't it? Right, OK, Paul Ridgway brings it back, and he says, the Japanese are the best horses in racing in the world, I think. They win on all continents. Real shame that Orfevre didn't win the art. That's the video, of course, that we were mentioning. Because Simeon went clear and somehow he 101'd it and didn't win. He was a champion, quite right, along with the likes of Contrail, of course, Altman Dye. They're brilliant to watch.
Betting, guys. Look at Sherry, who's
Sherry's
absolutely drifted. 4th favourite now.
But what's the race of the week? That's the question. A lot of people are telling me that this is the race of the week, despite the fact that we've got the small field. King's Stand, of course, yesterday was brilliant. Gold Cup tomorrow, I know. Where do you stand?
I love the Commonwealth Cup.
On a Friday, the 5th Classic, as Keith Melrose called it.
Love it.
This is traditionally the quality race, isn't it?
It is.
But isn't this drift mad?
This is the Stouty race, of course.
Really gone out.
Let's give you the historical roll call of this. Love last year on her appearance. Do you remember that?
2 to go, jockeys.
Crystal Ocean, Postwood, Highlands, Real Free Eagle, The Fugue, Alcazim, and So You Think as well. Who's the next super sire in the making? I'm hoping the beast is going to be unleashed in Bay Bridge.
Come on, Bay Bridge.
There are a lot of Japanese supporters out there as well. Kate's even gone for a forecast. Bruce, you're about to call them home. Could this be the 3rd fav of the day?
Price
on day 2.
Nearly 8 on Betfair.
Lord North is the last one, and Sharia really has drifted. Gone off 4th favourite. They
Lord
jump
North's
away.
left.
Lord North's
Lord
absolutely
left.
missed it.
He's a million.
He left the blindfold on,
Can't
didn't he?
win.
He's just thrown the blindfold away there, Frankie Dettori,
Here's
in
the
absolute
pace.
disgust. They are down to
State of
4 runners.
No pace at all.
State of Rest takes it up. Yeah, they're absolutely
This is
jogging. In
clockwork,
2nd, we got
guys.
Sharia.
Got a run of
In
race,
3rd is
wonderful.
Bay Bridge. In 4th is Grand Glory, and it will take a miracle for Lord North to win from
22s.
there.
Look at Ryan, look, he's already wanting to... He doesn't want to get locked, does he,
Do you
at
know
all?
what, though? If they do Dawdle, it actually lets Lord North back in, doesn't it? He's 28, but he's got
He's
got
doing
back
too
very
much back
easily,
there,
isn't he?
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
The
if
20
he-
He's surprised,
we're
but he's
in
got
trouble.
half a chance now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
the
It's like the
full pace will
peloton
help
when they
him.
slow
Grand
down.
Glory
the
won't mind
crashes.
this, guys. The French racing, as you know, is very stop,
Yeah.
start. She's got to
She
turn
can
her foot.
quicken, yeah.
1.83 Bay Bridge, who is in 3rd and going very well. Lord State of Rest is
He's
taking.
getting an easy one, isn't he?
It's 34 miles an hour. Is that not reasonable?
Slow.
It's average, isn't it?
He's getting an easy one. Demuro isn't pressuring him at some point. Ryan Moore will
Moore's
be hoping
cruising.
now that the Japanese horse put some pressure on.
5 furlongs to go, and State of Rest leads the Prince of Wales by a length from Charrier, who is a length and a half ahead of Bay Bridge. Lord North has managed to get back onto the main group, isn't he? He's in 4th, and Grand Glory is in 5th.
She's going well.
You do just
Big
wonder
price.
how much running Lord North has done to get there, but Bay Bridge is 1.76. The Japanese horse is 5.1, that's Charrier, and State of Rest is 5.4. They're about to turn in, 3 furlongs to go. State of Rest from Charrier,
you
from
happy,
Bay
Dave?
Bridge. Who's going to win this?
I think
Dave?
Ryan's happy. I bet it's the Japanese horse to beat,
gonna have
isn't
to go
it?
outside.
Here he comes. This is what he did at
Go on,
Sandown,
Ryan.
guys.
State of
Come on
Rest.
and unleash
Go on,
the
State
beast.
of Rest is still
Here he
going.
comes.
State of Rest is
Grand
still
Glory
going
goes
well.
well.
I think Grand Glory's
Grand
State
Glory's
of
going
Rest.
well.
Come on,
Still
Ryan.
going well
Give
in
it a
front.
push.
Here comes Bay Bridge.
Easy
State
lead.
of Rest by a length and a half.
Come on, Ryan.
Here comes Bay
Come on,
Bridge
Bay
and
Bridge.
Ryan Moore.
Come on, Bay
State
Bridge.
of Rest from Bay Bridge.
Come on,
State of Rest. A furlong to go. He's still got a length and a half to make up. State of Rest is going to win this. State of Rest is going to win it. What a great ride there. Shane Cross, what a brilliant ride. Wins by a length from Bay Bridge. Running on for 3rd is Grand Glory, and fourth is Chariot,
Exactly.
and fifth is Lord North and Shane Cross. That was a really, really superb ride from the front.
Yeah.
He got it easy, didn't he, Kate? And when Bay Bridge attacked, we'll pick the bones out of exactly what happened there. Chariot, with the drift beforehand, he went out like a light, didn't he? The Japanese horse, I'm afraid to say, he's not even got third in the end. How high did State of Rest go?
State of Rest went to a 11.5 then as a high, but being able to dictate the race, that's probably pretty big, really.
Probably wasn't even
considering.
headed, was he? No.
And the big question is that everyone will be out there to know how low did the beast go?
1.5.
Wow.
For Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
1.5 for Bay
It
Bridge.
just never looked like it was
Never
getting there. It was a
quite.
little bit like Eldar, wasn't it? But
In races like that, you can tell how educated the in-run punters are.
Two things to notice about this. Keels was banging on about this far rail all yesterday. I guarantee we're going to be singing about it again in the morning. They're saying it's a lightning strip at the moment. Ryan's, 4 off it. I wonder if Bay Bridge is slightly feeding that ground. He's rolled a little bit towards him. Like, I'm picking out the bridge. We're talking about a Cox Plate win here, and Bay Bridge has come up against him.
Yeah.
And the form book will say he's probably run the race of his life.
Yeah, I think that's fair, really, to be honest. Because, like you say, I mean, from price perspective, from what price Bay Bridge went off at then. But we spoke about it beforehand, that State of Rest should not have been going off that price. But he was lukewarm in the market because you just get the feeling that bookies over here, the punters over here, probably didn't want to side with him because State of Rest, he's an international horse. We don't really get to see him all that often unless you are a fan of your international racing. But the form he showed, some of the best horses, we spoke about Very Elegant in the world, he's beaten in the Cox Plate and such like.
Under
and
these
then
conditions,
Yeah, under those conditions, being able to dictate the race with the proven form, it was either confirmation or potential this race.
He's the only one that's kept a straight line as well, actually. He's very, I mean, he was given too much to do, the form book comment said, in the Curragh, on his return. He's come on for that, obviously, and they've totally switched up the tactics. And I think the key was that he didn't get taken on early doors, probably. But we are talking about a Cox Plate winner that broke the mould last year for international horses, going and winning in Australia. He's some animal, this. And Joseph O'Brien's some trainer, isn't he? And
I think, Matt, tell us a little bit more about what you're saying about how intelligent the in-running market is there. What did you mean about that?
Because you watch the race and we're all getting excited for Bay Bridge coming on the outside, but it's like he's only gone 1.5.
He's only gone 2s on.
I thought
Yeah.
Pete was going to say
1.1,
1.3 or 1.2
It
something.
constantly amazes me that how my opinion, and I'll go to Barry sometimes, when he's in here on Dublin, and he always surprises me. You're right; they always seem to know.
Yeah,
it is ridiculous. And I mean,
do you find it harder then your game? So you obviously a lot of your betting is pre-race. But there's a lot of in-play, isn't there? I mean, you can play it like a concert pianist, can't you? And,
I've been doing it such a long time. It's like second nature. And that race there, if I was on Bay Bridge beforehand, big, I'd have known, but I'd have been hesitant to back the far side because my pre-race bet has just totally ruled me head.
But is it getting harder to do what you do? Are there more shrewd people?
A lot of people will say that, but I had my best year ever last year. Yeah. So people talk about lack of liquidity and all that, but I had a great year last year, and it's been okay this year. It just goes like that.
I say, was there any rhyme or reason why it was so good last year? Or?
No, I just think it's. I was a lot braver. I'm a lot braver in what I'm doing. Just because I don't see myself doing it for much longer,
Is it as much a test of temperament as judgment? I mean, it must be. I've got someone who tried it, and he used to have a little list there saying patience, don't get worked up, keep a level head, just to remind himself, because you can have a bad beat, can't you? And then next thing you're all in. Yeah,
well, lads who I've worked with in an office in an environment when you're betting and running will probably think I've been a lunatic in the past. Just the way I've behaved when races have been going on, and when
we noticed when traumatised.
That was genuine. I like back in the window now.
Just a flavour of it.
You could have filled that with champagne if you wanted, Matt. And we are having a drink tonight, by the way. So happy days.
But now, mate, I'm a lot more level.
You're going to the bar over me tonight. I can tell you that much.
Well, it's free drinks, isn't it?
I actually got a lot of each way play on Bay Bridge, like a lot of my pals just before it did, but I am slightly disappointed with that. But I think really once the dust has settled, this is what punters do, isn't it? And the heart and sleep punters out there will be disappointed with that. And I'm seeing some crazy stuff about Ryan's ride in the chat and all that.
Really? I didn't see that
man.
at all.
Look,
I mean, look, if it was a bad drive, we'd say it.
I mean, he's given him absolutely every chance. For me, I think we'll probably the Bay Bridge. I just hope he comes out of that in one piece, by the way, because that's big ground to have a hard race on for him, I think. But listen, the decibels all around the country for that race, despite the fact there are only 5 runners, it didn't disappoint, did it? We all got very excited at one point. The drift on Chariot was weird, wasn't it?
Very strange. There was something notable, was there? Did I miss something?
No, I didn't. I thought it went down all right.
It looked like he was very much done for foot when they come off the home turn.
I'm surprised he didn't go on though, because he could have gone on.
Yeah, perhaps a lack of early pace.
That would have helped Bay Bridge.
I was surprised, and I think Ryan did exactly what he did at Sandows. We called beforehand. He peeled off, didn't he? And at Sandows he went sayonara. I'm off.
It's great for Shane Cross, isn't it? That?
Oh, yes.
Big win for him. That
Because you remember, of course, he missed the leisure ride.
Yeah.
Because
Of
of
course,
course, the
yeah.
protocols and all that sort of stuff. This is huge for him. A young man that Aidan O'Brien had with him.
Gold
He then went
races.
off with Joseph as well. Joseph O'Brien's some ridiculous trainer, isn't he?
Brilliant.
It's ridiculous.
They're just an amazing family, aren't
The
they?
future is bright.
Incredible family.
Yeah, they really
In
are.
every sense, they're just
Yeah.
amazing people.
All right, so you will be getting all the quotes coming through from that guy. We're getting quotes for the Arc, basically, but what he absolutely is a player for that on talent. I think you'll be seeing another international campaign for him. It's the China Horse Racing Club, of course. Massive players. They are hugely invested down under and in America as well. Justify, of course, they had. So what, Breeders' Cup probably, and then another trip down to Moonee Valley, you would imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Interesting.
international playbook. Happy days.
Well done, mate. Very
Yeah,
good.
That's why I'm here.
International, yeah.
That's why I'm here.
We're over halfway, Matt. Enjoying it?
Yeah, it's flying
Gonna
by.
get the trip.
I might be floundering later on, but we'll see.
You've got the trophy there.
Back. What did I do right in that race?
Take the lid off.
You'll be delighted that we've watered for you and everything. It's a sound
It's an
surface.
expensive one, isn't
I
it?
was going to say, as soon as it started
The viewers
wobbling
at home
then-
can't feel the quality of
Rosie
it.
Marsden was very disparaging about it yesterday when it went her way. She went,
Oh my God, I didn't expect
there
it to
you
have that
go,
sound.
exactly.
I didn't expect it to sound
It's
like
the
that.
RP Live tipping trophy, and at the moment it sits between Matt Williams and Bruce Millington. How are you getting on out there? We're not at the halfway whistle yet, nowhere near. So much good stuff to come this week. We'll talk about some of the guys' highlights. We'll look maybe back to yesterday as well a little bit. What's to come? What do we make of the 2-year-old crop this year after the commentary? We've seen the Queen Mary. What do you reckon? Let us know. Who's got multiples going out? That's what the show's all about. We'd love to hear how you're getting on out there. Of course, on YouTube, like and subscribe. Get involved in the chat. The excellent gallery team we've got are all over it today. It's not too far away from next best time for me of the week. Wednesday was going to be my big one in the next race
Oh,
coming
wow,
up.
I couldn't see that
really?
next
That's
best in that race at all. Not Baskerova.
No, not. And I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah, I backed her last time, but
Yeah.
I
I don't see it.
very
We'll
short,
talk about
isn't
it, won't we? We have got a little bit of video to give you as well, guys, coming up. We've got a trainer interview, which was beautifully sourced by Sam Hart, who's one of our young producer guys, and you'll hear him do the postcast as well, but he mixes them up with Bruce, and he's mad on his French racing, I think, to the point where they just do it to get him out the room, you know. He's one of those. And but he's got a bit from Christoph Head coming up about Sevilla, Spain. I was told off by Oshie Murphy.
Is this your next
pronouncing that
best?
wrong. This is my next best of
Wow.
the week. I'm absolutely all over it.
This is one of the hardest eight
don't
race
think it is.
running non-handicaps I've ever
I've
seen.
looked at it and
think
I've
it
gone,
is.
as soon as I looked at it, I thought, right, I need an each way one here. I'm going Primo Baccio.
Well,
Just because-
she's not the wackiest double figures of the week. We
No.
said that, me and Kills, on the preview we did on Monday. And
She's 18.
she's a very talented horse. It's just she needs to know she's not been in a race, doesn't she, basically, to win.
She is quirky, yeah.
It was in the moment that there's a bit of trouble in the race, she'll find it. But anyway, we'll come to it. Of course, it is, 4:20 we're coming up on next, isn't it? It's the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge. Stouty usually takes this. He's just been disappointed, of course, in the Prince of Wales, the Derby winning trainer of 2022. No chance to do it here. One that stunk in the market throughout is Mother Earth, Kate.
Yeah, really strange then. I was I was waiting to see exactly how she was going to shape or how the market was going to shape about this race. Because when it first opened up, Saffron Beach was at the head of a market, then Bashkarova, Mother Earth vying for joint second favouritism then, but 5.3 Mother Earth then currently. But she has been, I was sort of forgiving of her really, Mother Earth, on her reappearance start there, because Aidan O'Brien's horses, they were all needing their reappearances. I love the attitude she showed. She blew up about 3 times within that, but she was disappointing in the lockage last time out. It was the lockage, it was behind Baid, but it's tricky to know exactly where we are with her. And I guess the fact she's being fitted with cheap pieces is probably a reflection that the team are also thinking along the same lines then with Mother Earth, that yeah, she made.
She's had a tough career, hasn't she? She's
a
won the
tough-
Guineas.
She's a tough horse.
Oh, I love
her.
She was one of the saddlecloth mix-ups, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was,
with
yeah.
Snowfall.
Along
Yeah.
with the other one.
Snowfall.
Yeah, exactly. Snowfall and Mother.
Yeah.
Some
Incredible.
mind-blowing game, this, isn't
Yeah.
it? And they both went on and won classics after the bile they got.
She's 4 from 20.
She's a very tough animal. Cheap pieces on. I asked Oshim when they might be doing that, and he just said he didn't like her at all for this. She was Antipo's favourite. A couple of people that we've done tips with have napped her in this because it's the Lockinge form, isn't it?
Yeah.
Against Group 2 fillies.
She's a Guineas winner.
This is a race where I had one of my best ever Royal Ascot touches in.
How
There's
long
a
ago?
story about it. We can say this, can't we?
Go on.
Well, I think we'll go down the line. If you can try and remember while I'm doing mine, your best ever Royal Ascot touches. One that's certainly memorable and profitable if you don't mind. Mine was in this race. It was in 2016 when Andre Fabre brought over Usherette, the Godolphin horse. It's very hard usually to concede a penalty in this race. She's the only horse that did it. She won the Dahlia coming into this, and I've got to be honest.
The what?
The
Dahlia.
Stradivarius race. And she won the Dahlia coming into this. She won it well. And I did the old trading post when Kills was betting editor after she won that. And a French judge of mine, a guy called Danny Ramirez, he's a brilliant French judge. He said, we've got to be with this. This is one of his best he's had in years. The Master Fabre. And I said to Kills, it's a terrible Wednesday you've got me writing about, or maybe a bit nearer. And Kills hated this when he was betting editor. I said, I'd like to tip something up at Royal Ascot. He went, no. We once had a day of doing the Epsom Oaks and someone put up something in a cellar. I won't name the person who put up a cellar at Redcar. He goes, never again on Oaks Day. And I said, look, Kills, this is going to win. I wanted to put up 5 points on it. He talked me back in. I wasn't going to be Tom Collins. He wanted me to put 3 up in it, and I put 3 up on it, and most of my article was on this. It came to the day, I was there for us, you were lucky enough to let me go. I was in the press room and I went down to meet this chap who we were all on, and the rain hammered down, and she was thought to be on best, on a sound surface. And I'm like, oh my Lord, this is, and there's, quite a lot riding on it. And she whizzed home. And I remember going back up to that press room, like feeling like the Ready Brek kid, I was absolutely, and I was strutting like Superman, I was going through it, and it was one of the best days of my life, and it was in this race. And ever since, I've had something on this, and I am on the French filly in this. She's no Usherette, but I think our fillies are vulnerable to a Group 1 filly, and I think she is. They've now got it right on Sevilla, Spain.
It is nice to be right at the big meetings, isn't it?
It's
What
the
do you make
best.
of that? Like a $5 win at Ripon is the same as.
It's
not.
nonsense.
I've never felt like
Nonsense.
that. Have you?
Don't agree with that.
Yeah, I shout louder when it's a big meeting.
Yeah, of course you do.
You know what I mean?
Because also you've been studying that race for
You're more
months,
familiar with the
That's the
horses.
thing.
Yeah.
And also, I was able to text Kills and go,
Who
who was delighted.
Why didn't you give
of
me
course.
5 points?
Exactly, I should have put 5
You're
points
control
on.
freak.
But Kills said they've got to win, he said, when you do that. And of course, when Kills points 2 up, it's usually because he thinks they're worth 4, probably, as a little insight for you there. Matt, touches at Royal Ascot, has anything come
Do
to
you know
mind?
what? Laddie's Poker 2.
Oh, which was your last
My last
parting
tip,
shot?
yeah. But the most memorable was actually one that got beat. I backed one at a Godolphin horse in the Britannia, and it was for a fortune. And it was a big price, and it traded odds on.
What was it called?
I can't even remember. It was in the Britannia, and Sylvester rode it, pulled all the way as they always do with Sylvester, but he just seemed to keep running for him.
Yeah, they
he's got some magic in his hands. It's not for holding horses though.
Yeah, it's not for holding them. Yeah.
But that was really memorable but it was a defeat. But the win, Laddie's Poker.
Was it the handicaps that you tried to have a go at?
Yeah.
There's a lot said about this. Ordinary punters, as I might call them. I've got one in particular who loves Kills and has met him a few times, but can't stand the fact that he's always trying to look outside the box on the shows we do. Just tell me what the most solid horse in the race.
That's why he's such a good tipster, isn't he?
Of course,
anyone can do
of
that.
course, but people like it when you just sort of keep it sort of simple. But there is a fascination, isn't there, with getting the winner of the Hunt Cup or the Britannia or the Cambridgeshire or the Wokingham, whatever it is. Like, you find the horse that's going to be best.
I love backing horse in handicaps, and it is
You
a
obviously get
puzzle,
value,
and
obviously.
you want to look at it.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun of why you get into racing.
Yeah.
Looking at the handicaps.
I agree.
And
It
the
took me a
puzzles.
little while to get to that, but I think after about 10 years of being at the post, I would be that, especially over the jumps now as well. Bruce,
What?
punting highlight of the...
Oh, sorry. I forgot.
Eldarov, I
The
suppose.
story went on for so long, I forgot.
Well, you were looking at me and trying to... Like the editor's eyes on me going, gush, gush.
That's like one of those Ronnie Corbett stories.
I'm coming on your golf show on Sunday, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna
good.
gush
Well,
again.
you crack on.
We'll talk
'cause that's a
about
long
Sweet Spot
show.
Live.
Yeah, okay, that's a long show. So you crack on, and Steve and I can go and get a
I'm
beer
looking
or
forward to
something.
that again, man.
Excellent, good. 19. What year were you born in?
93.
Okay, when you were -9, a horse called Mighty Fly won the Queen Mary at 33-1, 1984, and
Jeez, I don't remember that.
I picked it out and had a fiver on. I was 17, and I just thought I was an absolute god.
That's the one that, because they do say, don't they, you know, to a lot of the pundits, was it a bet that got you into it? You know, followers of racing, they can remember.
I was already got into it by then, but yeah,
right,
it is something.
you remember the early biggies, don't you? I think.
My first ever bet was Little Owl when it won the
Your
1981.
first ever bet?
When it won the
Gold Cup.
1981 Gold Cup, yeah. I had
genuinely
50p at
can't
6 to
remember my
1,
first ever
and I
bet.
was so chuffed about it.
There you go.
And I just fell in love
That's
with
sort of
racing ever
mine.
since.
Mine was in the National.
What, your first ever
Never
bet?
bet. Oh,
But
actually, to
maybe
be fair,
that's
it makes
where
sense.
Yeah, of course it
Yeah.
does,
You
yeah.
mean that,
What, the National? What, the
Yeah.
most
No, I
famous
can't
one?
really remember. I can't remember.
But I,
my first ever
I
bet.
remember what it was. It was a 50 to 1 shot called Newnham. Right, I mean, it's so random that, isn't it?
What
That
year?
it- that it- I think it was about mid-80s.
Wow.
Oh, we then.
Mid-80s
First
last.
bet.
Well, I shouldn't really say because I
Wow.
was only 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair prevails.
Yeah, the hair, cheers, mate. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you remember the big rate. The Grand National was always everyone's intro.
Kate, you've obviously come into it from a groom's perspective. It must be a bet you remember. Royal Ascot in
Yeah,
particular?
Royal Ascot bet. Watch Me in the Coronation Stakes.
Yes.
The Francis Henry Graffard. Yeah, back in 2019.
Hosed up.
20-1. Yeah, that was a real notable one then from the French form that was just being underestimated bringing into it. That was the first kind of one where I thought, geez, I fairly winged that one. I sort of thought,
And Kate, you're such a
go on
professional.
from
There's a beautiful link here because now's the time to unleash the French trainer, up and coming that he is, of Christopher Head. Let's see what he had to say to Sam earlier in the week.
Having Sibilla as our first runner is an even more special for me, as she's really my filly of heart since the beginning of my career. Last year, the way she got out of the stalls, full gun blazing as she was about to rob a bank in most of her races, makes her unique, and that's probably one of the reasons people have supported and followed her on the social media. This year, we put her on the mile races, and we've been changing the strategy to have her finishing the race with a brilliant manner, like she did in the Sant'Alari and more recently in the Prix de Muguet. We are honored to get the opportunity to run her during the Royal Ascot meeting. She has never been so well since the beginning of the season. We can't wait to see her again putting her heart in the race like she always did. Aurélien Lemaitre is back on her since the beginning of the season, and he will be riding her for the race at Ascot. Of course, there's a bit of competition, and we're still waiting for the place on the stalls, but the race looks open, and she could make a very nice performance.
Oh, I'm hoping it's a very nice performance, Christopher. Well done, Sam, for that. That was lovely. So we've got these out-of-the-box thinkers now for you here in the studio. So much coming your way on the RP, and he's there, and Aurélien Lemaitre is her usual pilot. Christopher Head, obviously very famous racing family. A lovely footage there, wasn't it? This is a horse that was unlucky not to win the French Oaks last year as a 3-year-old, basically, and they've basically got her wrong. She's by
I thought you wanted further.
Well,
When I looked at the race, I thought...
it's funny how they've ended up with her, actually.
So I think I don't mind that angle in, actually.
She's a proper Coolmore pedigree.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Long-crest.
Long-crest,
Yeah.
remember her?
Yeah.
She was like, he's talking about Oaks type. So
And
she's
Frankel's
frank,
stamina.
exactly. But she was just too keen up front. They couldn't get her to settle. She was unlucky in the French Oaks. They finally held her up at Saint-Cloud last time. You got time, you can go onto YouTube, watch it. And the horse that she only just beat at the line, like State Arrested in the last race, easy fractions, control, control, control. She winds up, and I'm starting to think when you're watching it, this is awesome, definitely wants further. She rockets home, and she took a lot of pulling up as well. It's mainly because she ticks historically a lot of the boxes. The French have a great record in this race. And if there's a bit of pace around her from 7 and the jockey gets going in time, then I think she'll mow them down. Ours are all beatable anyway, I think.
I'd always want to go with a horse that I think might need further than one that's going to struggle at the trip.
And she is
I've
a
always
Group 1
leaned
filly,
towards
this, I
that,
think.
yeah.
She is the sort of horse we will be seeing on Art Day in Group 1,
Yeah.
So, look, she's got a bit of a pen, but Osherette did it, and I think she'll win. I think she's great value. She was around about 8 to 1 at the start of the day.
Siegel's mad on her, isn't he?
Siegel's put her up as well. Yeah, he's having some year, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, happy days. And I love Bashkirova, one of 3 that could have taken this in for Cheveley Park. Potapova, who, of course, faced her off at Epsom last time out in the Princess Margaret, or Princess Elizabeth. Didn't go. And lights on ran yesterday against Baid. We thought that might be the one as well, but Stouty set. So she will find the ground quick enough, I reckon, actually. And she had a pretty hard race. I do like her. I think she won despite Epsom last time. And she was strong at the line, but this is tougher. And I think she's probably here because it just fits her. Saffron Beach I like a lot. She's got to give away upwards of £2 to the rest of the field. But, again, she's beatable.
She is beatable. I mean, I came down Primo Baccio. When I looked at the races, I wasn't as strong as what you are. I just wanted an each way shot. I don't think it's a great group 2, even though we've got a Guineas winner in there.
Yeah.
You know, solid horse like Saffron Beach.
Well, the 3-year-old fillies last year, Kills was screaming about it earlier, wasn't he? He said, rubbish, he was saying, you know, if that was an impression. But, I mean,
it was an impression.
It was a terrible oaks. You know, a terrible oaks. And he was right about that, like his most things. But he's keen on Prima Baccio as well. There is just a filly in here who's sitting on another big one. I remember speaking to Ed Walker, pre-Starman, in the Haydock race last year, and this had just run at York, and he said, it's the worst decision of my training career. I shouldn't have run if the ground was against her. This will be perfect for her. Oshie Murphy's ridden her at home. She's very talented, but he concurred.
Yeah.
Not going on up there.
Yeah.
She was very unlucky in races like the Falmouth last year, the Fred Darling, things like that. She's a whoosher.
She's a big price. She's 17 on Betfair. You know, it's just an arrow I wanted to throw.
If you don't fancy any of the front ones, I agree with Matt. I think she is one that you'll have to have a little savour on, which I'm just about to do. November is a horse that came into prominence at the meeting last year because it bucketed down. She was a right gamble in the Coronation Stakes. That didn't come off. Neil Francis comes on and goes, I'm so old, I remember Matt working at the Post.
Thanks, Neil.
Neil Francis showing his maturity. Honestly, Matt, there's loads of love out there for you today. If you were still on Twitter, you'd be getting plenty of it,
I couldn't cope with Twitter.
Why?
I just argued with too many people.
For being confrontational.
You like someone.
Not like anyone else in the room. Okay, let's go down the panel then. Great to have you still with us, and we've waved goodbye to our Japanese watchers now. I think they're probably a little bit disappointed. But I'll give you a time, actually, a very interesting time to my eyes as well. Dan Walsh, our producers, come up in the Prince of Wales Stakes, where they've been going near to standard, even yesterday, you know, when the water on the round course was evident. It's slowed by 3.5 seconds. When we're talking about very good horses, they obviously crawled round, didn't they?
Yeah, they were fast in our first
so
two races.
the jury's out with Bay Bridge at the moment, but he's probably still run the race of his life. And the dream
he wants a stronger mile and a quarter, doesn't he? We're talking about him maybe going to a mile and a half one day.
It'll be interesting to see Stouty's quotes. We give you the quotes of the beaten horses. They're sometimes the most interesting quotes you can get. Lots of people missing that fact with once they've spoken to connections, they're not talking on the way into the weighing room anymore. But whether that's always accurate, I don't know. But those beaten horse quotes are often the most interesting ones. It'll be interesting to see what Stouty says about that. Right, OK, Bruce.
I am going to take a chance. Like Matt, I want something each way. You know when you get 8 runners and it's wide open, you want a prize, don't you? And I quite like November. I thought that run last year in the Coronation Stakes was good. I think that she had trouble in running on her reappearance. The trainer says that she'll come on massively for it. And when you're trained in Germany, you're going to be underrated. And when you're ridden by Sybil Vogt, you're going to be underrated. And sure enough, she is underrated. I think 17.5 for a horse who's right up there on the ratings is wrong. She's obviously, because it's 8 runners, she's going to be a little bit short.
Bit of a ground concern.
Possibly, but he thinks she'll be all right. I just think each way here, November is a small bet. I think I share your view here, Matt. I'd find it difficult to have a strong view in this race. And if you do, fantastic. And that just shows, doesn't it, how punters see races totally differently. I just thought this was double difficult. And so I took a chance with the underrated German filly and Sybil Vogt, about whom I know very little.
Well, the last time Sybil Vogt was on, it was a win at Düsseldorf in
Let's hope she's not 40.
The way you pronounce that, I'd love to go to Germany with Bruce and here and get a bit of the lingo. It'd be good fun. Kate, what's the trade most importantly?
Yeah, the trade most importantly. Again, I've been very similar to you all really with this race, where I don't have the strong opinion or I don't have any sort of compelling betting angle into this race. So I'm just going to play this race with a straight bat. And to be honest with you, I mean, Bashkirova, she's a shorter price than I was ideally liking, but honestly, I'm just going to be a price taker here, I think. 50 quid, play it with a straight bat, win market on the exchange, Bashka over there.
Do you know what I've just done? I've just backed Dave's horse so I can shout it home with you.
Yes, this is it. Well, I need a bit of your luck, to be honest.
Yeah,
I need to stand up. It'll happen at one time this week, but I'm a
I was
little bit
kicking
deflated
myself
after
out
that.
not doing the reverse forecast then for my last
Must admit,
race.
Matt, I'm trying to have a bit on your primo Baccio now. So this is
We're
just
not
to
giving
worry you
Saffron
slightly.
enough respect, by
No,
the way.
we're not.
She's a
Are
lovely
we?
horse, isn't she?
She's not giving her
Just
enough
bear
respect.
with us while we all do our business. Talk amongst yourselves out there. You can tell this is quite.
Yeah, sorry, we're just sitting here punting. the race we've all said
Funny enough, that was the premise of the show initially.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are allowed to do it
Impossible
on
this
here.
race as we all sit here on our
This is
phones.
going to be a great clip, this, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, what's happening out there, Kate?
At least
in
people
Ascot
can't say
world?
that we're
Yeah.
not backing our own judgment.
Exactly.
I'll pick up the
And
slack. Yeah, no, Bashka over 3.95. The Saffron Beach 4.1, probably a fair price. Bashka over just drifting out though, to be honest, near the off. So 5.1. Then about Mother Earth, she's been steady away. 6.6 then for your fancy as well, for Sevilla Spain for Christoph Head, which is an interesting market move, and then the rest of them sort of vying it between themselves. But yeah, Bashka over, as soon as I took that price, then she started to drift back out.
She's a bit of a hype horse, isn't she, now, after Epsom? Bashka. I backed her at Epsom and I was impressed, but I wasn't blown away. I think she's got a bit to prove here.
Do you think Haggis has a lot of hype horses? He obviously
Yeah.
has a load of brilliant hype horses, a load of brilliant horses. I'm certainly not besmirching the guy, and it's not his fault.
No.
But I think he has a lot of horses that everyone's like, whoa, this is Haggis.
I think punters love him, don't they?
They really love him.
I have a different opinion on Haggis horses because I don't think he ever overphases his horses, stepping them up in grade before he has to. And I think that's why when he gets these upwardly mobile types such as Bashkarova, why they get given the respect that personally I think they warrant, because I'd never think that they're overphased before their time. So I know this is a step up in grade for her. But in Haggis, I trust then that this is the right time for her. And the fact she's the sole representative then for Cheveley Park in here when, like you said, they had a whole host of runners. And Mrs. Fitzherbert, who she beat last time out, reversed that form, doesn't take her chance. Just sort of cut up, really, enough for Bashkarova.
Put it this way, though. If you flip the stables and Haggis trained Saffron Beach and Jane Chapelheim trained Bashkarova, I don't think the prices would be
I've
as
had
they are
tete-a-tetes
here.
with people on the show before about that because he doesn't train it.
Yeah, I know that. I know
And that's
that.
one of your that I've taken.
I
I've
do,
learnt
I
from
do
you.
agree with that. Yeah, they don't train them. There are different qualities of
It's-
trainers.
it's
I am
La La
absolutely
Land,
not going down quality of trainers route again. Me and G-Rod have been strung up for that quite enough.
Right.
But all I'm saying is that can you tell me that Jane Chapelheim isn't capable of getting the best out of Saffron Beach? I mean, we talked about jockeys before, Matt. How big is trainers for you?
Yeah, it's big.
What's bigger, trainers or jockeys?
Jockeys for me.
If you could only see...
I know Tom Siegel and Paul Kelly don't really see it the way I see it, and I've got massive respect for both of them, but I completely disagree with them.
They're bigger, they're smaller on trainers.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about jockeys.
They think the jockeys have less importance to an
I think
to an
Tom's
outcome.
fairly strong on jockeys, isn't he? I think, I don't know. I think maybe not, but I mean,
Certainly not
but put it this
Gills.
way: if you could only see on a race card the trainer or the jockey, you'd see the jockey. That's probably a silly question, actually, isn't it? They're the one who actually get to ride them. But
I have, you've got to have opinions on trainers. Like Haggis, like you said, punters trust him. I trust him. I think he's a shrewd fella.
Oh, he is.
You know what I mean? I get the impression he's probably like a bet as well, which I like.
Because
I love that in a
Beach is
trainer.
the spotlight verdict, guys, as well. I'm not sure who did that today, but Matthew Samuel joins us. Sammy, look, welcome along. And he says, agree with Bruce. November is solid each way. Was a 15 lengths second to Real World, rated 118, slightly more than that, I think, after yesterday. And 2 lengths second to Baid yesterday. So Real World, you're basing it on that. You think, like, well... okay. She theoretically she beats Mother Earth there, doesn't she? Yeah. She was 4th last year, of course, at the meeting when the deluge happened. That was the day we didn't even know
That's right.
would be racing or not. When alcohol-free won, of course, she was only beaten 2 lengths.
And that's probably better than this, isn't it?
It's a mark of 114 we gave her for that. And there are, Mother Earth would be obviously up to that, but on her A game. So yeah, it's about, a lot of this race is about who brings the A game. And that's why
it's about the prices as well.
Of course,
Dave,
and I love Bashkarova. I was with her at Epsom like Matt was as well. I knew that she was going to come on for that Goodwood run, and that's why I was with her.
Did you see her as a Group 2 winner, though?
I was told she was a very good filly pre to Goodwood and she just need it. And it was born out there, and that was by the guy that rode it, and it worked out at Epsom. But like I say, it's not. I think this is kind of like let's strike while the iron's hot with her a little bit. I think Epsom would have been the plan.
Yeah.
I don't believe it yet, so I'll get right
Yeah.
on board after
No,
this.
exactly
I
that.
like her. I think she's a real.
She is
progressive
a
filly.
lovely filly.
Yeah.
But Bruce is right. The price, not for me. I think that we don't know enough about the French horse unless you delve into it.
I mean, you
Of
wouldn't
course,
want to
we
go
to some
laying any of
outlier.
these, would you? Really?
Not really.
Hey, because you-
I actually have place laid Bashkarova just because I think that it's competitive.
First place layer of the day.
1.57.
I love a place like.
I do.
James Millman got it right over Golden Pal yesterday. He went big on that. Who was sitting in Kate's seat. I'm just trying to see how Kills is doing actually, because he said on his show this morning, I came out of the traps like Golden Pal yesterday.
Dave, while you're doing that, I just want to say how lovely. We're seeing the ITV
yeah.
pictures here. It's so nice that Royal Ascot is back to full life, isn't it?
Yeah.
After a 2-year absence. I mean, I don't know if you got that yesterday, but in the same way that when we went to Cheltenham this year, there was a real buzz because everyone was back in there. It really felt the same with that at Royal Ascot yesterday. It wasn't the busiest day, was it?
No.
But I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday going to be absolutely.
And you went last
buzzing.
year as well when it was still restrictions, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You
What
put
was
the
that
old
like?
pomp on, didn't you then?
Did you put the top out?
I had to, yeah. I got invited to the posh bit, so I
Yeah.
had to wear all the clobber.
You ever been in
and
the
it was
posh bit?
nice.
No, I'd be petrified to put a top hat on.
Mate,
I'm
honestly.
about 8.5 foot anyway.
It's
Don't
not.
wanna ruin that
I don't like
glorious
it.
head of
I
hair.
don't even think it looks that smart. Do you think blokes look smart in top hats?
do.
I think
Do
he
you?
did, Bruce.
Yeah.
And the
I
big
really
baggy
like it.
stripy
And they are all
strides.
so
He
bad.
doesn't. That fella there on the left, he doesn't look smart.
That's a bit of. I don't
That's
know.
the
I'm not a fan
trainer
of
we
like-
just had on.
in there.
He looks like he's been down to he's hired his suit.
Christopher!
He's got his dad's hat on, whose dad's head must be a lot bigger than his. Because it's coming down
The
over
ears
his
are keeping
eyes.
it up.
Well,
aren't they?
it is,
balancing
but
it.
let's get into this because we've got a bit of time. We've got around about 5 minutes to go out, and Christopher is giving an interview. We got him first, but he is actually. You're right. The way he's looking at the moment, it's a nightmare when you go and hire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you don't
And
own
that's
one
a
of these
fit.
hats, you get the feeling that everyone's going scoundrel. You know.
I'll
and
tell you
all that
one
sort of
thing. When I
stuff.
first became editor, Clement Freud invited me out to lunch. He obviously wanted to size me up. He asked me what school I went to and all
You've
that.
got
and that
great
was no
stories
good.
about him.
But I said to him, well, I've got to go anyway, Clement, because I've got to go and get fitted out at Mossbros for Royal Ascot. And he was absolutely appalled that I didn't own morning suit. And he says, what is your top hat size? And I didn't have a clue. And
Close your eyes for a minute and
could
imagine
not-
that and
He
smile.
couldn't believe that a human being doesn't know their top hat size.
I've got a Clement Freud story. We went to Racing Post Chase Day, yeah? So I'm on a table with him. And he's a foodie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's going around, so he says it's scone or scone, right? So we had that discussion. So he's there, he's got a scone, he's put the cream on, loads of strawberry jam, and he just put it, and then the race goes off, so he went out, and so I got a scone.
I was with you.
Yeah.
Phil Taylor was there.
Yeah, Phil Taylor, yeah, Phil Tayller, yeah. You say never meet your heroes. Phil, right? So I got the scone and a bit half of his scone, right? So I put it back on his plate, and Clements walked back in, he sat down, and he looked there for about 2 minutes. And he didn't eat it. I could just see in his head, he's thinking,
I mean,
I'm
he never
sure I
got
haven't
it.
had the
He
bite
didn't
of
have
this.
a scream up, did he?
No, he
Just
didn't know,
left
because he was thinking in his head, have I had half of that?
He was super cognizant.
Surely my mouth's not that big.
He was the late Sir Clement Freud. When I used to occasionally sit on the news desk, you get these people phoning up. You know, Sir Peter O'Sullivan would phone up Bruff. Hello, Bruff. You know, I've got a terrible impression, Bruff. And Clement used to call himself Clement. Clement here. Can I speak to like a secretary? Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, with a switchboard or whatever. News desk, you know.
Yeah.
But they all used to come through to it.
He rang up once. He rang my number, and I used to have a PA back in the days, and she'd gone to lunch. So I picked the phone up, and he goes, "It's Clement here. Has my column arrived yet?" And I went, "Oh, hang on, Clement. I'll just have an ask." I say, "Has Clement's copy dropped yet?" And they go, "Yeah, it's fine." So I said, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Clement." And he just put the phone down.
Just that was it.
Didn't even say
That's
goodbye.
the sort of thing you used to get on the news desk. Random people would call you up, and it was quite daunting when you were young, you know. But like you were a switchboard. But anyway. Yeah, that's what I do. Apparently, they're saying in the gallery.
I used to love ringing racing people when I was working at the Racing Post.
Yeah,
I
that was one of the-
I was
that's one of the
like, do a
boons
heroes
of
to
it.
me, you know.
Yeah, I know. But then when they
that.
start being rude to you and give you
I
short
thought
shit,
that'd be
did you
the
used to get a
worst
tune
part
out
of
of all?
No, I agree, Matt.
Yeah,
It was good fun.
I remember having a good chat with Willie Haggis once. That was brilliant.
Some of them are amazing. Some of
Jockey-
them will give you all the time, and others are
I can guess which
absolutely
ones wouldn't.
horrible.
Was that when he was
do with those?
commonly termed more as Willie Haggis? Probably.
You just don't.
wasn't
Yeah,
he?
you just don't.
You
do
just
that
try and
now.
get the
You,
info
well, you
and
can't
get
speak
those.
to them. Some of them will not speak to you. They just won't speak to you.
No, they
Don't know
won't.
anything
But
about
I'm with Matt. My first, I remember Bill Barber, who used to do that then. just gave me the direction and went, off you go, get the quotes. And I was like, gulp. And I remember speaking to Carl Burke in particular. He was brilliant. Yeah. And it gave me the confidence to go on.
My favourite line about that is I was in a taxi with Colin Tizard once, and I said, Colin, you know, how are our staff treating you? The reporter's all right, they're not driving you too mad. He goes, I always tell my staff the time to start worrying is when the racing post don't ring you, because it means you ain't got any decent horses. So you keep ringing me.
Is that Colin Tizard?
Started off as Willie Mullins.
I was wondering how that was going.
It's good.
I thought it was Jim Goldie at one point. I was like,
He looks like Jim Gold.
That was good, that wasn't it?
oh, we're digressing.
Good. Really good.
We might have a new fav soon if the exchange is anything to go by here, because Saffron Beach keeps vying in. Every time I say that, Bashkirova Hons again.
Yeah, no, she's shortening the whole while they're Saffron Beach. Yeah, joint favourites then. But as you say, Bashkirova is just tentatively holding on to favouritism there at 3.85 from 3.9. Then Saffron Beach 4.5. Mother Earth. She's had a few nibbles in the
What am I
market as
saying?
well.
November 30.
Yeah,
What's
no,
that?
November.
That's Sherry I like,
Because
isn't
I
it?
tipped it, yeah.
That's Sherry I
on the
like.
drift as
All
well.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
November
we're
on
going
the
down.
drift.
This is
Boy.
this is a
Incredible.
big race for everyone out. It's the Duke of Cambridge. We're back on the straight track. Where the pace is going to come from, that's the question, isn't it? Bashkirova likes to get on with a bit. Mother Earth has led before, of course. Will she do it that this time? I don't know. Could it be one of the outsiders, of course? Canella, Thunder Beauty. I don't think it'll be November. It definitely won't be Sibla Spain unless they revert to previous tactics, or November.
Wouldn't be the biggest shock, though, would it?
What, Sibla Spain?
Yeah.
Well,
Or would
she
they?
used to do that, but I think the initial quote when we were trying to get that video was, if there's no pace. I was like, oh, you hate to hear that, didn't you?
That's the last time he ever speaks to us anyway, after
We just dissed his
Matt ripped it for his dodgy tip.
Sorry for me.
Just quickly, guys, I've got a quote from Stout coming in thanks to Jack Haynes, one of our top boys out there on track. The race didn't pan out brilliantly for us. That's, I think, the key thing to take out of it. Not the ground.
Is that a euphemism for a bad ride?
I think, no.
It's
I'm
not,
not going to
no?
go down that route. No, I think the pace is what he's on about. We'll stick to him at a mile, or do we got to a mile and a half? We're going to take our time, typical Stout, basically. So there you go. That's the beating.
Where would you go with him, Dave?
You might find a Group 2 over mile 4 and test him, maybe. They might, or would they go for a trial for the Arc? I don't know. They're going to try
4
and
to
keep
go.
them apart, aren't they?
Okay.
4 to go.
They're not going to run him and Desert Crown against each other anytime soon, I don't think. Matt,
Grand Prix
so-
de Paris?
Grand Prix de Paris.
I'm getting
There you
there.
go.
Showing his
International
secret programme
book as
booker
well.
over
I thought it was going to say no, it's for Phillips.
for 2-year-olds. They're finally going in here.
Something's kicking like mad.
Well, maybe
November.
that's what the drift's about.
November is kicking like mad. And
showing her
Sybil's having to pull the old tail there. That's like when Sybil Forty attacked the builder. Do you remember? He popped it up, he put the doorway in the wrong place. Mr. O'Reilly. Yeah, she's got her feet out the irons. They're throwing the kitchen sink at this. They've got the blindfolds on. Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Come on, CBS.
I'm impressed with your commentating, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Hard job
Cheers,
today.
mate. I'm gonna have my moan again. By the way, I don't like seeing jockeys pull tails. I think, particularly at Royal Ascot, we've got
Aesthetically,
people
you don't
tuning
like
in.
it.
Look,
I
if you're
see
watching
from that.
racing, you see that, you're going to go, what is that?
Is that rubbish, Kate, from a horsey
No,
person?
no one ever gives that, because that's what I've always kind of always thought, is that when people give out about the image of jump racing in comparison to flat racing, sometimes I think what goes on in the stalls, from my perspective, would probably visually look worse. I mean, pulling the tail is just so they don't kick out.
Yes, I know that, but it doesn't look
If
good.
that was
Yeah,
it,
but
she'd
it
be saying
doesn't
you're
look-
talking rubbish, because horsey people do
No,
that, but I know what you mean.
I'm not talking rubbish,
The
because some
wider
people who
world.
don't know
Yeah.
will think that.
Yeah.
But
The
it
wider
is, no
world.
one ever comments on that for flat racing, about sort of the visuals of it in comparison to jumps.
The stalls handlers are having to earn their corn today. There's all sorts going on here. Sibylla Spain seems to be
Saffron Beach fab
in a
now?
few-
Yeah, for
having a
Saffron
bit
Beach
of
as well, fab.
difficulty. Yeah, November's kicking out like
Sabia's
mad.
not going in brilliantly.
No.
Mother Earth, bit of money for Mother Earth.
Yeah, well, she's an old pro. She'll stroll in and not worry about it.
And
Thunder
that's been
Beauty's
sunk, and the next best don't want to go
Thunder
in.
Beauty's back, and we do not want
Very good.
anything not running here.
It's not, they're
folks.
going without
They're
it.
going without. There's going to be 7 runners each way. Hell, each way chaos. We are out for the
November
Duke
leads.
of Cambridge, and
Didn't see
November
that coming.
is the one that makes them running, kicking out beforehand, but did not miss the kick when the gates opened. November by a length and a half from Saffron Beach, and then on the outside we've got Canella in 4th place. It's Mother Earth lobbing along with that low head carriage. A high head carriage is Primo Baccio, who's in 5th,
Bit keen.
and then we've got Bashkirova in 6th, and
keen.
seeing them all from the back is
have
Thunder
said that.
Beauty going nicely is Sybil. Go on, Sybil. Nothing faulty about this ride.
Hey.
We've
The
got
jockeys all
4
think it's
furlongs
so
to
hard
go.
to make all on the straight track, don't they?
Well, we'll see. Don't mess with
They're like
Sybil.
Saffron Beach.
She is a length and a half in front of Saffron Beach, who, as you say, is now under 2 to 1, 2.98.
Yeah, you can see why.
Mother Earth is going nicely
Baskerova
as
doesn't
well.
look happy at all.
No, she doesn't. But
November's
she's not.
odds
She's
are
all right.
aft.
The race hasn't panned out yet. November is into 8.
What would
Go
you
on,
be doing now,
November.
Matt?
Go on, November. I tell you what, I'll
Scratching
be
my head.
Be at the bar like
Well,
I said.
we've
Primo's
got-
coming
we've
into
We've
it.
got
Baskarova's surely
three
gone.
furlongs to go,
Thunder
and
Beauty's going
November is
well.
now being asked. Saffron
Saffron,
Beach is
Thunder
in
Beauty's
goal
going well.
position. Saffron's going well. Mother
way
Earth
off.
is coming there.
Cruising.
I cannot see
Primo
Baskerova
Baskerova
winning.
Look at Thunder Beauty.
Primo's going well, but now Saffron
Tuddle.
takes it up. Saffron
Danny Tuddle.
takes it up.
Thunder Beauty.
Saffron takes it up from November, who's
at Danny
staying
Tuddle.
on.
Nowhere to go.
It's third.
Condon.
Oh yeah, we got
The
you're right.
rag.
No, it's Saffron Beach here. We're going into the final furlong. Saffron Beach
it's a
is 2
101.
clear.
She's
Here
just
comes
done it.
Thunder Beauty, who looks like it might take second off of November, and then staying on as
Please,
well as
Primo.
Primo Baccio. But it's Saffron
please.
Beach all day. Absolutely waltzed to victory by 3 lengths. Thunder Beauty's run a blinder. Well done, Matt, for getting the place money with Primo
There's only
Baccio.
7 runners.
Oh yes.
Stitched up.
Oh my goodness me.
What
Anyway,
a dramatic
yeah.
race we've had there. They took ages to get them in, and we're talking about a Group 2 race for fillies there. One thing
And
we
we're
tend
all
to-
sat in our seats.
Well, absolutely. And they didn't, I don't know, they were quite quick to take her away. I don't know whether something was wrong with her or not, but Sibla Spain, Sevilla Spain didn't go in. Drama. Poor old Christopher Heading connects all this way. Haven't done it. If you're on it, if you're on Primo Baccio, like Kills suggested, Matt put her up as well. She kind of did what you have to do with the. She saw daylight moving a bit too
Yeah,
soon.
that's just there.
It's awful for punters, that, isn't it? It really. Now I know, obviously, the horse that was withdrawn could have finished in the first 3 anyway, but it's just a sickener.
It is
that,
a
isn't
sickener,
it?
yeah.
But
And it's to get so close, like.
best horse in the race has walked it.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
impressive.
brilliant. A brilliant
Jane
ride by
Chapel-Hyam.
no nonsense. Brilliant by Jane Chapel-Hyam. And I heard Birchie talking about our Racing Post colleague talking earlier in the week about this race, and he said, "Look, I'm going to play this simple. I think Saffron Beach is the best horse. I think that the trainer's underrated, and I think she's the value bet." And I love Birchie's ability to see races so
But
clearly.
Bertie's so simple.
He's so simple.
He doesn't mess about.
Doesn't cloud it.
And he's not price sensitive, is he?
No,
really?
and he doesn't
In
try
terms
and be too clever. You know, you can overthink this sometimes, can't you? But
I think
anyway,
that's
well done,
Jane's
Birchie.
second Royal Ascot winner. I can remember we had it yesterday, the previous one. I think it's you'll never get it.
Do you
So
remember the Rebo winner?
it might be the same
100
horse.
to 1, wasn't it?
What was the Ebor winner called? Oh my lord, hang on a
Was there
minute.
much in the market there, by the way?
Yeah, Saffron Beach she never hit that much of a high, understandably. So 3.95 is a high then for Saffron Beach.
Baskerova's disappointing, wasn't she?
Yeah, Baskerova, she was under the cosh from quite a way out there, really. She was,
It's
hitting
quite
up
straightforward if you write an
3.8.
analysis. This turned out too quickly. She just did
Yeah, I mean,
not. She was
she
beaten
stayed
after a
on again
furlong.
then, but she just, she was under pressure from quite a way out there. You could see the writing was on the wall from her. But William Buick in the box seat then, tracking the pace through. Just really
I did, yeah.
likeable.
The place lay worked.
Second win of the week for William. There's a certain big firm still waiting for the first, aren't they? Hayden's yet to get
Hayden,
over.
yes,
Yeah,
shout.
Does happen this, and we said on the show yesterday, Ryan Moore can go into the meeting last day with a blank next to his name and come home with a cheque for leading
Exactly.
Ryan.
Honestly, everyone, do
When they get
not
hot.
judge it on meeting form. We see it at Cheltenham. Willie or Gordon go a day without a winner. Oh, he's out of form, he's out of form. I mean, sometimes trainers are genuinely out of form, but this is competitive. We've had 10 races so far, or 11 races at Royal Ascot. You know, it's tough.
I'm gutted about Sevilla Spain going in. Do I think she'd have picked that up if they'd held her up? I think she probably definitely would have placed, but I don't think she'd have beaten that. I think
You'd
it
have
was
had to
a
go
performance.
Given what happened there.
And giving that weight away, she was given £5 basically to them there. She is a Group 1 winner, of course. We saw that at Newmarket at the back end. When she gets rolling, and Jane Chapel-Hyam has got a runner in the next, which is quite interesting actually. In the next, you've got classy runner in the next. It does still run, doesn't it? Yeah, intelligent goes for her. James Doyle on.
Chance.
Big eye catcher behind New Mandate, basically.
Yeah.
I was
Chance.
there on
looking at that
Cigarro
yesterday.
Day and filled its lungs and ran on again. It gets easier from here, guys. We've only got the Hunt Cup coming up next. And you two can sit back, can't you? You've had
I
your
know, they've already had theirs,
It's-
sharing the trophy.
The
I'm
competitive
greedy,
streak
I'm
of Tracey's
greedy.
coming
I
out.
want more.
phew.
I want the winner in the next, mate.
Yeah.
Because if I get the winner in the next, that's it. Game over. I
We've
can't
got
lose.
Say no.
Can't lose this week.
5 o'clock, so this is where we're really going to test your mettle here because plenty of time to talk. And let's get the socials built up. Let's build up. We're seeing Jane Chapel-Hyam being interviewed there. She's also got Claymore running tomorrow, who ran against Native Trade in the Craven, blew out in the French Guineas. He looks the danger to Reach for the Moon tomorrow, but I don't know.
He's keen, and he's a keen horse.
Oshin told us that when Reach for the Moon ran against My Prospero, who obviously ran very well in the Coronation, they went out with the intent of finding out whether he was a Group 1 horse. You're seeing him tomorrow in the listed race. I don't know, you could read that two ways, couldn't you? You could have read that two ways. They wanted to see if he was a proper Group 1 horse, and here he is in the Hampton Court Stakes. Yeah. But the whole world wants a winner for Her Majesty, don't know whether you're a Republican or what, you know.
She might be there tomorrow, apparently.
No,
but apparently,
again.
Apparently in a car, not a car.
She was never going to get in the carriage.
Yeah.
I don't think ever. Yeah, but it would be wonderful to see Her Majesty.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Royal Ascot.
It would.
I remember when they built the track and they had that opening day. You must have gone to that, did you? In 2006, where they had the sort of trial.
The steppings. Everyone talked about the steppings.
It was bizarre. That was in 2006, and everyone was like, "Wow!"
It got slaughtered.
Apparently, she was not impressed. Was
it
she?
got slaughtered.
The angle of it. The angle of the grandstand.
It was the fact that there wasn't enough room to stand in front and see. Apparently, there was bigger sort of terracing on the old one. I don't really remember the old one, but honestly, I think that's the most sensational building. Yesterday, you know, when you come up from the station, you probably get a helicopter, but some of us get the train, and you walk up that steep slope, and you get to Ascot High Street, and you look, and every time you go, it's rather like when you go to Cheltenham. You look out across Cleve Hill, and it still takes your breath away, doesn't it?
I don't want to be old fogey like, but I really do miss that old Ascot.
Why?
Because I loved the pavilion look of it. I just loved it.
The parade ring was amazing.
The parade ring was amazing, and what I loved about it was the betting shop area. You see JP McManus in there because the lift for the boxes was right next to it, and he'd be in there with Timmy Hyde surrounded. But it used to be, as a young race car, I thought it was absolutely magnificent.
What they've done now,
it was dated.
Yeah, I agree.
It was. I loved the old Ascot. It was brilliant.
That's brilliant.
It's like a cruise ship. It's a cruise ship.
I've come round to. I think the parade ring now is
magnificent building.
Yeah.
I've got a mate who's a gaffer for a leading TV company, and the amount of times I phone him and he goes, "I'm at Ascot," and I'm like, "There's no racing on today," because they film all the airport scenes in there,
adverts. They do.
Yeah.
What's a gaffer?
All in there.
I always wondered that when I see the credits come through.
He runs the crew basically. He's the guy that checks all the rigging's done properly. You start off as a gripper and all that sort of thing. I know a little bit about all that because my mate's risen right to the top. He's always doing Downton and all that. Look at Christoph.
Not happy.
Christoph. He's not happy. You wouldn't be happy.
No,
would
he's
you?
thrown his top hat away. No one's picked it up.
Top hat into the.
He urged him that tomorrow as well. Sam's probably texted him and gone, "They don't like the grey felt, mate."
Punching a hole in the top of it.
Grey or black top hat.
Oh, black. That was
exactly.
horrendous.
Grey.
Why was it only half the
gone.
size
Can't
as
have
well?
grey. You look like a 70s snooker player with the old grey clobber, don't you?
Yeah.
You know.
So far, it's been
Very
sensational today, guys. Every day's going to be different here this week, and this is a peak on a Wednesday, isn't it? We've had the superstars come out. We've still got plenty of tips coming for you. We've got loads of talent coming for you. Loads of people this season are flat and over jumps in this studio, of course. And here's a little bit of help for you of what's coming up for the rest of the week. Check this out.
My best bet of Royal Ascot comes on Thursday, day 3, where I like Mandobi in the King George V Stakes at 3:05. He should love this distance as it falls right down the middle of his range, having won at 1 mile 4 and 1 mile 1 in his last 2 starts. In his most recent outing at Thirsk, he made all to defy top weight and eventually won by just under 5 lengths. The ground at Thirsk in his last outing was good to firm in places, so judging by the ever unreliable British weather forecast, the ground at Royal Ascot should look to be ideal. There's a huge case to make for him, with William Haggas having had a fantastic season already and at the current time of recording operating at a 23% strike rate. That's without considering the exciting jockey booking of Tom Marquand.
Well, my Royal Ascot nap runs in the 5 o'clock on Thursday. It is the Britannia, and it is the Charlie Hills trained Wanis, who I think is still really well handicapped off a mark of 91. I thought he did well to quicken up down the outside to win at Sandown on his reappearance. Of course, he won 2 of his 3 starts as a 2-year-old, and when he won at Ascot, he had none other than Hannibal Barca back in third, a leading candidate for the Irish Derby. I think he could be a stakes horse masquerading as a handicapper. That mark of 91 really, really interests me. I think he's going to have a really successful season. And the Britannia, the valuable Britannia, I think Charlie Hills has had on his mind for quite some time for Wanis. It's interesting that he hasn't ran since April. That's a long time to put a horse away. I think Charlie thinks he's well handicapped. I think he is too, Charlie. That's One East in the Britannia, the 5 o'clock at Ascot on Thursday.
Hi, Ross Briley here. My best bet for Royal Ascot is El Caballo in the Commonwealth Cup. The 3-year-old sprinters are a pretty good bunch this year. The likes of Eraz, Tiber, Flo and even Perfect Power dropping back in trip will all have a say. But they can't seem to beat Carl Burke's El Caballo. He's only been beaten once. That was on debut when a lot went wrong and he got beaten by a group class horse anyway. But give him a stiff finish at Newcastle and it doesn't seem to stop him. A speed track at Haydock and he still gets his head in front. He's been round a bend on synthetics, on grass, you name it, he's done it. Yard are in form. There is a slight concern that if you rise him too prominently, that the extra stiff finish at Ascot might well find him out. But it didn't stop him at Newcastle. And provided he gets a good draw, I think El Caballo is very much the one to beat in the Commonwealth Cup.
My top tip for the week comes on the Friday in the 6 furlong Commonwealth Cup, and it's a horse called El Caballo for Carl Burke. I've been watching this horse since his debut at Doncaster. He was second to Armour, Richard Hannon's horse, who's now at stud. But really, he's just progressed so nicely. He's now won the last 6 of his races, but that last time at the Sandy Lane in Haydock I thought was really pleasing. He was tough, resilient, he really wanted to win. I loved his attitude. He is reopposing some of the same opposition, Flaming Rib for example, Go Bears Go. He wouldn't want rattling ground at Ascot. That is a point to bear in mind, but hey look, this is Blighty. Who knows what the weather's going to do? But for me, on the Friday, it's El Caballo in the 6 furlong sprint in the Commonwealth Cup.
Natty Green back tomorrow with Keith Melrose, and Barry Orr comes back into the studio tomorrow. There are some tips for you if you're looking long range. Get the prices now. Barry's just WhatsApped me actually. He's there, of course, last 2 days. 11 races down. This is where Baz is different gravy. 11 races down, won by 11 different trainers.
Brilliant.
That's the
That's
Cheltenham
amazing.
reference, isn't it?
Yeah, this
That's
is why
amazing.
This is why it's the best.
And Jane Chapel-Hyam's previous winner at Royal Ascot, has anyone got it out there? It was in the Ascot Stakes. She was the last flat-only trainer to win the race because Balding has had, I'm afraid.
What year was it?
Oh, 2009?
Right, okay.
Do you know what, Keel's told me a good stat. On Monday, we play golf every Monday, and he told me a good stat that the last
Is he
7...
getting any better?
He's so erratic. If he was a horse, he's trained by
Slice.
Johnson. Oh,
Slice in the world.
He's the opposite of my team, Watford, and he can only play at home, can't he?
oh, he's unbelievable. Yeah, he's one.
He loves it though.
He does love it. But he was saying that the last 7 derbies have been won by a jockey who'd never won it before. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
And that's
Do you wanna
why
have
so
a few-
much is
do you want to
said
have a crack
about
at
it.
naming a few of them?
Barcelona.
Well, Podrag Beggy,
Padraig
obviously.
Beggy, yeah, Adam Kirby.
Shamey Heffernan.
Jamie Heffernan, yeah.
Just throwing me off.
Obviously, King's Coat.
Yeah,
King's Coat. William Buick.
Yeah.
Adam Kirby. You
Yeah.
mentioned that?
That
Yeah.
one, yeah, I've had that one.
Got Kirby.
This is one more.
Oh, it's
Oh,
the last one.
Pat Smellham. Hazen.
Yeah.
Cool part.
There you go.
Every time Pat's name's mentioned.
It's interesting,
I
though, isn't it?
feel
'Cause you
sad.
kind of
Yeah.
you think it's the same old people all the time. but
You
it's
can
not.
Frankie can stop jockeying off other jockeys then.
Well, look, there's a lot written
It's
about
not
that,
Frankie.
isn't there? Of
It's
course.
not Frankie. I don't
Do you know what? When a footballer gets injured and someone steps, say Andy Robertson gets injured for Liverpool, and then that chap, the Greek chap, comes in and plays left back. The next time when Robertson plays, no one ever says that Robertson's jocked off the other fella from left back. It's just
They're
the
not
same.
injured
racing
though,
thing.
but the jockeys aren't injured.
But
though.
you go for the best, don't you? If you're
But is he the best in the derby though, Frankie?
well, I
Is
mean,
it- what, is he
you
run
go
it
for who
twice?
you think is the best.
Authorised. He took
Yeah.
ages to win it, didn't he?
But it's different though in horse racing, where I would rather side with a jockey who knows the horse better. I know it didn't work out for Irad Ortiz with Golden Power then yesterday, but I would rather side with a jockey that knew the horse better rather than the seemingly more experienced jockey then for the certain track and the certain race. I mean, look at what Frankie's jocked off. Pisbadil didn't run well. English King didn't run well. The other one.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, no one would have won on English King. One of the most overhyped horses
Oh yeah,
in the history
completely.
of
Now he's
racing.
out in Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
what was the one in between that Frankie?
I can't remember.
Adam Kirby then got on a day out because he took the ride on.
Wasn't that English King?
No, that was Tom Marquand that he
That was
jumped
Tom Marquand, yeah.
Yeah.
Walker's Big Hope.
And Marcon finished second, didn't he?
One of the
So
most
it's a massive
expensive
price.
horses ever sold down under, wasn't he, English King?
But my point is, if you own a horse, you want the best jockey, don't you?
Yeah,
And you know, how can anyone argue that the Tories never
Yeah.
replaced anyone who's better than him, have they?
You can see these owners, you know, in their clubs, can't you? This is how I picture it in 40 years' time.
John
So
Leaper.
dear old Frankie rode mine
Leaper,
in the Derby, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's a sensible business decision, isn't
And
it?
he's got ties with the Arcos, who he took the ride on, and actually...
It is big business in the flat. You want to be right.
We
You know
sent
what I mean?
Julian Muscott to do a very quick piece with
Who?
Frankie.
Yeah, who's he?
Julian Muscott.
Julian Muscat.
Did I say Muscat? Stradivarius is
I'm going to pick you up
fan.
now on this all the time.
All right, that was.
I'm on to you.
Even I wouldn't have called that one. Obviously,
And he usually calls everything.
Yes.
We sent him to do, I think, I spoke to Julian about this. He basically met him as he was in between trains. And that's how the sort of life he leads, isn't it? You know, I used to always sit next to dear old Julian
Dead
in the
posh,
Ascot
innit?
press room.
Oh,
Dead
he's posh. Yeah, he makes.
Would we have got on, me and him?
Yeah,
he's a
brilliant bloke. He's a great guy. Oh, he's
Top hat size,
fantastic.
wouldn't he? He'd know
He
his
calls
top
everyone
hat size.
mate.
Yeah, he
you know,
would. Yeah, he would.
He
He would
is.
know
I
his
used to
top
love
hat
sitting
size.
next to him in the
Great,
Ascot press room. But he said that Frankie he gave him, it was a good piece. It was a front page piece, and it's basically like the owners ask me to ride.
Exactly.
I'm not doing a
That's
Leicester and
exactly
going
it.
that's
That's
get him
exactly
off.
it. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
they go to Frankie.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, there's nothing against Frankie, and Frankie's not going to turn down a ride, of course if they
he's not.
approach him. And I get the business point of view completely, but at the same time, when a jockey's done nothing wrong on a horse, they know them like the back of their hand. Surely you want that on your side rather than anything else.
Doesn't it depend on the horse a little bit, Kate? I mean, presumably some horses are completely ambivalent as who's riding them, and others do have kinks and quirks and do need some familiarity. But I think, all in all, I've always found this whole thing about jocking off absolutely bizarre.
Oh, see, it sticks in my throat. I don't like it.
Really?
Well, you got the phone call. You know she didn't
Yeah,
like the
you know I don't like
jockeys.
You see a lot of the hard work that goes in.
That's the thing, I think I've
when
seen it
Gethings in
firsthand,
5
yeah.
years' time is at the top of the tree and he's taking whatever he likes, you'll soon
When
change
Frankie
it.
shot
You'll change your tune.
Yeah, you'll
We're
change
20 minutes away from the Hunt Cup, the cavalry charge, as we always call it, or the spread across the field. We'll be getting the update from the market on Cape. We'll be getting your selection as well. T-minus an hour of the show left, basically. We sign off with the Windsor Forest. Will Little Brown Bear, Little Big Bear, whatever he's called, will he be the smash-up and be the first winner for the O'Briens at around about 5:35? We'll find out. Kate's best ever so far, Betfair Live, Racing Post Live moment was when she was cheering home Kieran at Ascot.
Oh, that was... You know, he got awarded the race. You know who got awarded the race? When he... Oh, my
Monsieur
goodness.
Lecoq, wasn't it?
Monsieur Lecoq. When he
Amula
got...
Gold picked it
Amula
up.
Gold come and nabbed him at Ascot. Well, he's been given that race now because Amula Gold was disqualified for a sample.
And you should have seen it. It was hilarious.
Do the owners lose the
That's
prize?
just making
Yes,
it. That's
yeah,
making
yeah,
it
so they get
worse,
prize
isn't
money.
it?
Yeah,
Imagine
got
what
the
you
prize
have
makes
to
it
watch your
worse,
partner on
does,
this show.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Sybil and all that sort of thing. You've gone too far, Sybil.
Do you think Sybil was 40 there? Do you think she went too fast?
About time.
I think it was the worst ride of the day.
It's about time.
It doesn't. It's questionable stayer, and he's gone silly.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't quite get it, did he? The
Put
old
it this
40
way.
reference there, but I think.
Yeah.
I
No,
think
sorry.
Sorry, I think the Germans had a shocker.
Oh, yeah,
coming
yeah.
back at you there.
Yeah, don't mention
anyway.
the ride.
Absolutely. All right, Hunt Cup time. As you know, Matt's been telling you he likes to have a go at one of these. We all want the winner of this out there, don't we? Let's hope we can find it. I could do with a nice uplift. I'm still a little bit down with Bay Bridge, but there's a long week ahead. You're going to have ups and downs, guys. Stick with us. You've had 2 naps landed here. Who was with them? Let us know. But, Kate, where are we looking? Because we saw one whacked off the boards earlier for double seeking Rog.
Yes, we are. And double seeking Rog. And Legend of Dubai here has been very well supported. 5.8 then. Clear market leader from Totally Charming. 10's Dark Shift. 10's who's been talked about a fair amount then as well himself. But for this race, I am going to take advantage of the 7 places that we have on offer on the sportsbook instead of the 4 instead, because there are 2 actually. Honestly, I've gone rogue today. Barry should not have let me take over at this point, because I'm actually going to side with 2 at big prices in this. So I'm going to split my stakes. The first one being Aratus, who, as we said, was hugely progressive last season. He was far too fresh and keen on his reappearance. He only had 2 rivals there. Wrong part of a track completely.
He's on my shortlist.
I've just backed him, Kate.
Oh, God.
So
You shouldn't be following me then after today. What I've
He's quite strong.
Today. Yeah, so I'm going to go £10 each way on him firstly. And then I also like the chance, because you know me for running my trends for this race. The other horse, Aratus, 6 of most boxes. The second one is a Tony in there, 33 to 1.
I've backed it.
Have you actually?
It's one of my picks.
Really? Really?
Yeah, I think
Why? Go on, explain your reasoning.
He's
there, so-
obviously
He's got a back class, hasn't he?
a lot of back
Yeah,
class.
back class, yeah.
On the handicap a bit, 2 sighters, 9th and 9th has he so far this year?
I thought the
Hasn't
first
showed
one
much.
up was definitely a sighter.
Yeah. Newbury?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Spring
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
It's a classic step, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I'm just going to have a bit more on.
Couple of shouts there. All
Yeah,
right,
go
Tony
rogue
going
and go
on.
for
Matt's doing well today, so he's playing up his win. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever here on RP Live. Now, you mentioned Etonian. I know that might be some social love out for there, but will it be coming up first? Look at this. Richard Polowski. Is that right, Richard Polowski? I got Muscot wrong. You know, managed to get
That's a good
Polowski
effort.
right.
There we are.
You
Etonian.
made me up my game, Matt. That's why. Yes, of course, Etonian, all right? So I have a sneaky suspicion that Etonian will run well in the Hope Cup. Each way, of course, big prize 33s, and the Hannons won this in 2008. Oh, blimey, that's a shout, isn't it? Mr. Avia, I'm trying to picture the colours. OK, so Etonian, yes, got the back class. High draw.
We'll see.
Well, we will see. Let's give you a little
Have
word
you got an
on
opinion
the
on
draw.
it? On the draw?
Well, historically, this used to be a race in the analysis department that we would look forward to most of all during the week, because there are some, proper horse racing scientists in that, division. The expert eye team, as they're walking at the Naps competition. Have you noticed that at the moment? It's ridiculous strike rate they've got. I'm not sure what they've gone for today, but we used to box up the high numbers and low numbers, and you could kind of get the most talented. The trifectas that we used to land, it was always at the trifecta and the exact you want to play, of course, on the toe. This was the race that even though we all had our own shouts and things like this was the one that we knew we were just going to time after time go cha-ching with.
What, because it was a draw bias?
It used to be massive draw biases. I remember backing Pogo. It turns out Pogo's a very good horse.
Good horse, yeah.
A couple of years ago, 33-1, and he finished second or third. He just hugged the rail the whole way. Astro King last year, of course, you had to be high. Do you remember? Everyone thought there was a
Real
bias.
world.
It turned
The real
out
world
it was a
doesn't
lot
matter.
in jaws, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Expert Eyes Nap does run in this race.
Aha!
Gone for the Rog, Legend of Dubai.
I wonder which one of them it is, but Ronwood's department, of which I still have a foot in. I'm delighted to say they are the elephant. It was a bit freaky at one point. It's the first year that they've entered. They've been convinced to enter, and it's a team effort. And I think it was Lambourne and Burney. James Byrne was about daylight in second. So long season ahead, but at the moment they are long odds on to win it, and they go for the fav in this. We saw, didn't we, at Epsom? Was it what was the horse that bounced back from a terrible run at Doncaster behind Chindit? And Parky put him up on this show, Tom Parky. Anyway, in these colours, and he absolutely hosed up. These Rog horses, when they get them right, they tend to be better than handicappers, don't they? They're all bred to be. They're trained to be. Yeah. They can just make a mockery of the mark. We've seen proper gambles on group horses over the years in this, Matt. Does he stand out as one, or are you totally overlooking?
Look, no, I'm not going to overlook him. He's at the head of the market and he's been well supported, and he's well bred, and he could make a mockery of this handicap market. He could be running in group races next year. I doubt it, but he's well handicapped, and give him a favourite chance.
Unlike the horse whose name is escaping me that won at Epsom, that horse ran in the Dante and things like that. This chap hasn't actually.
Do you know what? I'm going for a couple of rags in this, right? But I look at him and I look at his profile, and I'm thinking, am I just playing for place money here?
Is this a laddie's poker 2 type vibe? You know,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Who are you going for?
I'm going for What's Up, What's the Story, and Etonium. What's the Story's? They're both What's the Story's old? He's 8, but he's run well at this meeting before.
Yeah.
And then he went up to marks like 105, 104. Keeps coming back year after year, and he's just dropped right down. Now he's down to 90 odd. And I just thought each way he could go well.
It was. I'm trying to remember when he hit the frame in this race.
Fourth one. Was it
2018? Settled for Bay. It was.
Yeah.
Who came up streaking up the middle for the Marnames.
What was his mark there?
Good question. It
Late
was
90s?
98.
Yeah. So he's £4
So he's a
lower,
yeah. So he Sylvester's on stall 2. You want to be high or low, I think. I think they do tend. There will be some.
Well, I've gone high and low.
middle.
Etonians 27.
So what you've done is you've gone there and there, and you see what
Two
happens.
big prices, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's 2 for Matt Williams. Then he's having a great day here with us. Bruce, who's also nap landed. Bit of pressure off for the week.
Yeah. It's quite easy, this really, isn't it? I'm surprised no one else has mentioned it. But 4-year-olds have won 6 of the last 7, so I'm going to go with a 4-year-old. And a lot of those didn't have particularly sexy profiles, funny enough. You kind of think that this is going to be a Gozza or a Haggis or a Rog who's going to come in and, with a ton of potential. But it's actually been some horses with some fairly uninspiring form figures. Exactly.
Oh, girl.
Anyway, I think you want to be high here, not because there's necessarily any sort of official topographical distance, but simply because the jockeys will assume you want to go high, so they will. And I quite like this guy, Daniel Kubler. I think he knows the time of day.
Yeah, he does.
So Percy's Lad is my tip. Second in the Horace Hill as a 2-year-old. All right.
Yeah, that's the one.
The 3-year-old campaign was absolutely hideous. I think it only beat 2 horses home in 5 races. Switched from Eve Johnston Horton to the Kublers, and the switch has paid off so far. 2 wins, decent second at Beverley last time. I just think at 33 to 1 and big weight 60 on the win market, but with a stack of extra places, I'm going to take a chance with Percy's Lad.
Drawn 31, right on the stands rail, and a horse that has one way of running. Bingo. So if you're on Etonian, you'll be looking for a bang early.
Did win all the way?
He was Martin Dwyer controlled it from the front.
And you don't really want that, do you?
The jockeys say you can't make all on the straight track, but it does happen.
You want to be prominent enough though for trends or anything to go by in this race, and it does favour prominent. But there's no sort of massive bias in this race for running style, but it would be high draws 4-year-olds. Yeah, they're 2 of the criteria for sure.
A field of 29. Kate, did we get the trade on?
Yes, we did.
Remind me what it was?
Yeah, so I've gone to the sportsbook, taking advantage of the 7 places on offer there instead of the 4 because
on Aratus.
Aratus and Etonian for the pair of those 2 at big prices.
Now I watched back the Victoria Cup, which is often a stepping stone for this, isn't it?
I was going to say that's a very good race to be siding with to come into this race.
Last year,
Good
Paul Keeley thought the world of this horse. He kept putting him up and he kept winning. And when he beat Escobar at Goodwood in August, Keeley was on this show actually, one of his rare appearances on this. God! Shouting at him. Gelded him afterwards. It was a proper, you know, the 3-runner race, the Happy Power one at Leicester on his return. I thought, is he a bit no man's landy here off 102 now? And he ran like a horse that they were going to struggle to place. Then they went to the Vic Cup, and you're
which
right.
horse is this?
This is Aratus.
Oh, okay.
This is for Kirby and Cox. I like him as well. I haven't put him up as a headline tip, but I do like him. He's one of 4 or 5 that I've had a go at here, and I think you can happily have a few darts. I wanted to see a little bit more in the Victoria Cup, but then I realised that Dart Shifter was drawn almost right next to him. He came up and hosed up next time at Nottingham. The Hills are really, really fancying him. And James McDonald's on that, isn't he, I think? He is, yeah. So this is, he's drawn in 15. He's got the draw. I think he wants the mile, looking at the way he runs as well. And the fast ground, they think it will suit him a lot better than what he got in the Victoria Cup. I like that, Kate.
Completely.
I like quite a few other horses here, but I've got on top Fantastic Fox, the other variant horse, who was a popular eye-out horse at Epsom last time. He absolutely hated it when he finished just ahead of Excel Power, who made a lot of running that day. And you again, watch it back. He's drawn in 21. If he can tag onto the near side group, he's going to absolutely rock it home. Dark Shift in the Royal Ascot Cup with J-Mac on the board, says Paul Ridgway. A lot of love for this. This is Rob Way's Banker of the Week.
Really? He's gone Banker of the
Nice
Week?
easy race to pick one, isn't it?
Typical, isn't it?
Yeah. Kills is on him as well, I think, isn't he? Kills gone Dark Shift, and he's gone for Bless Him. You know what Kills is like.
He loves
Bless Him.
Bless Him.
Yeah, he does.
Bless Him again, hits a lot.
Spencer.
He, of course, won the Britannia, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he was in Qatari colours, under Spencer.
Yeah.
He was saying, Kills, that he spoke to Simcock recently and said, it just says, this Bless Him looks like he's in a
They
better
text
place
each other
this
quite a
year.
lot,
Yeah,
even
they
Dave
do.
Simcock,
And he said, yeah, I think he is. I think he's fine. You know, he gave it the thumbs up.
Did you give Magical Morning?
Yes, I wonder whether it was a bit too high, but I always think
that
about that
Doncaster race
horse.
was strange. Why would you go and win that when you're at the home club? Because he's my long range fancy for the race.
You wonder
and he's
whether-
won at Donny, and I thought, right, that's the
You
same.
wonder whether it was. I know this is going to sound really weird, but you wonder whether they. I don't know the Godolphin horse that finished second to him that
What's
day.
his name?
Benoit de la Salle. You
Well
tried
done,
to catch
son,
me
well
out there,
done.
didn't you?
Yeah, I
I'm
did
I'm
try.
improving, Matt. Don't worry about
Next
it.
£5 claim, mate.
He's managed to say it.
Yeah, you got it.
Benoit, of course, who had an interesting winter,
Think
didn't he? Stood
Benoit.
down basically. He's come back and he's one of the stars of the future. I think we can all say that. It's a very good ride. I thought Symbolise was another one. Old Shinjari from the draw. Not long been with Harry and Roger Charlton.
One at a price, real force, massive price.
Yeah. There's loads in here.
He's got a
And
sweet.
Totally Charming is. I'm a massive sucker for a George Bowie horse. I think he's so good, that guy. And Frankie's on board, 4-year-old.
Magical Morning beat a bit of a doggy. Okay, I can say that, can't I?
Yeah.
A bit of a doggy boy and blue horse at Doncaster last time. We finished this show and we went outside and had a beer and I went, boys, there's a bet at Doncaster. The Doyler's gone up there. It was on a big day. It might have been Derby Day, actually. I think it was. And he's hung all over the place. He came there to beat it. And Magical Morning it was just too resolute for him. So he almost fell over the line for me. But he has won at Goodwood, hasn't he? And he's a very good at Sandown. Sorry, and that very the one just before Goodwood. That's what I was thinking of it. The Magical Mile or whatever it's called. Not the Golden Mile, whatever it is. It's a big handicap. It's a Gosden horse in this.
The Goodwood
isn't it?
Mile.
Has he just shown his hand a bit? What about Astro King? Because he was second in the race last year, and it's the same prep. He flashed home in the Thunk. If you watch back the first Thunk Cup, there were loads of unlucky runs in that. He was definitely one of them.
He just looks an unlucky horse to me.
Always going to be finding it.
I don't like those kind of high single-figure draws here either, particularly.
You just don't know, do you?
I think that's the worst.
Should we try and map out the pace, Kate? Have you got it in front of you? Have you found a pace map where you think you might have some? Obviously, on the near side, Percy Ladd, we think will be the one. Bruce's hope.
Yeah, Percy's Ladd will definitely go for as well from everything we know from him. XL Power in 25 there as well, so another one high drawn. Isla Kai maybe down the centre to go forward. Tempest also in the centre. But it is centre to high where the pace is going to come from as well then. So, that has to factor into the draw bias potentially too.
Yeah, if you're on What's the Story with Matt, you will be hoping, I think, that something just goes crazy, really. Yeah. Humanitarian was a bit of an eye-catcher last time it ran, and Stuart Williams has got a plan for that. Look, but it's full of these horses, isn't it? Intelligent, who we mentioned as well. That caught my eye when it ran third when I was there at Ascot. It filled its lungs and ran on again, and she's just won the previous race, hasn't she, Jane Chapel, and James Doyle is on.
Sinjari as well, Trip.
Yeah.
They've tried
John
all
Smith's
sorts.
Cup winner.
Yeah, they've tried all sorts with him. I think they've tried them over a mile and a half as well.
Yeah. We're hearing that Christopher Head is absolutely livid, apparently, and is going to keep her around to go to the Falmouth, that horse, Sevilla, Spain.
What's he livid about? Didn't give her enough chance. Did they take her out of the stalls?
I don't think she even went in, did she?
I thought
Was she the one who was backed out?
She was in, they took her out.
She was in, they took her out, yeah.
I didn't quite see it.
Not quite sure why.
Yeah, what exactly she did in there then to warrant getting backed out, but...
Anyway, it was a decision that cost a lot of each-way punters. Do you think there's any... You just have to suck that up, don't you, if you're a punter? These things...
money back, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is gutting when you're picking each way one and it's there.
When you've got an 8-runner race, like that race there, when they declared the flat 8, I thought, well, if they all stand the ground, it's got a really nice each-way look to it. And then all the way through, thinking, great, this is good, I've got 3 places.
because you forget
that's the angle you're going into it with.
And then all of a sudden, bosh, away it goes.
Because you've survived the day to get there. All day you're thinking, they're going to pull one out.
Yeah.
And then bosh.
And literally until a few seconds,
We're watching the favourite go down, Legend of Dubai. Stall 10. He's going to have to make an early decision, Andrea, isn't he?
Yes.
But he's going down like a
Seasoned
scoreboard.
pro.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's having a quiet season, is he, Andrea?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. I very rarely ever try and show my disdain for a tactics gone wrong in a race, shall we say, rather than a bad ride. But This Is Us at Chester.
I remember. I was in with you that day, and you were trying to hide it. But
it was the one that got away this season.
I like the ones where you can't hide it.
And it was
like
3 places. He thought he had another 2 furlongs to go, and
I mean, it's another thing about...
Look, he's done me loads of favours in the past.
Dave, another thing about jockeys getting criticised. I know armchair punters talking through their pockets criticise jockeys, but trainers...
Oh, gosh.
Trainers will butcher
Trainers are
jockeys,
savage.
won't they? They really will.
Trainers are some of the
And
worst.
part of it is because if a trainer's horse runs badly, he's got to really, really quickly think up what to tell the owner.
Yeah.
And the easy one there is blame the jockey, isn't it?
Well, when we had Ollie
So they
Cole
throw
on
him
the
under
show.
the bus,
It's
don't
completely. That's the thing. It's a succession. It's a domino effect of blame in this game,
exactly.
which again feeding into. I feel like I'm on a jockey defending crusade today. But yeah. So you've got the owners who obviously pay the bills in the first place. They're going to put the blame onto the trainer. The trainer then needs to put the blame onto someone, to the jockey. The jockey's then got no one to blame.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is. It's such a savage sport in that the succession of the filter down.
What about the talking through the pocket line? I can't stand that. As a punter.
What, you don't like people accusing you of talking through your pocket?
But what are you meant?
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
It's the first out.
But the point there is, if you've backed a horse, you're looking at it much more closely than someone who's just watching the race in general. So, and let's face it, jockeys do give horses bad rides. They do make mistakes. They do misjudge the pace. They do go the wrong side. And any sensible jockey is going to accept that. But it's the vitriol. It's like a footballer misses a kick, misses a shot that he should score. he doesn't have people wishing that his kids get cancer.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It's
an
just
absolute disaster.
crazy.
Yeah, like young Kieran Fallon yesterday. Well, it was a massive ride for Mark Wynne in the race. Great name for a jockey, Mark Wynne, who sits on Hortazar. And Tom Barras says Hortazar surely has a chance. No weight at all. Won off a similar mark early in the season. Really unlucky run, I remember, in this last year, drawn 28. So another player, I think.
You know, there's class horses. You're looking at the top of the weight and you're thinking, but there's only a stone between the top and the bottom.
It's always the way in these
Do you know what I
handicaps
mean?
now, isn't it?
You know, a class horse could go and win today. One of those top 4.
Another
I know
thing,
Mara horses in these races, sorry, Bruce, they always like Escobars and the Gullivers and all that sort of thing.
They buy them well, don't they?
Who's his best horse? Of course, the Grey's name
Royal
is
Glitters.
Yeah, he started off, didn't he? Balmorals and things like that.
The other thing I was just going to say about each way is that you are going to get the odd bad beat like we saw in that race. But you get the each way punters never had it so good. 7 places. I mean, this race, I would say up till 2008, I would say, so 14, 15 years ago, you'd have been getting quarter to the 4, and that was it. You know, the extra places are absolutely
And you've got to back a few, haven't you?
Of course you do.
You know, 7 places.
Particularly with multiples. Multiples. Like on a big day like this, you'll have bookmakers going, well, you read them out at the start. This is 5, this is 7, this is... You can put multiples in, and you almost... You forget about the bet because you think they've all got chinned. And then you look at your account at the end of the day, and they've all sneaked into a
and
place.
a lovely surprise. Who knew?
That happens to you all the time.
Well, I
doesn't
wouldn't say all the time, but I mean, it has happened.
it? On this show, it does.
It does happen, honestly. There was a Cheltenham a couple of years ago where I had a ludicrous kind of Goliath or something. I was trying to knock it out of the park. And the first 2 got chinned, so I thought, oh, that's no good. And then I looked at my account, where's that come from?
I
And
might
that's
have been with you,
7,
'cause that's
and
the memory I've
and-
got.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You always get those pals out there, don't you, when they kind of like, and they get to the pub and they go, no, that's what
Drink
it's the
something.
bets, it's the anti-post bets you usually forget about. I had a question for you, Matt, while Bruce was asking you there. This is a classic loads of darts race, if you like, because we've got 29 runners. Obviously, on a show like this, you're probably having like dramatised single bets, things like that, and just Bay Bridge probably. But as a rule of thumb, do you back 2 or 3 in a race to green up or whatever? And
I could back 8. If I'm in the office, I could easily back 8 in this race. And then
'cause
by
a
the
lot of
end of
people
the
won't
race,
know
I could have
about
backed
that.
20 of them.
But would you ever sit down and go, I'm just backing 1?
Yeah. Maybe not in a race like this nowadays.
No, of course
in
not
the
like
past,
this.
yeah.
Because
But
of
now
the terms on offer and everything, then.
Yeah, if I can bet them each way, yeah. But I'll look. If I'm in the office, I'm backing a load of horses here to win the race, and I'll back them all. It's not so much a staking plan. It's how much I'm going to win on them.
So they gauge, your biggest green is the one you fancy most, and you'll grade right through the race.
Yeah.
Tell me this, when this race is off, frantic 1 mile, you're in your office, you've got the fastest possible pictures, your drone's up in the air. He's got a drone.
What?
Well, we have. Don't put it on me, otherwise, you know. there's like 70 of them.
Not sharing.
Sharing
it's
drone,
like, it's like
syndicate.
the Kingsclear. No, it's like one.
Yeah.
You need it now.
It's a syndicate job.
There's always progress, and that's what we need.
But the point is, in a race like this, are you smashing away
Put it on,
non-stop like that? Yeah.
Yeah, none. I mean, I could have 150 bets.
In a race, in
Just
play.
like that.
What?
For 3 furlongs.
And
you
how?
know-
Do you ever press the wrong button?
Yeah, all the time. Like all the time. In this race, I'll definitely... I'm 101 to press the wrong button.
Really?
Obviously, this is a pro punter that we're talking to, so don't be going and doing it out there. But it looks like there's 100,000 people queuing up to back this favourite, Kate, because it just keeps getting shorter and shorter. We came on here talking about 20 minutes ago. It was around about 5 to 1. It looks like 7 to 2's under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, he's just shortening the whole while then. This legend of Dubai here. Money coming for Dark Shift, though, as well. We spoke about him then. James McDonald, for notable booking. Totally Charming is just drifting out that little bit. The George Bowie runner who comes here on the good runner form. And the market sort of relatively lukewarm about Astro King to go on better than last year himself. But yeah, market very, very strong then about Legend of Dubai.
All right, then, what are we looking at? A proverbial group horse in a handicap? We're about to find out. We've seen him before.
How strong is this, by the way? And the competitive nature of the race.
That's what I mean. It's this is more than just. You get the sense this is more. I mean, there must be a lot of stable confidence about this guy. And a lot of these watch horses, they tend to pick up problems and then they go a different route to what was intended. He who must be obeyed always wants the group winners, but he doesn't mind letting them go in the handicaps. Yeah. All right.
Are you doing a commentary yet?
Of course he is.
Dave?
I might take a little section if he wants me to. He might even throw to you, Matt.
I don't mind doing between the 4 and 3 furlongs.
Okay,
You've
mate.
had it.
Yeah, I might just drop you in it at some point.
Well, good luck wherever you're playing. This is one of the biggies, isn't it? Who's done the trifectas, the exactas? Are you going high? Are you going low? Will it be up the middle? If you've got your pace mats, let's hope it plays out for
XL
you.
Power is that? That's a wash of white sweat.
Which one?
Is XL Power.
Oh,
the
yes.
horse.
2 or
Luke
3
Morris,
to go
Archie
in, and I
Watson.
guess the first thing we're going to see is where the jockeys who are drawn middle, particularly obviously Andrea Atzani from 10, where they choose to go.
Well, Cruyff Turn is interesting from 18 if you're on something in the middle, and Tom Marquand is on. It's an interesting booking that over the Easter Bees. Tom the Pom's on that. He's got
Tom the Pom.
He's got a front running way of going.
Humanitarian is playing up in the stalls. He's in stall number 30, I think. No, he's not. Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Is
he's
that
in
right
30.
over the far side? It is.
Near side's
Yeah,
been
he's
held
fine,
in, yeah.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
this one just who's bought the ticket to go in last?
Do you know what?
Is it Horta there?
Of
It
all
looks
the
like Ortsard, doesn't
of
it?
all the things about being
Or is
a
it
jockey,
San Andreas?
of all the things about being a jockey, I don't fancy the travelling, the fasting, just the risk.
And being in
But
the stalls.
sitting in the stalls on a horse that's going mad,
Will
that would
Buick was
stress me out
Yeah.
so badly. I don't know how they managed to
Because
do
if they
it.
go, they just go underneath, and you're stuck there.
Of course, Leicester, he had 32
ripped
stitches,
his
didn't
ear
he?
off, yeah.
Yeah, he ripped his ear off.
Yeah, San Andreas
Is that
has
on the
definitely
ledger or
bought the
something like
ticket
that?
to
He
go
won
in
the
last.
he won the Oaks 5 days later. Or 1,000 guineas, pardon me.
Yeah. Well,
Unbelievable. Who's this struggling to go in? Intelligent.
yeah, for Jane.
Jane will be worrying about this with a double bid coming up. And then I think we've got San Andreas, as you say, and obviously Joseph is going for a double as well. So we will see. They will both be attempting to become the first trainer to train 2 winners at the 2022 Royal Ascot. It's incredible.
Who's going to be the
That's
first?
wild,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is, yeah. Barry was straight on with that. Barry's in tomorrow. After this race, guys, just to pick it up a little bit and keep you with us, I'm going to ask the guys for what's later in the week. The guys are going off to enjoy the rest of the meeting while I steer the ship continually. But we're going to ask them exactly what might be coming up later in the week. So stick around for that after the Hunt Cup. He's not having this intelligent,
No,
is he?
he's
No,
not.
surely.
He's a
like,
bit too intelligent.
how many have been stood in the stalls there for that long? It's just not fair on the
No,
others.
that's
is
the
what
other
happened
thing.
with
And
Golden
they're all
Pal.
looking round, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
come on, come
I
on.
mean, fair play to the stalls handlers. You know, they do an unbelievable
Look
job.
at that.
Brilliant.
I think they're going to get him in, aren't they?
But it just frustrates me when you've got so many horses that have been stood in there for 4 minutes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
if you,
almost not fair.
well, if you, I mean, as you say, if you were running in a race, you wouldn't stand still for 4 minutes beforehand. You'd stay loose.
I've asked Matt what's coming later in the week. He's looking at Redcar.
There you go. He's obviously fancy some.
I've got one in the Jersey Stakes.
Escobar
definitely coming
and
back.
San Andreas, they are the last 2 to go in. The Hunt Cup of 2022 is about to commence. Let's see who's fast out and who's slow away. Let's look at Percy's lad down the near side. He's out okay.
Straight away, Jamie Spencer on Blessing. making
And he's
the
staying,
surprise.
he's staying over the far side on the favourite.
This is
Legendary
Percy.
Dubai down the far side. But here comes Percy's lad. He's absolutely pinged the lids and he's going to attempt to make all down the near side. The leader on the far side group is Isla Kai for
shout.
Nigel Tinkler. Also prominent there. Looks like Cruyff Turn.
Tempest is up. Astro Kings.
Yeah, that's
He's
Astro
up
King.
there.
Humanitarians up there on the stand side.
Etonian's getting a
Etonian
nice toe on the near
on the
side.
rail, yeah.
Percy's lad, though, still leads him along. Go on, the Percy. I would
Bless
love
him's
this.
cruising.
Yeah, he is.
In
Bless
last.
him.
That's where you want him.
Aratus out the back as well for Kate
Exactly.
Tracy.
So two groups,
Sinjari's cruising out the
two
back.
groups of equal size.
They're
Percy's
in
lad
front near
leads
side,
I'd
on
have
the
a throwaway
jump.
on him. I'd have a throwaway on
the far
Sinjari.
side is Cruyff Turn.
classy
Also
horse.
going well is Isla Kai. Where's the favourite? Favourite is absolutely
Escobar,
bang
red
there.
cap at the back.
3.3 the favourite.
Go on, Etonian.
3.3 the favourite. He's absolutely cruising.
Not
on
Is he
there.
going that well?
Going well. Symbolise
I'll tell you what's
Harry
going well.
Davis.
Here
Isla
comes
Kay.
Dark Shift.
Isla
Dark
Kay is
Shift's going really well.
Yeah, here
Look
comes
at
Dark Shift
Hulsedar's
down the
going
middle.
well.
Dark
Sinjari's
Shift
kept him
going
in.
well.
Percy's is still there, stand side.
Sinjari.
Pitching. But yeah, looks like
Naughty.
Dark
Dark
Shift,
Shift.
is it? Dark
And here's
Shift.
Astro King on the far
Dark
side.
Shift. Where's Blessing?
Intelligence
Intelligence.
coming.
Where's the Bless?
Look at James.
No, he's nowhere near.
Tempest
Here's
is there.
James
This is
Avalanche.
going to
Down the
be
middle. Is this
Oh, James
Intelligence?
McDonald.
Dark Shift's
Intelligence.
going
Dark
Dark
Shift.
Shift.
Kiwi double.
Intelligence.
Shift's
Dark
gonna
Shift.
win.
Dark
Dark
Shift.
Shift
wins.
And James McDonald is going to get
Wow.
out. Dark Shift. Hang on a sec. It's going to be fairly
Thank
close.
God.
He's
Dark
won.
Shift
He's won
wins
ahead.
it by a neck.
Sinjari, 5th.
Oh, who was that in third? Is that Tempest?
That was Tempest and Holly Doyle.
Dark
James McDonald, the
Shift.
Kiwi
Got that
Hoopers, they
wrong.
called him down under. Not on Nature Strip today, but the Gamble landed. Graham Rodway, nap of the week, Rodders.
Wow.
Oh, my
Straight
goodness.
hot. Paul Keeley's put him up as well. He was in the Victoria Cup. It all went wrong for him there. He then went to Nottingham, got the confidence boosting wing. They booked Jane Mack for this. He could quite.
Let's get all the
conceivably-
finishes in case people have a big each way.
Apollo,
we've got
King fourth,
St.
Tempest
Jari
third.
fifth,
St. Jari
Ilokai
fifth,
sixth.
Ilokai
Bless
sixth.
him.
Bless him, he's
Seventh.
seventh.
Yeah.
Hi, Kills. And if anyone's paying 8 places, I don't suppose
Bo
they are, but
Pedro.
if they are, Bo Pedro. So, yes, that was...
I'll tell you what, there was some argy-bargy in that race. Watch now, Hortazar, and look, if you look at him, first Spencer's done him, and also who was on Shinjari? Kieran Schumacher. They were worrying about each other a bit too much. I think Shinjari's got going far too late here.
Up the middle was the place to be, wasn't it?
I thought Intelligent was going to win that.
I
Yeah,
thought he was coming over really
James
good run.
horses are absolutely fine.
Really
Astro King's won well. He's done the best of low-drawn runners. It's just a right horse, good placing. It's a very
Aratas
popular
ran
winner.
well. Aratas ran well. He was running on.
Yeah.
He might
He
be on
wants
the
that
mile and a
mile now.
quarter.
Yeah.
And that is 7
Interesting.
4-year-old winners of this in 8 years. So there's a
Well
clue
done.
for next year.
There
That
you
was
go,
impressive,
Charlie
wasn't it?
Hills then. Not the first time he's won this in recent years because Afak, the old favourite, won it for him in 2019. They always seem to nick one during the week, don't they? I think it was on good form yesterday, Charlie, from what we're hearing there. I imagine Car Park 2 will be lit up tonight by connections. Who owns this chap? He's great, so we saw him a mile off, didn't we?
H. Frost.
Whoever that is. Well, and stall 15 then. Beats another low stall. So the high draws, if you just watch it, guys, keep your eyes on it. Percy's lad tore the sort of blaze, didn't he, on the near side? You were right calling Sinjari.
Started off on the near side group, hasn't he? And he's actually pulling early on the winner. isn't
Tom
he?
Barras, who's on Hortzadar, you're going to be screaming again, Tom, I reckon, aren't you? Because they've both done him. He looked for room there, Mark Wynn, and he's been bullied out of it. But it was first Kieran Schumacher. I thought he was coming to not win, but he definitely would have been near the places, I think.
The winner's only got about 5 behind him at halfway, you know. And again, like I say, pulling.
Yeah. And we've got
Oh,
Jamie
Percy's
right at the back.
gone well done for a long way, hasn't he? He's run all right. Got
Ilokai
for
run
money.
really well. For
He's had
Jack.
some-
Ilokai has run well because
He's
it's led on the far
Yeah.
side and has stayed on for 4th.
He could quite easily get the treble up here, J-Mac, couldn't he? They say he is one of the best riders in the
He's
world.
the world number 1 ranked in the
Yeah,
PRC.
he is marvellous. If you watch your Aussie racing on a Saturday, he's always... I mean, sometimes he can nearly go through the cards down there.
And he's on the outside of that group, so when they start to converge, he's got all the room
He's
he
got
needs
clear
to
running
run.
in
Yeah.
front of him.
Sinjari,
Brilliant,
look, watch
yeah.
this. Look, he keeps him in there, first of all, Kieran
It's a good
Schumacher.
race rider, isn't it?
Not having him at
How
all.
short did the Fav get? I thought it had gone sub 2 to 1.
Yeah, because he was absolutely tanking, wasn't he? The Fav Legend of Dubai, 3.1 throughout that.
Yeah.
And then you had...
What about Intelligent? That
Yeah, I
looked
did
like
look
a
up. I think it was 2 from what I could see. Let me go back in. A low of 2, yeah.
Yeah, even.
Low of
It
2.
might be sounding foolish to say that this is strong handicap form, but when you look at Totally Charming, the Epsom winner, who's beat the great Gallion, who came into this on a hat-trick, it's rock solid
Yeah,
handicap form.
he's
isn't
been
it?
really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
And
sort
right
of-
down the middle, so thankfully we're not talking about any horses that have been just totally drawn out of it and had 0-0 chance. He must be riding high, J-Mac, mustn't he? He's a right character, very, very confident young man. Of course, you remember he was banned down under for basically having a bet on a Godolphin horse and sort of bragging about it on social media, yeah.
That was clever, wasn't
I
it?
remember actually waking up and watching the race.
What's he thinking?
No, that's what he
I
got
know what I'm
caught
going to do. I'm going to
bragging
go on
about it.
Twitter.
And they banned
Oi,
him for
oi.
and when he,
Call a copper.
Get it ready, Manchester.
it was the first. It was the. I'll tell you what, the horse turned out to be all right. I think it was called Animo or something like that, and he's still racing in group races. It was a novice race. He won it by a couple of lengths, and he went past, and he did do that. He did go to.
He's gone off in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. So look, he had to sit it out, and he wasn't. We thought he might do a
Look,
Frankie
yeah, he's
Devil
had it
ride
on
to
there
shake
as well.
no again.
Charlie Hills is good with these sort of horses, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's decent, isn't he?
Yeah. He's good with a 3-year-old.
He was
handicap.
well
He's good with
taught.
the sprinters, of course.
You've got to pinpoint it early, haven't you? And just
And
make it
obviously he had
target.
the hard luck story with Cardem yesterday, of course, and Spencer not coming out. So
Yeah.
this is a real boost for them, isn't it?
I've just seen talking of people not maybe having the best time of things, even though we talk about Charlie Appleby, his form, and flying, and another different trainer then that we've had as a winner. Irad Ortiz handed a 5-day careless riding ban then for his ride in the Queen Mary earlier on. Finishing
On
Will
Love
that translate over the water?
I was going to say, how does...
I think it does, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
Does
It
it?
does.
It does.
All I mean, do you remember when Hughes
That
got
could be
banned in
mad.
Yes.
India?
Yeah.
All international jurisdictions.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
He won't be coming
One
back.
race left to come,
No, he'd never come
5:35. And it is 2-year-olds' time to shine. It gets easier. It's only the Windsor Castle coming up. We've got a real hot pot, and this will go to Kate Tracey soon. Team Buddy Doyle still waiting for their first of the week. Long week ahead. Drawn in stall 2. Little Big Bear. We'll pick the bones out of this, Kate, once you tell us exactly what price he is now.
Yeah, 2.66 there on the exchange from Chateau's coming for some good support then at 9s. The other one then, Waddell, has really come in for some support all day. The Donica O'Brien's horse then, he is at 11.5, Bolt Action 13.5, Rocket Rodney at 16s, and then 17.5 bar the rest then. So yeah, strong support all day about this Little Big Bear. He's created a big impression, funnily enough, with his name there on both of his starts so far. Second, when he was really well backed for his debut start, only lost out by a short head then within that from a horse, Tough Talk, who followed up by finishing second behind Blackbeard, who we saw probably not to optimal effect yesterday, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I agree.
But then Little Big Bear justified his 4-9 favouritism last time out and absolutely kicked the rest of the horses out of the way then in Venice Maiden. So really highly touted. Interesting that they cited this race then for him, and he is a strong favourite. But the way that I'm going to play this race, though, this Chateau, I really like. And again, he's come in for a fair amount of support then all day himself. Again, the experience of 2 starts, typical of an Andrew Boulding juvenile, where he really improved from his debut start for his second and last time out. Son of Havana Gold, who's going along in great guns, the leading first season sire then himself. So the way that I'm going to go with this race, of course, we have a whole load of unknowns. So I'm going to be tentative enough then anyway. So I'm going to go for £25 then win on him. Again, happy to be a price taker there. And I'm also going to go to the 4-place markets then for Chateau as well, just to cover myself a little bit there because of the unknowns that we have in. But really liked what he did at Beverley last time out, and hopefully there's more to come.
You backing that one as well?
I might do. And I could have bought this horse, you know.
Oh, really?
I've seen him at the Breeze-Ups and he was on my list.
We'll
and
get to that in a minute.
I looked at him, he was just a bit too flashy.
What,
Big
Chateau?
Oh, really?
chestnut, white socks.
Don't
So
fall
I
for
just thought, he can't be any good.
There is a thing, though, about flashy...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, Hugh Masson comes back on and joins us. He was given, a little bit of fun earlier, but he's going balls in at the moment. Lay of the meeting.
Can you say
Little Big... Yeah, you absolutely can.
Well, I'd have gone a lot earlier.
No, don't honestly.
Little Big Bear. Far too many reasons to list. What are the reasons then,
I don't know.
Hugh?
No.
This is the lay of the meeting for Hugh. This will be the banker of the meeting for a lot of people. Spoke to David Jennings, our Irish Deputy Editor, last week, and we got the feeling that Blackbeard was then going for the Coventry. This would go Windsor Forest. They've got the favourite, or they did have the favourites for the Norfolk tomorrow as well. They don't have the greatest record in this, to be totally honest, Kate. They're 2 from 13, I make it. Southern Hills.
Washington, D.C.
One in Washington, D.C. Yeah. It's up there somewhere, isn't it, Matt? Absolutely. Yeah. And he was well fancied, that horse. But not really horses that fall off the historical page to you, are there?
This is traditionally the worst 2-year-old race of the meeting.
It's supposed to be, isn't it?
Supposed to be. I think this one, I like the look of this one.
This is the one we used to get maidens winning it and first time outs and things like that, wasn't it?
John Best won it one year.
Yeah, with the very good horse. Kingsgate native, was it?
That's it. Well done,
Who else?
Testing, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen sires win this, like our dad and things like that, you know. Very good horses, very fast horses. Andrew Boulding, of course, won it with Tactical in 2020. Chipotle won it last year from stall 1. Stall 1 also, I don't know, I was talking to Ross Briley earlier about this. He goes, stall 1 in the Windsor Forest is the best stall.
Yeah, it's provided 2 of the last 6, I think.
And there's another one there, and Star of Lady M. Colin Keane for David O'Mara comes there. I like Chateau as well. Big eye catcher on his Salisbury debut. We got the money when he ran at Beverley on this show. William Buick on. I just want to see him get some cover. I'm buoyed by the fact that they can win from the far side now down the middle. No problems there whatsoever. He won it with Tactical, of course, for Her Majesty, didn't he? I wondered whether after Salisbury this might come straight to it. He's got a horse running in the Norfolk tomorrow called Baccheel that won on Cigaro Day in the trial, of course. The 2-year-old. That was always going to be then, I think, the Norfolk horse, but he was pushing him, this chap. There's more to come. Whether he's quite classy enough, I don't know.
Chateau.
Yeah. It's whether he's quite got that class going forward. There's a social as well. Jake next comes on and says, Nebworth, chance for a place. Matt Williams, take it away.
Yeah, I watched him do his last bit of work on Friday. He's a lovely horse. He worked really well. Worked with a decent handicap sprinter. And the way he gallops, he's just going to run his race.
I could hear it in your voice that you were keen on this one.
I don't know if he's going to have the class to
Does he usually think this is his best 2-year-old he's had?
I wouldn't say that.
Because he's had some, obviously Brentford Oak would have been a good 2-year-old.
Yeah, he was a class act, but he's got
Do you think Hughes 11 at concert pitch?
He'll have my consequence, yeah.
Very good. Nebworth was on again
You've
recently.
played.
My
You
lad,
played
I
at
was at
Nebworth, haven't
Nebworth.
you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I was with Basement Jackson.
This is
Nebworth,
the bongos, yeah.
That was my highlight. My
Do you
peak
still
of
own
my career.
bongos?
Yeah, I've
How
got
many
Right.
pairs?
Got congas. I've put quite a few really.
Oh, it's not just pairs, is it? You have like
Oh, really?
Yeah,
five.
congas are the big ones. Yeah, timbales are the ones you play with stick cowbells. I've got chimes. I've got everything.
Can
It's
you
all
play the
collecting
standard
dust.
drums as well?
I can, but not
Wow.
very well.
My brother's a professional drummer.
I know this.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool.
Because this was our first conversation when we came back from the pandemic. It was just me and Bruce socially distanced, and the digressions that we used to have, between races were massive, weren't they?
Yeah.
Poor Barrows in Dublin was going like, where are they going now? We used to talk about all sorts of things. But
Can I
people
quickly
loved it.
digress, by the way, about Joseph and his new glasses? He looks about 9.
Same as Varians, aren't they?
He's gone to the same.
Babyish,
He's gone to
doesn't
the
it?
same optician as Rog, but whereas Rog now looks a bit older with his grey hair,
He looks
Joseph O'Brien there literally looks like he's one
looks
of them
like-
kids who's been given permission to take the day off
He
school.
should be in the Land of Witch in the Wardrobe.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
He does look at
A little milk
either
Is
that
that who
or
like
Peter Pan or something.
the Turkish Delight?
Yeah. It's amazing.
He's never going to age, is he?
What
Joseph?
a guy.
Remarkable
What is he,
thing. What
29?
a talented jockey he was in it, and the transition they made. Obviously, he's been given a lot of horses. Donica's got one in here, of course. He hasn't been given.
There's
quite
plenty
as
of
many
people, though,
horses.
isn't there, who've inherited or been the sons or daughters of trainers who've been rubbish.
He's had a Melbourne Cup winner.
Just smart. He's absolutely brilliant. They're an
And a Prince of Wales
incredible
winner.
family, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just the most incredible family, down to earth,
So just good people
brilliant,
as well.
hard-working, just incredible. Do you know what? I saw a quick story, if we've got time.
We have.
Aidan was over. He had a runner when we sponsored the what's now the Vertem Futurity. It was the Racing Post Trophy, obviously up at Doncaster, and we used to put on a little do for the connections. And Aidan came in, and he just wanted to have a quick bite to eat in peace. And I went over and said, "Oh, thanks so much for entering your horse, Aidan. Your support's really appreciated." And he said, "Oh no, thanks for sponsoring." So courteous. And I said to him, "What's the rest of the day hold then?" Because I think he said he had to get away directly after the race. He got a private jet to take him down to the south of France for, I think it was MV Magna's wedding, one of the Magna children's wedding. He had one drink, got the plane to take him back to Shannon Airport. He drove through the night and just got back in time for first lot. I mean, like, what on earth?
Never missed his first lot, apparently, does
No,
he?
and he's up at 3:30 in the morning.
Cyborg.
Greta Thunberg's a big fan of his on the private jet. Greta was on the blower. What are you doing?
I mean, like, he's
Private jet.
so dedicated.
Yeah, there's a bit of a
isn't
carbon
he?
footprint
He's
there, isn't it?
so
Yeah,
dedicated.
Marsley.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the great man, of course, still waiting for his first. Will it be here? Hugh Master says, lay of the meeting. Would you be up? Is this one you'd be looking to get?
No, I wouldn't. I just want
Yeah.
to play around him.
This, you get the feeling they've hit this as well.
This
Teals has
wins.
got some
This
big prices
wins.
on this because
Has
DJ
he?
was. Yeah,
Good
we
lad.
caught wind. I spoke to Aidan before the Irish Guineas weekend. We didn't really have much that weekend. It was mainly to
Is
get
this the winner, yeah?
His Derby runners and Little Big Bear. You got the feeling when I was talking to him about Blackbeard. He said the horse that Blackbeard beat, Tough Talk, that day. He was keen on that collateral line of form with Little Brown Bear. And I think that this horse, Little Big Bear, was the one that there was a lovely social media clip of when Justin O'Hanlon and all our guys went on that media day. And I can't remember who it was. You have to excuse me who asked him. He went, can I have €5 on? He went, and you can have another 5 if you like. Yeah. And he got chinned first up, didn't he? And everyone was on it because of that clip. And then he delivered. So this was the one that they saw early. Hence the fact he's in the Windsor Forest, This is an out-and-out 2-year-old.
And you never ever worry about an O'Brien horse, a 2-year-old that didn't win first time out, because I know a lot more of them are this season. But I mean, there's been years.
Last year they went. It was like a policy.
Yeah,
Just nice introduction.
I think he was literally something like 2 from 50 or something.
Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it?
Amazing,
Yeah.
considering how good they all end up being.
And now they switched it up a bit this year.
Yeah, I think they have.
And
yeah.
what about that stat when Tuesday won the Oaks about he's won off like 120 classics since his first one. He's won all that amount of them, like 50 odd, isn't it? It's insane.
His numbers. I mean, he's not even. I'm not even sure he's 50. I think he's probably just 50 now, Aidan.
I hope he
if
is.
he does another 10 years,
He's looked the same for a long
20
time.
years.
But
His stats are
It's going to be
be
unbeatable. Isn't it?
But when you look
Already
back at
is.
those Isterbrak videos, he looks young there. doesn't he?
We are in the midst of an era of one of the top 3 or 4 racing greats, trainers, jockeys, whatever. Aidan O'Brien is an absolutely unbelievable guy, and you don't begrudge it because he's such a nice fella, isn't he? He's so polite
No one
and
would
courteous.
begrudge it.
He's incredible.
And the credit that he gives, I know that people sort of joke about it and people mess and take the mickey that little bit, but just even that, just to think of it in the heat of the moment, then post-race, to be able to list, your man who rotates the gallop then for the guy who looks after him. Apparently he's 52 according to his Wikipedia.
52 classics.
But also,
he's
years old.
Sorry.
But also, he'll remember, if you're interviewing him, he'll remember.
It is about that.
He'll remember your name. Even some of the guys who haven't been there that long, he'll remember your name. He's so courteous and is an amazing fella.
Yeah.
Amazing fella. I know you
But
know.
then Johnny Murtaugh's a great fella, and he got what was he called Keel's Tony, was he always playing golf with him all day?
That's it.
But he's a great fella as well.
No, I love
Let's get some more social action out there because Fingless West comes on. Never know when I'm being mugged around by these names, but Fingless West comes on and says a little big in contrast to Hughes and layer the meeting. This is the nap of the day. I've got him in a double at 2-1 with Saffron Beach. Easy money, even with Ryan Moore, the pilot, in the seat. Get over yourself, Fingless. Even with Ryan Moore on, they're saying. Come on.
Well, I mean, again,
he's hardening all the time.
If you want to start writing off horses because Ryan Moore's riding them,
you're having a shock. What sort of a May did he have? He did go into wilderness a bit, didn't he? But there might be reasons for that. And he showed it. It started at Chester, didn't it? Different class.
All his peers think he's the best.
They do, of course they do. Another social
you
comes
talk
up.
to them and
Panel jealous of Joseph's youthful looks.
I'm not. I hope he looks at
I'm very jealous. I am, yeah, don't get me wrong. But
like Benjamin Button.
He does look
great for 70.
I think he just wins this. I mean, I think this is just...
Is this your tip, yeah?
Yeah, standard good thing, this. I mean, I think you could argue should be a bit shorter, miles clear on ratings, very impressive, progressive, and up against a bunch of horses who... They've had 2, 3, 4 runs. Not a lot of them, you would say, are necessarily going to find a load on what they've done so far. I'm happy enough to believe that this horse is the real deal. He's already posted a really, really high RPR, and I just think he probably wins. Doesn't need any traffic problems. I'm not worried about stall 2. Stay over that side, and I think odds against is perfectly fair.
Wes has got one in here. It's really easy to back in its size and
26
spirit.
By Bellado on this ground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can have that.
Horse. He's in 11. My point in really bringing him up is because that is going to be the... what can we hear in the background? We can hear
Earthquake in the studio.
something's going on outside. We can hear all sorts of crashing and banging. Don't worry, we're still with you. It's been a beautiful, seamless stream this afternoon, isn't it?
Can I mention it, horse?
Yeah.
Far shot. Gosden's won at Yarmouth last week.
Yarmouth is where he takes his good uns, isn't it?
There was a big positive vibe about him, and he did the business. I'd expect him to come forward for that, and he's another...
Coming in with the same profile as our dad, of course, now the super
Sire.
early season sire, yeah. He's in 15, and you're right. The money tends to be down on these Gosden 2-year-old newcomers at Yarmouth, don't it? They very rarely let you down. He's got one in running in Chesham as well. 10 minutes to the race. Has anyone had a look at the races later on in the week? Kate, you must have been doing your fair share of previews.
Oh, goodness me, yeah, I've done sort of every preview going there, really.
Come on. Red car's in there somewhere, Matt. We can't wait to have the good figures of the 250 there.
Yeah, I think the Ribblesdale looks pretty open tomorrow, doesn't it? I like history in that. An awful lot there.
I
it's
put
cut
her up in the Guineas thinking that she won all right.
I think she ran really well.
This is the thing that cost bundles, isn't it, history?
Yeah. She definitely wants that step up in triple size. 2.8 million guineas for the yearling. And she's just got the Tuesday profile for me, like as though she took into the Oaks, where she'll appreciate the step up in trip, and she looks a fair bet for me.
All right. Okay. No, that's fine. You don't need to keep going. That's absolutely fine. One in the rib, the Ribblesdale then. Aidan O'Brien.
Right, Bruce is pointing to me because he has a trick of TV.
The master of the anti-post portfolio that is Bruce Millington.
Like panicking. Right, okay, I've got an absolute certainty in the Jersey Stakes.
That's what we want to hear.
What's the forecast? Friday, Saturday?
Nice.
Fine.
Well, boiling Friday,
boiling,
possible rain Saturday.
All right, then, this is an absolute certainty. Manada, Saib bin Saroz.
In the what?
In the Jersey.
Oh, the thing that won at Kempton?
Yes.
Love him.
Right, Giants Causeway, not many. Is there any of them about anymore?
Love him.
Right, so I just think he'll win. He's 8-1.
I was with him at Kempton and there was never a moment's doubt.
If it's good to firm ground, I think he's 8-1 each way.
He's a Shadwell horse, isn't he, for size?
Yeah,
so,
actually, yeah.
And he beat a very good... Well, it's looked like it's half disappointing. The horse of Gosden, Jubilee Park, has been beaten twice. She was beaten by the draw at Newmarket. She ran a race last time, I think.
I don't think there was a second. I think he's really impressive. So that one. Yeah,
OK, Bruce?
A very, very boring but hopefully successful double. Tiger Woods, I never quite got the love for Tiger Woods, because throughout his career when he was winning, I used to oppose him all the time. I kept laying him, and it was a stupid thing to do. And it was only when I started realising the joy of backing him and watching him win.
I loved it.
Where am I going with this? Stradivarius.
I thought you were going to say for the US.
I was going to ask you for a Gold Cup tip, actually. So
Stradivarius, to me, I've looked at it, and he's a horse I've all stupidly taken on time and time again. And I'm looking at this race, and particularly at the start of the week, it's gone now, but Trushan, no good on this ground. Scope's already come out. I'm really not sure about Kyprios. I just think Stradivarius is rock solid, and I think Inspire will win the Corrie as well. So there's a double there for Thursday and Friday.
He's not going to run Trushan. I had a bit of a moan yesterday on the show about Trushan. I understand maybe anti-pro, maybe, I don't know, but I didn't think he was ever going to run. No. And he's holding up the market a bit at the moment, isn't he? There's a lot of people talking about what price would Kyprios be at the start of the week, who was thought to be one of Aidan's bankers. He's never won over 2 miles yet, Kyprios, you know. But he's got a very lightly raced profile, and you get the feeling, the vibes are along with Alfred Munnings, it would be the one that they were happy to play. He definitely goes off favourite, I think. He's got that Free Eagle.
I'm not sure about that.
Moigler. I think he probably
Strad
will.
might be favourite.
It's what price he goes off because of Trushan coming out.
So.
Trushan's in the Queen Alexandra, you know that. We were talking about that on the show. He's like 11-2 for that because there was rain forecast.
Yeah.
And it would be far beyond Kingy. I mean, what price would he be in that? 2s, 3s on.
Yeah.
He's 11-2 at the moment. So you've had worse throwaway anti-post bets than that. But look, it now looks like it might be drying up on the Saturday as well.
Can I throw another one in here?
Yeah.
Just Finest. I mentioned it earlier.
Oh, yeah, you love this, don't you?
In the Duke of Edinburgh. Queen's Horse. Real...
Unquestionably prepped for this at York.
Yeah.
When it came there with its chance, blew up and ran on again over a trip too short.
Yeah, apparently it needed the run as
Yeah,
well.
not so. That's strong handicap form as
And
well.
that's
Really
in 3:40 Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, in what might look like a bit of a minefield, but Stouty has definitely laid this out for that. Ryan Moore, will Ryan
Are you having Inspiral?
I just think it's too... I just want to watch that one. I want to watch it.
Her form was obviously boosted
she's
in the
great.
Guineas, wasn't
I
it?
think
But
she's mustard.
you do.
Yeah, I think she'd win.
In Gosden we trust.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, all right. Well, look, we asked for a few tips. We've got, of course, 3 more days to come after this. It's Gold Cup Day tomorrow.
You getting the trip right?
Getting the trip all right. Getting the trip all right. Tonight's going to test it.
Why?
Leaving party.
Nick Rostron-Pike, our head of video and content, is leaving.
It's mine as well. I
TV.
didn't have a leaving party. I bailed on mine, so I think I'll go and have some food.
Have it tonight, Matt.
Because I had 10 years of service at this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to make it
testimonial.
Didn't get a
Well,
farewell.
I was going to have them, but I didn't.
Who was the editor then? That's an absolute shocker, isn't it?
Me mate.
Did they have it without you or just not at all?
I just didn't. I'm quite...
Tried to lay something on. You said no.
We come off there
fuss.
fairly
Yeah,
shortly
fuss.
after the last, guys. We should thank Matt for coming on.
Brilliant.
Reminder that his fee today's gone to Racing Welfare. So if you're listening out there from that, it has been a real pleasure to have you. And feedback's been great. Loads of colleagues buzzing in, watching. Barry's very happy at the track.
Yeah.
Do you know what we
It's
need,
been
Matt?
great.
Though we need you to get your laptop in next time.
Yeah, and
to
bash
actually
away.
see
And
you
actually
playing
see you
along.
boshing away.
Get it
'Cause,
up.
I mean, if you're having
That was-
150 bets in the Hunt
Yeah.
Cup, I want to see
I'm pressing
that.
wrong buttons, I want to
If
hear
there's
all
any
the
such thing as
chaos.
come on for the run, I don't know, because you were a first-time out winner with Dramatised,
Yeah.
but you've got the trip all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. Good fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just quickly, Matt, how many horses winners have you backed on Betfair at 1,000?
Have a guess.
Go on, you tell me.
About 90 odd.
That's brilliant.
It's
isn't it?
unbelievable, isn't it? Even if I do such a...
I love the way you
Most
said
of
that.
us do it once. and
No,
we're
I
like,
was
gonna say, I know,
oh,
I've never thought
8
to
years
look
ago,
at
I
else
backed
has done that, have they?
Well, Matt, I'm going to go back to something you said earlier. If you're going like that, I reckon you definitely bat 90. You know?
And what's your favourite ever one?
One McCoy Road at Warwick. It was a front runner, and it was out the back, and he wasn't seemingly going anywhere. But I just thought he wasn't giving up, and it won by about 5 lengths.
We miss him, don't we?
Yeah, I had a good touch on that.
We miss him. You saw us obviously doing the Cheltenham show, and that was when he's sort of, that's when I caught wind that Bruce might be able to get you in and all that sort of stuff. But it's been an absolute pleasure. And Kate, it's been great to have
thanks
you.
for having
You've been
me.
doing the tricky job
Been
as well.
great. Yeah, no,
Slick, isn't
absolutely.
she, our Betfair Tracey?
Brilliant.
Thank you. No, you've been very kind to me all day, to be honest with you. It's still very much a learning process, as we know from week to
That's
week.
why Betfair
But
love you, Kate, because they like to see people being
I'm literally
educated
learning on the
about
job.
it.
But also, Kate, like the only other person I know who can talk about horse racing like you without missing a beat, without the tempo changing, seemingly without breathing, is David Jennings. That at the start, when you went through at the beginning, I was like, well, breathe.
Impressive.
There's a good career for
Have
you
a blow.
diving down and catching pearls from the seabed because you can obviously you've got big lungs.
Yes, completely, exactly. I can just keep it going.
We've
Yeah,
had great
that's one
stories.
of my-
It's been great to have Scarlett Scarhill back as well, calling the races for me. We called him Scarlett Scarhill because there was one particular
Oh my
meeting
God.
when he really went for it. And the most famous clip of all on this show, Matt, I don't know if you've ever seen it, was when we first did it, Cheltenham 2020, when Gosham went at the final hurdle.
I was all over
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
and
You're up out your chair.
Unfortunately, I did swear then, so yeah, and I was worried that I was going to get the sack.
Did someone have to apologise for you
I
swearing?
dropped an F-bomb. No, it's not Sky.
Yeah, I hate that.
I honestly, I was. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I swore live on it. I'm devastated.
I didn't really get it because
And
of
then
the
the
pandemonium,
social
but the
team,
clip is brilliant.
the social media team clipped it and put it out there without a beep or
But
anything.
Dan Walsh is in there. There is a monkey emoji version and there is an unedited version out there.
before the watershed.
I'm pretty sure you've done it since as well.
No,
but
I haven't.
I've got a feeling you might have done.
Have I? No.
Absolutely brilliant. So what a lineup we've had. Tomorrow's lineup, Natalie Green comes back onto the show. Keith Melrose, the betting editor, comes back in. Barry will be making his return to the studio. I'll be with you as well. 2 p.m. every day. It's more about sort of domestic action tomorrow, isn't it? But the Gold Cup will light us up. We start with the Norfolk. I think I've got a feeling there's going to be a strongly fancied one in that for you as well. Not giving too much away, but it's trained and owned by Ammo Racing. So
Dave, because we're jumping off directly after this race, does anyone fancy anything in the last?
ooh,
Better get that out of the way, haven't we?
yeah. The
Yeah, I
Phillies
do- I
race
do.
kills is all
I
over
do.
the one.
Right, I've got White Moonlight. It's a bad draw at 20, but I think she's got a great. Yeah, I really like her.
Keels loves improvised.
Yeah, says it's the best handicapped horse running anywhere
Yeah,
this
I spoke to
season.
him about that one the other day.
David?
In the last,
Yeah.
I can't stand the race.
Okay.
I'm out of it. This is the one that you got right last year. Do you remember with Laura Pearson?
Oh, yeah.
Lola Showgirl.
Yeah.
Making all on Lola Show.
God,
And
yeah,
Bruce was
you're
on
right,
it.
yeah.
You came in the next day and I went, no one had that. You went,
Yeah, exactly right, yeah.
absolutely. So, yeah,
On that
6'10".
rail.
Yeah.
What's she drawn in?
She was on the rail.
Improvised 14.
It's going to be tough for them, isn't it, with that golden hour, is the same.
Yeah. They're going down. The 2-year-olds obviously take a little bit longer to get down to the start and load up. So we've got probably about another 5 minutes until they jump off to get your bets on. What price now, Kate, is this supposed good thing?
2.28 then, yeah. 10.5 about Chateau drifted out again. So all in the direction of Little Big Bear at this moment.
They like Woodeo as
Yeah,
well,
Woodeo,
don't they?
9.2 then.
Yeah. Interesting. A question for Matt. Now we're talking about 11 to 10 now, about a Royal Ascot 2-year-old. I know it's them, but when do you think it's their money, if you like? When do you think late support on Betfair is often the most telling, right?
I think we already know, don't we?
Yeah, this is the one, isn't it? So this is expected to be a no-brainer. Look, there's a big field.
It's a looker.
Oisin Murphy said to us on Monday when he was in Matt's seat, he said there's loads of little rabbits going everywhere. I don't know how anyone could really fancy something in a 2-year-old race. That's what he basically, you just have no idea what they go, like this a little bit, you know. And you see lots of trouble in running. A lot said about Ross Orion's ride yesterday on Persian Force, of course. There was third in the commentary. Personally, I thought it had every chance, but he had to switch it a little bit. Definitely wouldn't have beaten Bradsell. What sort of horse is Bradsell? A quote from Jane Chappell-Hyam after this, Neil Francis. Great lineup and great show today, gang. Cheers, Neil. Neil's one of our
Nice
regulars.
one, Neil.
A lot of love for this out there. We peaked at over 1,000 watching at one point. That was probably thanks to our friends in Tokyo when Sharayar didn't quite cut the mustard, did he? But Jane Chappell-Hyam on Saffron Beach and Duke of Cambridge. Special filly. We came into the race thinking it would be tough with the penalty. She's proved how classy she is. It's hard going to Dubai in the winter. She's up against Harden Colts again. We didn't have a prep race, but everything seems to go to Chelmsford and work, doesn't it? Baid went there, and all the good horses seem to go to Chelmsford, and that's where Wes Ward is.
Wesley Ward's been
based now,
cantering his
rather
then
than
around there, yeah.
in Newmarket. But the pre-Rothschild next back to the Sun Chariot, and we're going to have a crack at the Breeders'
Sun
Cup.
Chariot,
She deserves it, doesn't she? Hard to think of a
Could
tougher
go well in the
filly
Breeders'
out
Cup.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Breeders' Cup type, isn't he?
Where is it this year?
Good question.
It's in Keeneland.
Keeneland.
I think I'm going to go.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I love
It's not the most glamorous venue, that, I don't think.
I haven't been. I've been to Del Mar and Santa Anita.
Where the surf
wow.
Del Mar is amazing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
I've been
brilliant.
to Santa Anita, but not a Breeders' Cup.
I think it's a bit
I've
of
been to Breeders at Central.
Have you?
Yeah.
Marvellous.
Is it amazing?
You know,
The Brits always did well there.
It wasn't wild,
Del
actually,
Mar, the
funny
place.
No, I think Santa Anita's the place.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
There's
It's
such a
beautiful, beautiful, isn't it? But you just said, is it wild? I found it like one great big kind of garden party. It was lovely, but it wasn't Larry, was it? It was very civilised.
Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, very civilised.
Mint juleps at the Kentucky Derby and
The
all that sort of
backdrop.
stuff. No, I went there on a midweek meeting randomly when I was just doing a bit of a driving holiday over there ages ago. But lovely.
And Dave, however many pictures Edward Whittaker's taken of those mountains, nothing prepares you for the actual sight.
The Ravens Pass when he got his
gorgeous.
Ravens Pass was magic. When at
Gorgeous.
Islington, you remember, all those good horses, Conduit, Sir Michael Stouts and Buddy McCall stud. Yeah, all right. So Keeneland. That's where we saw Golden Horn get beaten, wasn't it? And this choppy old turf there. So, but listen, that's where Saffron Beach
Mm.
hopefully will end up at the end of the year.
They're going in.
Happy
Finish one
days. Okay.
So we're a minute past post time. I suppose that's not bad for Ascot, is it? Really?
Not too bad.
But it is still,
Not with the 2-year-olds, it's not. Yeah. Okay. So, all right.
See Chateau there, see what I say? Flashy.
Oh, he is flashy, isn't he?
What do you mean by flashy?
Just like chestnut.
Everyone
Gorgeous.
says they
Cat's the eye
always
walking around.
can be a bit cunningly good-looking chestnuts.
You know what? I loved it yesterday, so I wouldn't cunningly.
Still a horse, says Bruce. And
Four legs, a
there is
mane, a
fascination with
tail.
socks, aren't there? We won't go into it too much now, but it's
you
not
don't buy a
bad
horse
luck,
with
isn't it?
four white socks, it's unlucky. And
The
they also
minstrel.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
I couldn't believe it yesterday,
Derby
so I kept sneaking into the pre-parade room. Probably shouldn't say that, but anyway, I did. And trying to watch everything then from the inside there. And honestly, some horses that I thought were really going to take my eye out. By Heat, for me, was nothing to look at. An absolute dude, but he just looked like a little pony, just a little dude of a thing. Caribus wasn't as big as I thought. He was actually bullying his
He looks like a bull, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a
Paddock
bull.
Millington is taking this all in.
So you're taking these notes.
Just silhouettes, identical silhouettes. Some have grey fur and most of them have brown.
Do
and
you
that's
watch
it.
the prelims when you're in your
No,
office?
I
or
love
Just-
all that side. I love it.
yeah.
I'll go to all the sales. I've just spent.
Let's
I've
hear
been
what
to
you did.
It's
Deauville.
funny. It's funny
Went to
how
Deauville last.
it's funny how
Beautiful.
how many punters are now getting into the bloodstock side of things. And I've got a mate who's a pro punter, and he started
I
on
met him at the
bloodstock.
sales.
Did you?
I met him at 2 of the breeze up sales.
And I said to him, "What's the big difference?" And he says, "In
I said, "You're a
bloodstock."
mate to Bruce." He went, "No, not really."
No, but this is
He's a
a
mate
good
of
line.
mine.
I said, "What's the difference between punting and bloodstock?" He said, "Bloodstock, you never get restricted. You can get as much as you want."
Well, look at this. If I'd have bought Chateau 90 grand, right, you'd have been in that London sale. I'd have probably got 300 grand.
I was going to
for
say, you would, yeah.
Has anything won that's been bought at that golf sale? Has anything followed up during the week?
him. Cadillac ran really well yesterday.
Was he second or third yesterday, wasn't he? Yeah.
But there has been examples in the past. I can't think off the top of my head.
Oh, Capella San Severo. What was the Joe
Yeah,
Lyons
that's
thing?
right,
Yeah,
Capella,
it went for
yeah.
bundles, didn't
Yeah.
it? And it ran in the commentary. It was in those well-known colours. But there's a bit of a solid move up here for Waddell, who's Donica's horse. And Gavin Ryan, of course, was jocked off in the Derby, of course, on Pisbadil. This would be a nice tale for him. But Kate, just last one's going in. What is he now, 11 away?
Yeah, 2.32, then Little Big Bear. Like I say, the money coming from Waddell, but all about this fav.
Often running for the Windsor Castle Stakes, not the Windsor Forest Stakes, Dave. And the favourite is out well on the far side, but is led by the horse on his inner, which is Star of Lady M, cutting out the running down the middle. That looks to be,
Seismic Spirit.
Ramazan.
Seismic Spirit in the middle.
Yeah, Rocking
Radar
Inns
Tees.
is prominent. They've gone into 2 groups. The favourite is in the smaller group, which has 7 in. The others have all come down the far side, but
That's
they're
not
still
ideal,
not quite
guys.
sure what they're
Ramazan
doing.
going well.
So Little Big Bear now 3.1 after that split. They do not like that. Who's going well there with the black with the white
Bolt Action's
sleeves?
going really well in the
Union
red.
Court's going well for Edward
Waddell's
Walker.
going
See,
well.
Dilemma for David Evans looks to be
Ramzan.
quite up there as well.
Ramzan.
Favourite is in completely the wrong place here.
Is he? I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
he
He's
is.
coming through.
He's
He's
going
coming.
well.
He's got
He's
no
going
he's
well.
odds on. He's
Bolt
on.
Action.
Is he?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
briefly,
here's the
but he might
Somerset.
not be now. But it's Little Big
shot.
Bear
Somerset again.
disputing
Rocket
with
Rodney.
Rocket
Bolt Action.
Rodney.
George Scott.
Here's the
Here comes
favourite.
the
The favourite wins it. He's
Here
too
comes the
good.
favourite.
He's decent. Little Big Bear wins it by
Yeah, he
about
does,
half a length from Rodney. Rocket Rodney. Who would have been a decent price. I can't remember who was third. Sorry, I'm just too inept.
That was a good performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good point because he was in the wrong place
Yeah.
and he wanted to lead for a lot longer, Ryan, and he's had to get stuck in. And guess what? Just as, eggs are eggs, they are off, and the monkey is no longer on Team Ballydoyle's back. And this was the one we said we thought it was. Well done if you got silly prices about it. Well done if you kept the faith at short prices. Hard like Hugh Masson of the meeting for you and all the other guys that were going in for it as well. Fair play. Kills will be buoyant this evening about that. And again, it's a little sort of a blanket, weren't they? He's just different gravy, Matt.
Sorry, guys. Holly Doyle third on Eddie's Boy for Midland Park and Archie Watson.
Archie Watson's having a good
Yeah,
run,
isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
They're running well.
He deserved it after last year, we were saying on the show as well.
And that Victorious Racing Limited.
Starting to get
There's a couple of eye catches in there. Where did Chateau finish? He was running on, was he? Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was fourth.
Running on
Ooh,
there,
he might
yeah.
have just been fourth.
What about your Nebworth?
He was a bit disappointed.
He never go in the
Never
pace,
got
does
into
he?
it, no.
No.
He always looked like more of a 6 furlong goes, but thought he'd go quick enough for him up front.
Nebworth wasn't on song.
No.
All
Well,
right.
that
very
it isn't this Victorious Racing Limited. So they bought Bradsell. The people who sold him to this Victoria Race, they made it privately sold, but I heard it was a touch, an absolute touch. It was Johnny Allison actually from Monsieur Lecoq. It was part of the syndicate who sold that Bradsell. They've just bought this Rocket Rodney then, but prior to today as well. And he's run an absolute screamer there. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on these
He's got
guys.
loads. He hung when he hit him as well. He went across. I bet he goes to the Malcolm next just for a final programme book.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to know what to make of these races, Matt, isn't it? But the Fav's just won despite things probably not going to plan.
I think he's a smart one, and what did he say? Much the best.
Much the best.
Much the best.
Well, let's see what the others in that septet on the far side have done, because if he's absolutely, run them ragged, that's quite a good clue, isn't it? Yeah, the third was.
Chateau's in there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see who else was down there.
Yeah, Chateau's run well, really. He didn't get much coverage you might have liked, but again, it was whether he was quite good enough. Was he? He's one as I've expected.
He's another
him to
6
pretty much.
furlong goes.
Yeah, he probably
This isn't
is.
his trip.
5 furlongs at Beverley is as stiff
Yeah.
as it gets, really, at the moment for these 2-year-olds. When you're going over the Millington trip, Waddell looked like he was coming for his chance. Thought the Airborne course ran really, really well. He was running on there and about just on the near side in the purple and the pink epaulets.
In actual fact, out of the front 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Far
4
side.
of them came from the far side.
Chateau and Silence.
4 of them came from the far side out the front 6. So that look, there's no draw bias.
No.
It's a question of where the jockeys want it to be. But that was a
Correct.
race with no draw bias. The draw bias, you have to talk about it because it's it can be relevant on certain days and on certain tracks, but it's massively
If anything, at
overplayed
the
at
moment,
Ascot.
and you're on
Innit?
a traveller, being in the middle is probably where you want to be. As Kate nearly smashes the mic up on the floor. Don't worry, she had a
It's going
good
so
stint.
well.
That's Barry's mic for tomorrow, so you might get docked. Listen, that's it. Final race done on day 2 of Royal Ascot 2022. The sun bleated down on track. It definitely shone in here. Matt Williams, will you come back?
Yes, if you'll have me.
Yes, you're nodding away.
Mate. Brilliant.
Bruce is
Lovely
going to be
to
in as
meet
well. Loads of round of applause going around. And for Kate Tracey as well.
Well done, Keith.
And for guys in the gallery. We're off for a couple of beers in the sun. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's Gold Cup Day. Will it be Stradivarius going back in the winner's enclosure?